Hello, everyone, and welcome on back to some Smite Prime action, where the plays are always premium. D'Lo here behind the mic, joined once again by my pal Musey in the booth. We got Tess temporarily as your almighty eye in the sky, Jithens as your man behind the curtain, and you watching at home. Musey, well hatted up, well dressed. How we feeling? Hopefully well.
I'm feeling excited. It's time to jump into the March circuit for Smite Prime. So, knowing that we have a little bit more true to form Smite Prime than the kickoff that we had last month, where you had some one-ups, this one's going to be a little bit more what we're used to, right? Duking it out over the course of the month to get to that prize. So it's kind of interesting to see. I feel like there's always a little bit more experimentation because you know that it's not all on the line right away. You have some room to play with.
And it's 3 lanes, Musey, which is certainly nice to see as well, as opposed to that joust nonsense we got last week, which was rather fun, but now we're getting a bit of a return to form with the March circuit, March 7th to 28th. As you can see, every Saturday, same time, same place, $7,000 in cash prizing up at stake for the winners at the end of the month, and you can make sure to keep up with all that progress on good old smiteprime.com. So make sure you're there, you're aware.
Be there or be square. You know what else is square and has right angles, D'Lo?
What?
I'm thinking maybe a bracket or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9. There are 9 brackets.
Well.
But 3 rounds, semis, and finals. We get a chance to see some of the teams this time. Not the 99 plus that we had for Joust, but that's okay. Still got some pretty solid names here. Sparta better than Athens. Single Bind, Simian Rage, I like that. Sisyphus in the Cloud, Mushroom Kingdom, okay. McDonald's Sprite, that hits.
Glow Pop Jiggly Jam. I'm a big fan of that one, I'm not going to lie. Nonetheless, where we're going to be going first as far as this bracket goes, since we actually can see the names for once, it's going to be our friends on Single Bind up against Wabi Sabi. Now, Musey, we in that Joust tournament last week got to also see the first round of Wabi Sabi. That's our friends James and Alec and the rest of their merry crew. Unfortunately, they had a tough time up against some of the best of the competition that you could potentially offer, and it's not really changing up this time around either. Aurora leading the single bind squad, that's a scary sight.
Well, we'll see if El Pesa Duo has it in them to take them out of the bracket early, or if Single Bind is just going to simply walk over the Wabi Sabi team in pursuit of greater victories down in the bracket. But it's just round 1, D'Lo. It's just the start of the day, so honestly, anything can happen.
Bingo. Pace yourself, measure yourself, folks. We got a whole lot of good competitive Smite coming at you in just a bit. And usually we did, like we said, get that kind of hint coming into these P's and B's here of what we're going to be seeing as far as what's the top of the competitive meta. It's Warriors Axes, baby, but I'm curious if that changes in the context of Conquest. What gods should we maybe expect in this new map, or rather, old but new for the context of Smite Prime, map and game mode?
I feel like everybody at this point is aware of some of the sauce that's been going around in the streets, the whispers and rumblings of Hercules being very, very high prio, and I'm right there with you. Same thing with picks like Odin are very strong, being that you're able to force people to buy Shell if you have some beads burners to follow up there. Definitely something to have, split up a fight, love that. But Artemis is kind of like a sneaky pick right now that I don't know if it's found its way into the greater mindset. So far, if we take a look at the bans, it's going to be things that we all know and are familiar with, range supports like Yamoja, and of course the ever-present Aladdin ban.
The Tsukiyomi is the shout that I was not expecting. Didn't get to see not one Suk pick there in Joust, maybe just less value when there's not quite as much of a backline to dive into, whereas the Piercing Moonlight, of course, its job is to deliver you into the backline where you can start to get to work on those squishy, I say squishy if they're not building Warriors Axes, mages, and ADCs. Now we're going to see if Wabi Sabi continue to fall by their alignment, which, like you said, has been kind of the tried and true, those tankier targets, and indeed that's the case. Guan Yu off the mark, and Disco from Single Bind.
Both of these bans make sense. Guan Yu had a pretty solid resurgence when we saw actually the EU Smite Prime tournament, where it was Guan Yu support that was able to constantly keep the team's cooldowns on the up and keep your team really sustained. He also has a pretty good amount of pressure when he's able to build Warrior's Axe in that dual lane now. For those of you who haven't, or maybe have been out of the loop a little bit, the class passives, a good way to explain it, are no longer attached to starter items, right? Boombas doesn't make you clear jungle faster, and things like selflessness aren't what give you your heal from from minion assists, right? So supports have a little bit more freedom in what they're able to build,
Yeah.
and same thing with the junglers, and every single starter item now has adaptive stats to either give you a little bit of strength or a little bit of int, depending on what you're building more of.
Ooh, what we're building in first, Umi, that Hercules, certainly a scary sight to see, given the fact that it's just got so much sustain, but, you know, it can shut that down right quick. It's the Odin you mentioned as well, and the Naja. Knowing our friend James and their propensity for that Naja, I'd be curious to see if it goes to that spot or if it goes to the jungle. Both of those are kind of interchangeable.
In my mind, I really do prefer things like either a Nasha solo or maybe a Nasha support, just because with that aspect, they get to survive for a pretty significant amount of time, and you get to keep that setup aspect from your Nasha, where you launch somebody into the air with your ultimate, and you have a bunch of damage waiting on the ground when they bring their target back down.
Dude, speaking of going up and then down and bringing a lot of damage, the On Her being sniped away from Alec here. I've got to wonder if Single Bind had maybe done a bit of research, algunas investigaciones on their Pesa duo, because that is one of their prime top picks that they seem to just kind of get a passive buff on. Merlin alongside it, that's a backline that is going to be pumping damage while also staying pretty safe.
You also still have some solid ADC picks to look at, things like the Jing Wei. The Artemis, I think, does very well, especially when you have the Warrior's Axe to build. Just super good at poking people out, so something to kind of keep in your back pocket, keeps you kind of safe, but maybe not the best matchup into the On Her, because he kind of runs you down. But still have a lot of very delicious picks to have. I think it's actually going to be an Agni Dilo, now that we see the Giannis locked in right afterwards.
Okay, so here's the issue that I'm already seeing with Wabi Sabi is the fact that they top lock that Odin so high up means a single bind we're able to make a backline that easily gets out of the cage, whereas the front line, given again how tanky these tanks can be, they don't really mind hanging around in the Odin cage quite as much. At the very least, though, you shut down that Hercules, mitigate wounds. Can you stop the areas, though, from chaining you up and bringing you down? Cripples would negatively affect every member of Wabi Sabi, and that's why you see the God of War locked in.
I think the only thing about the Ares pick that could cause potential issues for a single bind is the fact that Odin and Agni do have ways to kind of skirt past that Ares ultimate with their displacement immune attached to either Ring of Spears from Odin, or not Ring of Spears, that's his ultimate, Gungir's Might, they're from Odin, and Agni's Dash as well has a window of displacement immunity. So there's some counterplay to be had there, but with the front line like a Hercules and an Ares, you have more to worry about than just an ultimate. Like you said, Dilo, these tanks are going to be very, very healthy, so we need some prot shred for sure from Wabi Sabi.
And with a Bacchus on top of it, there's so much knock-up. There's so much displacement, like you said. You can only dash away from one of them. But the Artio says, don't dash away, stay a while. That cripple on Wabi Sabi's side is also pretty fearsome.
And will be handy, especially when trying to keep people locked inside the cage.
Wow.
Because while people are going to be building up all these shells, they're not going to have as much access to things like beads or a talisman of purification unless they want to, spend the gold, which is a pretty significant investment, 2,500, to buy an extra relic, essentially. So you have the opportunity here from Wabi Sabi to really lock down a target. The question becomes, who are you going to lock down? Because you look at the Hercules, the Ares, and the Bacchus, and none of those people feel very killable. It leaves you with the On Her and the Merlin. The On Her has a CC immune ultimate. The Merlin will only have his beads. So if Wabi Sabi are going to find their path to victory here, it has to start with shutting down Moswell on this Merlin.
I totally agree, not only just based on the characters that you see in front of you, but also the player that's piloting it. Mosswall can be such a threat if they snowball. I've seen them dominate with a shock mid. I've seen them dominate on the traditional Merlin as well. We'll see if that Wizard's been up their studies in the College of Winterhold as we hop into the first game. Single Bind versus Wabi Sabi, Dilo and Muzian, 5 members of Single Bind parading through the enemy jungle.
Taking a quick look here at the relics. Single Bind's already out there while Wabi Sabi, like you said, Dilo, still kind of waiting in base, deciding how they want to plan their relic choices. But 3 blinks for Single Bind tells me that they are going to get very aggressive very early.
And this stampede through their jungle, this long, rugged death march as well. But Single Bind not going to be able to catch anyone unawares. I'm glad to see that. Wabi Sabi, of course, not maybe as experienced as the likes of Roar and Tito, still have made quite the splash in the name for themselves in leagues such as OSL and AGL as well.
So we also see some of the starter items here. The Warrior's Axe, like you mentioned before, on the Ares and the Naja. Basically, what that's going to enable for these supports is it makes them a little bit more threatening in terms of damage, right? When they deal damage, they're going to be able to get some true damage off, something like 30. They nerfed it down to 10 next week, but the damage for now is still very potent. And they get a little bit of a heal as well. Pair that with the support passive that's attached to their role, and suddenly they also have a crazy amount of sustain. I think Ares is also going to have a sneaky amount of sustain, just because he has a second ability that enables him to get that aura, some HP 5, so Aurora's going to be very, very hard to kill.
You know, it's worth noting the fact that we have an Odin, of course, means it's very obvious anti-heal. Anyone inside the cage, 100%. It's pretty simple to understand, whereas Ares and Bacchus have more subtle forms of anti-heal. You got to remember that Searing Flesh, does knock off and burn away some of the healing provided by that Artio, by that Naja. That's going to be really important to keep in mind when we get to the 5v5s.
Noxious Fumes from Agni also has a bit of anti-heal. Remember, it caps out at 25%. So even if you build some anti-heal items, things like the Brawler's Beat Stick, you're not going to deal extra anti-heal. You'll just bring yourself up to that point if you don't already have access to it. So both sides are going to have that anti-heal for the sustain that, between Artio and Hercules and everyone in between, they're going to need that. The other thing that I'm noticing here, Dilo, it might be pretty relevant later. No blink for Evil Cole on this Odin means that if Odin wants to engage with this cage, he has to jump in there. That's going to put him in a kind of a rough spot.
Well, we're seeing at the very least right there why the Gungers might so useful. Displacement immune, but not damage immune. Ella Langley, a fan of what they were just able to accomplish around the Oracles, but the Honest is here to provide a bit of assistance. Contestation is a bit weak, though, unfortunately, knowing that the Merlin could provide assistance any moment, and they're just stalling for time while Merlin grabs the neutral farm. Odin decides to return. But who ends up getting claim over the camp? It's one of the highest paying camps in the entire game. There comes the portal. The beads as well from the Honest, but around the back is Mosswall.
wow.
It's a big double knock-up and a big first blood. El Parcero ha morido.
Even more than that, the beads burned from this Giannis is going to put them in a very dangerous position because Ella Langley Flan can just swing back around and look for another gank within the next couple minutes or so, while Aurora and Tito set up a gank of their own because Ella Langley is around that left side.
Extreme tries to test out the Universe Ring, and that piques Box's interest enough that they stop the back. But nonetheless, playing smart enough, Wabi Sabi recognize that they are up against veterans, and they have to adjust accordingly. The question is, with single bind, all chopped up for the block with 3 blinks, all the aggression this comp can muster, should Wabi Sabi even bother taking fights in the first 5 minutes?
You kind of have to, IMO. Like, you have to make sure that you post up for these rocks that are spawning in 10 seconds. That's why you see Evil Cole kind of hanging around in the solo side. You can't just let the game happen to you. You have to take a stand. You have to show up and stay competitive.
Fair.
Otherwise, single blinds just kind of walk all over you.
Well, so far it's exactly what you see Ella Langley fan doing to our friend Evil Cole. I love the Gungers Might reactions, but again, it's reactive, not proactive, and unfortunately, single bind 3-man strong, proactively splitting up these flame brands. And Musi, I know how important this first set of rocks is. So the fact that there's no contestation is unfortunate.
It also sets up this blue buff invade as well. It might set up some kills.
There's good beads there, and a good leap from Evil Cole in response. I do believe the blue buff was secured by Wabi Sabi, but at the cost of that relic, that Odin's only more vulnerable to the next attempt. Left side, don't see the invade defense going quite as well for Wabi Sabi. An easy purple sniped by single bind.
Next up, Dilo, it's going to be this red buff. Ella Langley is going to post up next to it, and looks like they were able to steal that away. Yeah, they'll have that. So this puts single bind in a very strong position where they just kind of control all of the farm on the right side of the map, and that's just off of those early rocks too.
Oh, wow, what a great no escape right into the Desert's Fury. Tito puts Alec at the tip of the spear. A feeling that Alec has delivered to many a player, probably not felt quite as much. Through space and time comes out, but finds not nary a target. The big bad boulder bounces around and forces James back under tower. Everything's coming up single bind.
That's the level 5 difference that just happened in the left lane, Dilo. Being able to have prio on things like the gold camp and the hold on a minute.
Oh no, I don't think there's anything to hold on to as Extreme is let go from the mortal coil. These cripples, so impactful from Aurora, and of course, what better player to land them, but Odin is waiting in the wings. Maybe if they know where Aurora is in the bush, they could try to stop the back. But instead, maybe he's trying to stop the cat. It's going to be a good beads and an amazing impale to buy a bit more space and time. Not enough, though. The Ring of Spears comes out. Heard you like these pokey sticks. But the issue is that Tito's back beneath that tower, and Alec instead has to choose the easier target. Aurora gets burned away, but LA Langley fan over the wall. A good dash away to immune the displacement. But can you immune the death that's coming? A good stun comes out from the Gungear's Smite. Now Extreme is back in action. Trying to peel for the team. Will succeed. The body blocks, despite being such a small target. Najah can get the job done, but can they stay alive now in their own right? Great stun from Alec, who was not even done, and just barely going to be able to survive. Oh, Langley fan actually almost gets the turns tabled right back on them.
It's going to go on that red buff. Here comes the Najah. Baby scoops him into the air.
The level 5 difference came right through. I think it's because they got the neutral farm on one of those camp minions, because when they entered that fray, they were level 4, but Extreme exits level 5, and with a kill on their side.
And yet, somehow this means that Single Bind picks up a Gold Fury. Wabi Sabi put their all into their last engagement, so they have nothing to stand up to this. It's going to be the first Gold Fury going the way of Single Bind.
That is so unfortunate, but it's just what's going to be able to happen when Tito's 2-0 on this on her. So much objective shred potential. The blink mid-belt does mean that you get the CC off, but it's going to be an easy portal right back to keep El Parcero safe. 6 minutes in, 3-2 with that Gold Fury. About a 2K gold lead going the way of Single Bind.
Single Bind has been having a wonderful game so far, and they're going to keep that trend going. James taking a lot of poke there, but you see that Single Bind have the cooldown timers for this blue buff that explains all this aggression in this right side.
They have all the intel. They have all the information. What can they do with it? Odin trying to bait this Bacchus into staying a while, and that cripple will ensure it's the case. James takes him down, but on the other side, it's a 1-for-1. Alec and Aurora trade out their lives in a DBZ clash.
But Tito gets to scoop up the left side purple buff, so the On Her feels good about that engagement, if anything, because it strips farm away from Alex. So even though they got that kill, they end up losing out a little bit more.
Let's see if we can try to make this Hercules lose out on their life now instead. Again, these cripples so impactful. Extreme takes down Remikami, and Wabi Sabi now lead the kill board.
The way that this RDO has been being utilized, especially for this cripple field, so critically important. We talked about how dashes are very important for the Wabi Sabi team, but you look at a character like Bacchus, if they can't flop, they just kind of get stopped. You know what I mean? They just don't have a real chance to operate without one of their main forms of CC.
Cripple off the mark there from Aurora, characteristic and impactful. But like you said, man, between the entangling vines and these chains, everyone needs handicap spots on this map because you just don't have anywhere to move. You've got nothing to do but sit and take the damage that's about to come. Pad pops up, and Wabi Sabi can just sit and watch as the rock count continues to ascend. Single Bind going to be able to get that one without really too much of a fight.
Single Bind. Oh, they're going to pick up James over there, the solo dolo in the solo lane, but this ritual being won by Single Bind is going to earn them a handful of things, D-Lo. Not only do you get the consumable Moonlight's Favor that kind of is a UAV in the air, they're also going to have these lane pushers that push out, one for each lane, and it resets your lane teleport. So really good tempo play here for Single Bind.
And a really great double cripple there. You can't go anywhere, Giannis. What you gonna do? Your portal's already down, pal. There's no escape for you, pal. But they do have the beads there as a response. Now Aurora could find themselves in trouble. Caught between a rock and a ring of spears. This is rough luck as they try to just ring around the Rosie, but it's gonna be up to the Najah to finish the job. Windfire wheels take him up and bring back down a corpse. Extreme takes the kill, but do they descend back into their own end? A great through space and time. Keeps Najah safe for now, but Maswal blinks forward and takes him out with one last flurry of ice.
Not only does Merlin have, Alec taking quite a bit of poke here on Death's Row, but I don't know if you know this, there's a Bacchus behind you.
Bacchus behind you. Belt on the incoming. And one last swipe from the mutton shop. Alec goes down.
Yeah, that meat is not something that you want to eat right now. Look at that. How long has Bacchus been walking around with this turkey leg? That cannot be up to health
That's
food
expired,
safety
buddy.
standards. Yeah, that is expired. 1,000,000%. Can we get an EcoSure audit on the Bacchus kitchen right now? Because that's kind of crazy.
You work in that department, Easy. Maybe you should be the one conducting and file the paperwork as we continue to file some more funeral ledgers on the side of Wabi Sabi. Now it's single bind, who clearly are happy to take this scrappy way that Wabi Sabi enjoy playing. James and Alec are two players that love to fight, and clearly the rest of their team is molded around that as well. Now 9 minutes in, though, it's starting to cost you. It's starting to be bled dry. 3K ahead, and it might only just keep getting worse as Tito looks for the impel stun, doesn't find it though, and Alex actually fighting back in the meantime around this purple. Still combat to be had. Bacchus finds the flop, and Ares finds the blink. Evil Cole can't escape. They're already dead. No escape. Chains on 2. Pulls them all back in. The Threshold can try to buy him a bit more movement speed, but El Parcero instead buys the kill. El Langley fan goes down. The Windfire wheels bring Tito back in the action, but Extreme has no friends left on the front lines. Can they at least get one kill before they fall? No is the answer. Aurora on the killing spree, and in the meantime, Alec also dropped from the rotation coming in from Mosswall. It's all coming up single bind.
That Ares ult pulling in 3 people. Insane play from Aurora there. And Mosswall chasing after, going for the 2v1, having total confidence in themselves. I mean, you've got the Gem of Focus of the Book of Thoth. Your cooldowns are looking good. You've got a bit of movement speed there, but your scaling item that you started with, that Book of Thoth, is almost fully stacked. So the damage is here for Mosswall to be able to scoop up those kills and keep their lead well and ahead from El Pasera there.
I mean, and Musi, we talked about this. You mentioned the fact that this Merlin's going to be your most vulnerable target to try to go for. But instead, it's Aurora who's eating all this damage instead, and it's just not what you want to see. Took like 2 full kits and is still standing up tall, 2/3 of their health bar. That's that Warrior's Axe difference.
Not only that, but the shield splitter there too. Another item that saw some changes recently as we watch Alec die. Maybe Tito's low too.
This could be dangerous. It's a jumping party, but the smile doesn't reach their eyes. Tito stalks in the tall grass, the king of the jungle, but Aurora, king of the supports, takes down Extreme, but Alec actually manages to use the minions as a shield and gets back to base safe.
But with Extreme dead, it opens up the Pyromancer here for single bind. Remikami will be given the credit, but the gold will go to everybody, including that runic bomb. The first of many, I'm sure, for single bind. Be able to use that, get 1,000 damage off on either a Gold Fury, a Tower, a Fire Giant, anything your heart desires there.
All right, so Musi, I want to return back to the game plan here for Wabi Sabi. They have stacking items, they got Devos, they have a Book of Thoth, they have dead James. That's unfortunate. Good gank there from the Bacchus. And they might have a dead Giannis as well. Those flames certainly do burn hot, but one last tick would have done it. It won't happen. El Parcero barely able to stay alive. What is Wabi Sabi's game plan to get back into things?
I guess just trying to take this fight here. You know that some tools are down, up in the air as the Naja.
But it's Aurora, and they come right back down with a no escape that was waiting the entire time. Beads and flee is Odin's MO as they try to just abandon Extreme to the wolves. But Remikami is the one waiting in the wings, and they'll take the lambs to the slaughter. 2 more kills the way of single bind.
So at this point, D'Lo, the game plan should be to just lock down the farm that you can on your side of the map and just try to be wherever single bind isn't, right? Split the map. See if you can get a tier 1 tower. We haven't stripped away any of those. That's just gold in the pocket. Alec is dead. I'll miss you. Unfortunate day to be ADC.
Unfortunate day to be Don Chepe watching in horror as his 2 kids just kind of get ran at by the 5 members of single bind. Second Gold Fury, though, up on the mark. I don't think Wabi Sabi really have much business trying to engage with this unless it comes from a through space and time that's not even up. Second Gold Fury, uncontested, goes in the pockets of order.
It is really unfortunate, too. This Odin, we haven't really had a chance to see them pop off in the way that we're used to. And what's extra tragic is that single bind doesn't have any shells on their team, right? We talked about all the blinks they have, the beads they have, but no shell, right? I feel like that's kind of almost an ego play from single bind. Like, yeah, we don't need it. Like, we're just going to run at you. We're not scared of the Odin. We are not worried about it. Because if we just kill you before you get a chance to capitalize, like, does it even matter? Can we just get you first? And so far, it's panning out.
Yeah, they're blinking into the cage, Musi. They say, I want to be in the cage. I like the walls.
I love this cage. Feel safe.
This cage is my home. This makes me feel safe. But right now, Aries not feeling the safest. MTV, My Cribs. Check out the Odin's episode coming up next. But Cersei's Hexstone's an interesting little shout there from the Ares. Again, just one more means of starting and engaging a fight. You don't need a blink, but you can have a second one. Sure, why not? Aurora steps on in, and look at the damage being output here by this Ares. Tank who?
For real. Odin's gonna jump over the wall, but he doesn't have a way to get out once he gets in, so he's at the mercy of single bind here to live or die.
Oh no, Gungir's Might used just a bit too early, and that means you're gonna die in the midst of the cold. Buried in the blizzard, Aurora takes that kill.
Ramakami's gonna loop around the side here and find James, who has to bear on out of there. Meanwhile, Alec dies on the left side. It is not looking good for Wabi Sabi.
Our Million Sash can be used there just to try to get a bit
Oh,
of
good
damage
beats.
off, but sadly, going to be pinned against the wall and shoved in the locker. Mosswall takes the kill on Extreme.
You do burn the beads away from the Merlin there, but the question is, can Wabi Sabi even capitalize off that? You have some opportunities here, right? We have Agni Stuns, we've got this Artio, has a stun, a cripple. You can do it, but the problem is you have to get through the 4 bodyguards that are Remakami, Ella Langley Fan, Aurora, and Tito, that are just kind of saying, get behind me, President Moswell. We will keep you safe, as the Moonlight Naga wishes they had bodyguards of their own. It's getting burned away.
Yeah, it's like the nerdy kid in the Disney XD movie and like their 4 cool jock friends that just like they grew up with, so they let Moswell hang around. But that's exactly the issue, is that, again, you shout out as the Moonlight Queen does go to single bind, the fact that we need to see this Merlin die. They're 6-0, but how do you get past their 4 beefy boys? Pyromancer up next here for the Team of Order, and Alec up next for the chopping block.
Unfortunate. The gold disparity between the two ADCs is really rearing its ugly head. A full item plus a little shard there for Tito and 5 levels to boot. Ella Langley Fan is just gonna
Wow!
3 real fast.
What a great attention shift! The way that they started autoing Extreme instantly on their swivel, turns toward that Giannis the moment they see they're in range of the flop. Just excellent awareness that I'd rather take the mage, and I have the means and lethality to do so.
I'm gonna see a lot of Bacchus jungle in my ranked games now, aren't I? That's kind of that's the vibe that I'm getting here. It's crazy how much damage this character does with, you know, presumably tank items, but when you have that aspect on, you hit the chug, you smack somebody, it'll deal the damage.
Blink in with the belch, but I don't think they found the stun. Instead, it was Najat who tries to do so. The pillar actually blocks the majority of the Windfire wheels, and instead they die in a blaze of glory. Tito takes him down. Aurora chains up one and leaves them to the tick damage. Aurora on the rampage and steps right back out, 1 kill the wiser.
Do you still have the bomb available for single bind? They don't need it to take that bird, but the mid bird will be available. While you do have a couple ultimates available for Wabi Sabi for this defense, they don't have the manpower to stand up to the gold and experience difference that single bind has right now.
Yeah, 17 minutes, 17,000. Yeesh. Not the best. Ritual coming up here next. Wabi Sabi, gotta try to man an amazingly stellar defense here. What does their comp look like on the end of the backpedal?
I wonder if you almost need to play for the re-engage. Whenever single bind tries to go in on you, then you drop the cage on whoever is stuck inside and focus out the initiator there. And go from there? I mean, their defense is pretty solid. It's going to be harder to do, though, now that single bind picks up that fire giant.
Unfortunately, space and time couldn't have been used to try to go for the snipes. Instead, it's going to be used for a hasty escape because no one's quite sure how many members of single bind lurk in the wings. Ramakami tries to take down Evil Cole, but doesn't quite have the range on that Earthbreaker to do so. And now she's going to begin the 2v5. Alec in trouble. Support's going to bail them out the Windfire wheels, but again, where does Najat descend into? Danger. A portal bails them out for just a moment, but there's Cersei Sextone right on in. This Ares has eyes only for the Allfather. Ella Langley Fan, eyes only for Alec, and their eyes will be shut as they pass into the void. Roar is going to continue to beat down Extreme. Extremely dead. Ramakami will have their head. 2 members off the board, and single bind can maybe look for the end.
This does look pretty dire for Wabi Sabi, because if it's not this push that does it, the next one will have pushers, and here they go.
What a great blinking gauge off the belch. Sets up the stun, the Earthbreaker too, and the death of Giannis. Stay a while. I have no reason to go. We're already in the throne room, baby. Artio tries to bring the cripple, but they really should have brought more damage. Maybe more defense. Great dagger play there from Aurora. Keeps him alive to take the Titan. Aurora going to watches Mosswall. Dispels of Alec once more, and James will fall as well. Only one left, the Allfather, but all your kids are dead, buddy. Nothing to do but die yourself. Evil Cole will fall, and single bind will take it. Game 1 is their way.
Fairly commanding lead there from single bind. Start to finish, really solid play on the map. I mean, they played the right side especially well. When you get those first rocks, they go for the invades, and then they were there for the the second dip, as it were. And I think that really put both James in a really tough spot, the mid laner in a tough spot, and the Odin never really got to play the game.
POV, you are Don Chepe, their father, watching this match.
Oh no.
Not again. It's just unfortunate that these two plucky players, man, they're always up against some of these titans of the industry. But it's great to see the competition continue to rise. Great to see that persistence, that tenacity. And it's great to see more Smite Prime. It'll be coming at you right after the break. Hello, everyone, and welcome on back to Smite Prime, where the plays are always premium and the fight's always fresh. We just got to see a pretty interesting one there, though, despite what was a high disparity in the gold count, certainly was not a high disparity in the passion count. Am I right? Dilo, Musi here in the booth, Tess, Almighty Eye in the Sky, Jithin's man behind the curtain, and you watching at home. Musi, how we feeling?
I mean, it was La Pasión first game for sure. I do appreciate the fact that Wabi Sabi, they never gave up, they never gave in, you never backed down, never what, right? I don't watch a lot of Fortnite, so you have to forgive me. But I think if anything, you could appreciate the fact that Wabi Sabi just kind of kept their head of the game. They kept going for it. They kept trying to make it happen. It was just unfortunate that single bind was just so far ahead that it's kind of like when you hold your arm out, your little sibling is trying to like fight you and punch you. You just got the top of their head. You're just keeping them away. If you're an elder sibling, you know exactly what's going on here. They try to swing at you and like, bruh, bruh, bruh. You're just like, bruh, sit down, bruh. Sit down, bruh. It's not happening.
There were some moments of potential glory where James got off some really solid cripple fields there with the entangling vines, where you even had the Hercules taking a tumble, and it looked like there was some glimmers of opportunity. I just think that the issue is, of course, one, experience. That's just going to be a big issue in general. And also, of course, the composition just seemed to have a bit more tank, a bit more heft behind it. But we also got a big, hefty bracket coming at you with plenty of more wombo combo matchups. Taking a look across the board here, Musi, what do you see? What do you like?
I just remembered Witchcraft is a team that exists, by the way. And they're going to be waiting in the wings to see who wins between Thugs and Wardle Fan. That'll be pretty interesting. Smoke Break is back. Pumped for that, too. Los Amigos versus Clocked In sounds epic. My jungler is Obsidian. I feel you. Like... Me too. You know, actually, I'm timing right now, so.
I was about to say, Musi, I don't know about that one.
Back on the horse, man. I the ranked reset happened, and then I moved, and I've been busy. I will play ranked again later. I will be out there in just a second. Just give me some time.
Tune in,
okay?
Everyone, tune in for Musi's OSL set tomorrow to see how the sewer ends up performing. But anyways.
Gulp.
But like you said, we have Los Amigos stepping up to Clocked In. That's going to be the next match, and the next P's and B's got covered for you. And this is an interesting one, of course. You just talked about the fact that Witchcraft is present. That's the team that the last Conquest tourney around really took everything by surprise and took the horse by the reins. But Clocked In are the tried and true staples. Up against Los Amigos, a few names that we should also be familiar with here as well. Wrongu, Golden, some pretty solid players.
Little bit of layers action in there as well, so that's kind of hype.
Like
that's kind of cool. Oh yeah, like an onion or a parfait. Everybody loves parfaits, right? Or an ogre. No, see, we all knew it was happening. It was coming eventually. But talk a little bit more about the picks and bans. I think we're still gonna see similar bans that we saw before, especially that Hercules ban. Very, very necessary. If you weren't aware, that god is very, very strong. He just kind of lives forever, and you don't want to deal with him, right? Let's just eliminate him from the equation. But what about other things like the Aladdin? Things like maybe the Cuckoo aspect, that's still kind of out there. Thor is still really strong, but instead it's going to be Tsukiyomi.
I think you have no choice but to ban Aladdin if you're Los Amigos, unless you feel comfortable first picking it. We've seen this happen before when Sunprod's team tried to bait Clocked In to taking it first pick, but then Clocked In were like, I know Sunprod doesn't play the Aladdin. So, and that's a character that I feel like a lot of people don't play because it's so frequently comp banned. They just don't imagine they'll ever need to learn it. But then that against Clocked In presents the issue that you know they know it, so you have to do something about it or accept the inevitable that Paul is just going to stomp you on that god. So far, it's been, like you said, the usual offenders here. A lot of these physical side of the spectrum gods that have been a big threat. The Emoja is going to break that streak, but still the same idea. Big tank with big damage.
Yeah, just any of these range supports are so really good, especially because they can proc Warrior's Axe for free, basically, right? Yamoja
Stupid.
throws out a bubble, it's whatever. You can build Bluestone Yamoja now, right? I only heard of that in Tales of Shadow and Horror. Haven't seen it in person yet because it gets banned every game because the very concept of a Yamoja with Bluestone is enough to scare anybody witless. So they are just not going to deal with it. And with Baron Samedi out of the picture too, in my eyes, there are a lot of supports to be had, but ESET's going to be a very important one.
People are saying, bring Cthulhu in the game. I'm like, dude, we already have Eldritch Horrors. We have Yamoja with Bluestone. But hold on a second. Dude.
Whoa.
If y'all are trying to win my favor, like, you got it. But I don't decide who wins the games, guys. Los Amigos might be a bit misinformed about how things work here. You still have to play the game after. A mere top lock is insane. That's awesome.
I don't think I would have guessed that in a million years. If I mean, hold on, we gotta rep real quick. Straight reppin'.
There's the ESET you mentioned.
Cool, by the way. Yeah, there's the ESET I mentioned for sure. And Jingwei as well, very, very safe pick to have in your dual lane. She scales very well. She's very safe. She's got multiple dashes. Every single one of her abilities has a stim attached to it. So whenever she's pressing buttons, she's getting stronger every single time. So uses Lernium Bow pretty effectively. Crits in an okay spot, I think. You can build a Spectral, but that's one less item that you get to have as a general rule if you're a tank, so it's all well and said. I'm really curious about this Ymir, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I think we're just seeing an answer right now. You don't have the emoji on the board because Amigos banned it away, but nonetheless, it's training wheels. Again, Musi, we've talked about this concept ever since you mentioned the first time, that when you have an Uller, obviously what your goal is to burst someone apart. How do you do that? Easy to apply on-demand CC. There's nothing better, save for maybe a stun bots, than a Ymir cone freeze.
Well, what's also interesting too with that, Dilo, is you have the ESET picked into the Ymir, but ESET doesn't have great ways to get around Ymir wall.
That's true.
So
same with Jingwei.
Jingwei can ult away, but that's kind of it. So the Ymir pick feels value because it just has tools that are good against the picks that are, as a general rule, good, question mark. First pick worthy? I don't know. But when you're able to slam Hecate in your third pick slot anyways, which is what I would feel is a little bit more appropriate first pick, then Los Amigos are just kind of cooking with gasoline here. They know what they want. They know that it's not going to go contested, and then it's just good.
Dude, you know what's crazy about... Dude, Circle of Protection, more like Circle of Destruction. You try to stand inside the ESET ultimate, you're literally just baiting. You're begging this Hecate to ult you instead. Princess Party does provide another circle that protects the team, though, at the same time. So Clocked In, they're the one with layers. Layers of ways to save their team with those big magical ultimates.
We're going to be doing a lot of this during the game. I feel like we're going to have this.
You guys won't be able to see it, but know that
here. Yeah. You'll know that it's happening and know that it's there. The vibes are immaculate right now. Ardio, Princess Bari. Princess Bari, I think, is a Paul pick in the mid lane. They showed up really hard with it in Joust, the Joust tournament that we had last week. And honestly, they were looking pretty good with it. I don't hate seeing it again here for the mid lane. The Hua Mulan, though, for Los Amigos, again, interesting pick because we don't see her a lot, but the Ansile tech still very good. And honestly, being able to initiate with that Mulan ultimate catches a lot of people there from Clocked In.
This is so interesting. We also have the Ardio shout from Clocked In alongside the Sasano now. There's a very large lack of in-kit CC immunity here from Clocked In. It's going to come down to the ESET and Princess Bari. Genuinely, those ultimates are so important, not just to deal the damage, but also to save your team. So Clocked In really had to lock in to make sure that they're being aware not only of their positioning, but also their team's positioning and their team's health bars as well. Between these two comps, Musi, what's the identity? What is each team trying to go for?
I really like the amount of CC that Los Amigos has with their composition, and there are a lot of just kind of big circles to be had, or, you know, Mulan's more of a rectangle, but, you know, similar vein, right? You're pressing for, you're hitting somebody, bomba, right? But also solid single target CC, and some wider varieties of CC with things like Frost Breath, where you can kind of look at somebody and say, hey, you're dead. Right, Thor in the jungle will be able to ult a backliner late game and instantly blow them up. You've got some solid presence on the map with that semi-global ultimate, so rotations from Thor are going to be looking pretty good. And then you have Clocked In, who has this little bit more of a smorgasbord of abilities, but again, a lot of big circles with Eset, Bari, Susano. Ardio's able to get in the mix really effectively. I feel like what Clocked In does better than Los Amigos, though, is fight around the objectives.
Maybe the real objectives were Los Amigos we made along the way. As we get our way into the game, we're going to find out if Power of Friendship conquers all, conquers the Smite Prime Championships upon championships that Clocked In has won across this tournament's history. Nonetheless, we're going to have to wait a bit longer to find out. Game pause come through. But Musi, we already see where everyone's going to be laning. We saw a little bit of info there. Anything you got to glean for the team?
Deal, I'll be honest, I think you saw more than me because I loaded in and then immediately got hit with the pause screen and then I got dipped out. So walk me through it. Well, I mean, I'm assuming Ardio's headed to solo lane, right?
I believe I was able to see that, yes. And that makes sense in the sense that we have really typically for quite some time gotten to see her get a lot of damage across. We saw James pilot pretty well as well last go around. It could do a solid job, especially if a Thor's up against you. Having a crippling field to prevent him from Mjolnir's attuning on out could be really, really solid. We're going to hop right back in here and we can take a second look. It is indeed Karmic rocking that pick, but as we see this bush camp come through from Los Amigos, Musi, one thing I want to point your attention to as well is that Clocked In don't really have any good answers to Ymir Wall now that I think about it.
Unless they pick up a shell, which they do have one on
just
Happen.
One?
They happen to have one on Happen. But just one. Hey, think about it. Maybe that's all you need. Uh-oh. Karmic? Oh, no.
Guys, don't back
He'll
in.
be all right. Okay. Los Amigos. They get a swift exit so they can get back to their camps in time. Worth noting, we saw the hover there, as it would seem that there was some role trading. I want to say it was between Paul and Hydrogen that we saw, where the passives that you get from being a mid laner says that you get some extra gold, or no, the passive that you get from being an ADC says that you get extra gold on a minion last hit. And if you're a mid laner, your passive says you get an extra 2 mana per second. Both pretty decent for their respective roles, but when you give that ADC passive over to the mid laner, suddenly your mid laner, which has a better time landing those last hits on minions because of the way that they clear waves, you know, their abilities just kind of one-shot the wave. That makes it so that they end up getting a little bit more gold than maybe the ADC would. Now the ADC will have mana to box and lane and spam abilities.
So they're lying, Musi. They're liars, you're saying. You're saying these guys are liars with their pants on fire.
Reporting them for not playing assigned role, actually.
Oh, whoa, maybe report this kill spot go down the right side. One last auto is all Karmic needs, but one last auto is not what they can find. The big bad bear lurking in the woods, now it's survival horror here. But it does seem that Maria Lona is going to be able to get through the woods and stay alive for now. But man, that was close on both the left and right side. Still danger here as Karmic lurks around, gets the life tap, and finds the root. The bear gets the dash right on through. It's an easy solo dolo there for the Ardio.
It was kind of a timer moment there for the Mulan. As she's on the other side of that wall dealer, she's getting denied farm. The minions have already clashed from where Karmic is standing. That's why they're able to hit level 2, but the Mulan can't, and that spells certain doom, because with that root and slow, there's nowhere this Mulan can go to. She has no mobility at level 1.
This is going to be an interesting matchup here that I want to also call attention to, is that Thor versus Sano. When it comes to the early game advantage, who do you think has the priority? Who really wants to be trying to scrap, and who wants to play the farming game a bit more?
I do feel like Thor just has the ability to ruin the day of any other jungler in the game right now. You've got the wall, the hammer. You don't have to invest too much just to throw out a wall. And the hammer follow-up too does a lot of damage when you get that double tap off. So he does get some displacement immunity when he's using that Berserker's Barrage, so that spin to win. Can't get yoinked. It's not a bad matchup at all, 4 layers. Plus, once he hits level 5, his rotation impact is going to be kind of tough to deal with, especially because this E-set does not have beads.
And especially because we got training wheels, baby. The freeze into the stun. It's just so easy peasy to set up, but E-set's trying to play distance, trying to bait with their life potentially. Golden, not going to bite at it. Does take a bit of extra poke from the Jingwei, but overall, that small interaction right there just goes to show the power of this dual lane from Los Amigos.
Firebrands are going to spawn in about 10 seconds here, but neither jungler are on that side of the maps. You know, Tagveer kind of is, but looking to prio a little bit more in mid lane first. Whereas Layers level 4 hanging around for a potential purple invade, I would really prefer the Firebrands, and it looks like Clocked In does too. So Karmic already winning against this Mulan is going to have the Firebrand timers, so they'll be able to scoop up the next one too, and we could see a blue buff invade as well.
This is something that could genuinely have some rippling consequences across the entire pace. Because Layers, what did they get accomplished in that time? Just kind of standing around hoping that Clocked In are careless enough to step out beneath the tower, but they're not. Instead, it's going to be a purple buff invade. But I don't even think they managed to snipe it away. No, Jingwei floats out and evades the stun from Rongyu. Might have been the wrong move, but it's a solid rocket jump there, and that's going to be enough to dissuade any further engagement, though Paul is trying to make the rotation and potentially find a counter invade. Doing the level 5 difference after all, and they find the beads of Thor. Ari ultimate does come down, and the second Aegis rings true from Los Amigos. 2 relics, only in exchange for an ultimate. It's a pretty gosh darn solid trade.
You don't hate to see that at all, but what I like to see here from Clocked In is the way that they're putting a lot of presence on the left side of the map, just kind of showing that they are willing to commit to engagements. They are willing to make a statement. Kind of like the way that Tegvir is willing to walk up to this red buff and go for the invade here. Obo has to chill out in the bush and wait for help to arrive.
But nobody came. And neither did anyone come there for my friend Golden happen. Closes their eyes and takes one more kill for Clocked In. So far, about 5 minutes into this game. 2,500 gold lead. No gold for you on the board, and really not many kills either to speak of, Musi. I think it's just because Los Amigos are not quite prioritizing the farm on the map.
Clocked In is prioritizing Los Amigos' farm on the map. I mean, they play for the red buff invade. They're looking to take a swipe at the purple buff when available. You talked about the ripple effects from giving up those Firebrands, and I think when you give up those Firebrands early in the game, you've seeded a lot of farm on the solo side of the map because you give up the timers. That information is critical so that, you know, the enemy team can't know when you're going to be there. But when they know when the timers are coming up, when they know when those camps spawn, kind of like these Firebrands right now, as Susanoo waits in the wings, they know when they're supposed to be there. And that just means that they're going to be able to scoop it up every single time.
I think that's why this Mulan ended up actually placing down the ward, but will they put down their life for the cause? Medio Leona could be in trouble. Flame Brands do go down, and Tegvir tries to go on in. Layers forced to swing out. Even though that Thor, like you said, at the very least on paper, should be winning these matchups, a level down and also quite a bit of farm behind. It's not looking too great for Layers.
Tegvir going to take a swipe at Layers just to keep them away, but more than that, look at the way that Tegvir is positioning too. They're going to take that back right Scorpion camp and deny more farm away from Layers. And then when Tegvir finishes up here, where are they going to go, Dilo? Back to do their own farm. And that's what really exacerbates the lead here between the junglers.
So then what's the hope? What's the step stool we used to get right back in? It's certainly not Medio Leona as they just get dove beneath their tower. Karmic with a second solo dolo. Could be calling half
Getting
of the
left.
Shards of Ice begin to charge. So that's a nice Anvil of Dawn and a better wall as well. Nothing left for you to do. No shell to get through that wall. Layer's going to be able to take the kill. It's an airstrike in response to the Jingwei to gain some distance, and distance will be had. Nonetheless, Los Amigos do show that they have means of winning these fights, but sadly their only reward is support.
Layers gonna try to take away that purple buff. They'll have it, and a great wall from Rongyu denies Tegvir their chance at avenging their friend's death. But Dilo, you asked, how do you play into the fact that you lose a lot on the solo side? You play into the duo side. You try to get this Ullr really fed, really far ahead, and then maybe play for some Gold Furies here to level the playing field. And if you do that, you hope that you take that pressure and hope that by the time this mid pad spawns, you have the necessary gold and levels to be able to play for those pushers.
On the bright side as well, Obo's doing just fine. Just kind of having their little solo in the mid lane and not really having had too much divine interference. Run is fine, but the issue is that also means Paul has also had just a whale of a time getting these rotations for the Flame Brands without any issue. And if Abari is able to scale to late game, that's going to be a bad omen for Los Amigos.
Akatse does also have that late game scaling threat potential. So both teams are looking at that like, okay, this is progressing how we want. The Bari is scary, but an open the gates is equally terrifying. The problem here is that Paul's piloting the Bari, and that's what kind of makes you go, ooh, that's scary.
Well, so it is for my friend the Mulan. You have to be forced to use Divine Mastery, but sadly, CC immunity does not save you from Susano's triple dash threat. There's so much mobility, so much chase down potential from Clocked In when you look at their composition. But if you look at Los Amigos, they're prioritizing the pad in the mid. He said, I don't want to let that happen. Big circles upon big circles, a circle of protection as well as the Bari ultimate. Force Los Amigos to retreat. They do still have the man advantage, but how much more time? Susano and Ardia making their rotations. Los Amigos seem to be cognizant. They decide to melt on and back away. Clocked In, take the ritual.
Maybe a little bit more than that. Oboe hanging around on this left side and happens right behind them. Looks like they're going to back off, but with that ritual Clocked In, not only do they earn those pushers, they've got their teleporter resets. The UAV vision on the map will be very handy if they decide to take a look at something like Gold Fury, but without Happn's ultimate, their secure is not the best, so they're probably just going to play to clean the map of some farm here, confirm their own side, and then once they have their backs off, then they can look at a bigger objective or just forcing a fight. When you're ahead, you might as well just try to brawl with somebody just so that you can get a bigger objective on the map.
About 9 minutes in, it's 1-4, and a gold lead that is ballooning to about 5K without really too much in terms of the objectives going down. It's really been flame brands purely. No Gold Furies even to look at. Because this dual lane, like you said, from Los Amigos, has been performing pretty solidly, but solid's not going to be enough to beat the likes of Clocked In, especially once this Ardio starts to rotate. It's going to be really dangerous, especially if Susano joins in too. Divine Mastery perfectly positions Mulan behind that wall and perfectly puts them right back into place for the Anvil of Dawn. The stun's on the mark and the Mjolnir's attunement strikes true. Layers takes down Karmic. Now, Meteor Leona goes back in. I don't know if that was the call, but they won't be punished too hard for it. Los Amigos find the kill.
Not only that, they get to walk away with their lives intact, but it looks like you're giving up wrong you for it.
Let's see, that's going to be the case. Bari tries to drop the ultimate. Open the Gates comes through, but unfortunately finds nothing. But a bit of safety for Oboe. Wrongyu barely able to scrape out of that one, but we'll be grateful for it. A nice triplicate vision. They can't finish the kill, and Wrongyu takes the TP back in, just with hopes of trying to get a sneaky assault. It won't happen, but at least Los Amigos stay alive.
Unfortunately, Oboe didn't have enough charges in that Hekate ability, the second one, to fire off there and get the damage that they needed. Plus, Paul starting off with this Warrior's Axe gives them just a little bit of protections, 10 of each to be had, so means that until you get your penetration online, you won't be dealing all the damage that maybe you would assume you'd be doing to a quote-unquote squishy target. But I do like the way that Los Amigos is showing up a little bit in that solo lane, take some pressure off of this Mulan, give her a fighting chance. Now we also got to take that pressure back over towards the duo side, keep Golden nice and as head as possible, right? They're still a little bit down, but keep the Uller threatening. Make it so that if you get hit by an axe, you have to ask yourself the question, do I have to beat this? Is this going to be an issue? Because if you can force those options away from Clocked In, if you can keep yourself relevant, that means that you're able to still make an impact on these fights.
I also want to give a shout to our friend Layers here because, and yes, I'm doing the motion behind the camera, you guys can't see it, but Layers has hit two-man Anvil of Dawns, and that's so pivotal. If you're trying to reverse the odds, there's nothing better than a big stone with some big damage on top. And it's really important that Layers stays precise with those ultimates. If you can keep doing that and keep sidewinding Clocked In when they think they have the man advantage, that is all Los Amigos need to turn the tables.
Something that's really interesting to me right now, D'Lo, 2 barbed carvers in play, one for each jungler, right? Oathsworn start for Tegvir to be able to get some early penetration started, and you have the Pendulum Blade for Layers. That makes sense, but the Barbed Carver is a little bit of a newer pickup that I'm seeing here, at least for today. Just because it kind of fell out of grace when Lifesteal stopped being as relevant, right? But it looks like for these junglers, when you're able to spam so many abilities, and especially auto-attack cancel is going to be the big important thing, you rack up a lot of damage from your Barbed Carver, and you give yourself a little bit of sustain as well.
Why not just try to add to the longevity of the team when you can? This Thor, with the aspect, of course, already has a bit of sustain built on it, so why not add a bit more to the ledger? This Mulan, though, has not really been able to sustain much pressure in their own right, and I'm curious, Musi, for your opinion as a solo lane expert, as Meteor Leona tries to show what they can contribute. What really can the Mulan do, is the question. Fan of Shell Force Stout, and maybe not even needed, but Thor's present in the sky, and they land back down with a crash. They interrupted the dash as well. That's going to be all they need to finish the job. Layers beads the stun to make sure Karmic will drop.
Before I knew the Thor ult was coming, I'd tell you to back out of there. Don't take that fight. You don't want any part of that. Just try to get whatever farm you can. Once you know your Thor's in the way, W key at them, do as much damage as possible. Similar fashion, clocked in, deal a bunch of damage to a Pyromancer, kill it, take their bomb. But I like the fact that Merio has been staying relevant in this lane and staying threatening, baiting themselves to set up and capitalizing on the fact that Karmic likes to play up, Karmic likes to play for kills. Layers can say, cool, if there's an RDO up there that's gonna dump her kit on my Mulan for free, I will in fact just gank her and kill her right away.
And the 0-3 slash line does not do enough as a testament to how Mereoleona has played as a really solid piece of bait that's kind of dangling in front of the bear's mouth, and then you hit him with the bear spray, all of a sudden, Layers comes in from the sidelines and just swipes him off the map. That's really solid. That allows this Mulan a chance to really contribute the late game. Unfortunately, that minion means that Axe can't contribute to the stun. Golden gets knocked up, and Jingwei rises to the sky, forces out the Aegis instead. And it's going to be Rongyu comes in to finish the job. Nice little trifecta action from Los Amigos, gets him the kill.
I love the way that Layers has been playing the map so far. They are over in solo, they're over in duo, they're getting kills for their team. Even Ymir gets to eat up a little bit. Meorio, your Thor isn't with you. I don't think you win that trade, unfortunately. The Mulan just doesn't have the damage to be able to stand up to the RDO. She doesn't trade very well into RDO because RDO is constantly healing. She's got more abilities, the Yogis, the Boombas. It's not a great look. But you make yourself look appetizing. Happen is down.
Very tasty. Wall blocks off Tagvir's normal escape route, but Bari's on the way, so I don't imagine we'll see any more bloodshed. Now things are starting to get a bit more interesting on the kill board. 14 minutes in, 5-4 in favor of Los Amigos, starting to wind back that gold lead by just a little bit, and maybe starting to make some money moves of their own. First gold Fury of the game on the mark so late is not typical, but certainly appreciated. Los Amigos take that with no contestation.
Well, and it also kind of helps look towards tying up this gold lead deal. I mean, what did you say earlier in the match? It was kind of a crazy number for so early on in the game, but if you take a look at it, yeah, it was like a lot. But now you take a look at it, it's not that bad. That's pretty playable, IMO. But you need to keep your eyes peeled and open. That Queen Naga has spawned. You want to be able to pick that up. Dilo, it gives you 5% int and strength for your whole team when you kill it, and it drops that Star Strike ritual that is so pivotal. You could be able to pop it in a team fight. It's like a calamitous Ratatouille procs for everybody and their grandma.
15% penetration, 0.5% now. That's the Lost Knight. Sorry, guys. Don't make
That's the Lost Knight.
misinformation.
Yeah.
I miss him. Everything makes me think of him. But Mereoleona, under some pressure, you can see just how much priority there is on that Moonlight Queen for that reason. But going to be left alone to their own devices. They were able to retreat thanks to Divine Mastery, and they actually pulled back the bear. Nicely done there to find the CC. Now Karmic's in trouble instead. Stay a while once again, but we're not going anywhere until you're dead, buddy. Golden takes the kill, and now Los Amigos bear the advantage. Rongyu, the Cersei's Hexstone forward and a wall as well, but the backup wasn't even there. The ESET didn't know, so they used the Phantom Shell. Layers off the mark with the ultimate, but at the very least, Los Amigos do have numbers advantage for the Moonlight Queen. They're going to pull it in earnest. There's still damage on board you have to watch out for. Golden takes a bit of poke, and that's going to be enough to force Los Amigos back.
Ultimates are available still here. 4 clocked in. So you have to be careful. Again, Los Amigos capitalizing on the fact that Karmic wants the W key. Looks like Paul's doing a little W keying of their own here.
Oh, trouble there for Rongyu. Don't try to bait your own life if you don't have friends ready to leap at the opportunity. Rongyu does manage to get out. He opened the gates that come out from Oboe, but have not caught anyone just yet. You need to see these open the gates off the back of a freeze, because if it's just raw, it's oftentimes not going to scoop up anyone. Now clocked in. Take priority over the pad, but Los Amigos have tools and numbers to try to contest. Watch out, though, for the RDO on the left.
The question is, do they want to go up and go for it? Layers throws out the wall, but not able to find anything.
They're now cognizant of the RDO's presence to the left, but they also have the wall as well. Great pull comes in for the Mulan. Circle protection as well as the Bari ultimate. Layers upon layers, but it's not enough to save happen as Golden takes down that kill. Ritual to be picked up there by Clocked In, but unfortunately, they lose their ESET.
And they lose their ESET, and Clocked In are still able to get their pushers. Los Amigos trying to force something here in the mid lane, but with so many defenders, that tower does not look like it's going down anytime soon.
And especially with Golden not finding these axes raw, that's again why you need to see the CC lead into more CC. Players trying to make that happen. Does grab the oracles for the side of Los Amigos, so at least some farm goes their way. But now the Moonlight Queen is still the big asterisk, still the big question mark, the elephant or the snake woman in the room.
And it'll just despawn. Nobody will get a chance to actually scoop up the buff for themselves, but it drops the consumable anyways. You see that little clock right below the game timer Dilo? Dictates when it's day and when it's night. You only have a limited amount of time to get that Queen Naga. So, like I said, you don't get your 5% strength or in scaling, but Karmic did get the Star Strike Ritual, and honestly, call it a hot take, I think that's a little bit more important, honestly. Being able to pop that consumable on an objective, on a team fight, it just kind of is a win a fight button. It's very hard to lose when you have that consumable popped.
We'll have to see if that means anything. It's 1v1. And Leona now feels like they can more so stand on their own 2 feet. I'll make a man out of you. Or a bear out of you, I suppose. About 19 minutes in the game, and like you said, this gold lead's diminished quite significantly, but Los Amigos do still rattle a bit behind, about 2k down. And the mid lane, everyone's just kind of posturing, aura farming, trying to find an opportunity. Might be here on the left side as Golden as well as Hydrogen both back off. No one wanted that smoke once the tank started to get involved.
This does open up an opportunity for Hydrogen to take a look at that left side, go back to farming a bit. We don't have any penetration available for this Jing Wei, but they make up for it with that Hydra's Lament, so squishies that this Jing Wei comes into contact with are under duress. Whereas you do have the Titan Spade fairly early bought by Golden in the 3rd slot. Usually it's 4th. That means that if we hit that E set, she can die.
Oh, maybe it's hit the CC. Phantom Shell gonna put you down to hell. Elbow takes him down. It's gonna be the portal dropped as well, just to ensure the wall does not cut off the Bear's escape. That means Karmic is able to get out with just a little bit of health left. Wronghu's in trouble, but maybe we could potentially bait for their life as they've been doing so far. Los Amigos, slowly but surely winning these fights. It's never a massive engage. It's always usually 1 kill at a time, but that's all you need to stack up the bodies and stack up the gold.
Los Amigos, they're actually ahead in kills. That's kind of crazy when you think about it. Layers has been moving a little bit differently, I think, this game. Just the fact that of the 8 kills, they have been part of 7 of them for Los Amigos. There was only 1 kill where this guy didn't show up and make it happen for his team. So as we watch team fights in the future, Dilo, my eyes are going to be glued on top of Layers to see how he makes it happen, how he goes in, what he looks for in the initiations. Because that is going to be the difference maker for Los Amigos to be able to win these games, honestly.
Well, and that's the reason why is partially because Wronghu and Layers can work so beautifully in conjunction. These walls, again, what is the answer? You have 1 Phantom Shell, and last time we saw it used was the E set blowing it selfishly to ensure their own life instead of playing for the teams. They are building a 2nd relic. I wonder if it's going to be a talisman, but the last time we saw Tectonic Rift come out, Paul had to use their beads. 60 seconds of danger here for the Bari, and Los Amigos can take advantage.
It could be a Talisman of Purification. It could also be an upgraded Shell as well. Shell of Rebuke is a very, very powerful relic, active item, to be able to have in your slot. Not only does it give you that shell, it reduces damage too, so also gives you the opportunity to buy a different relic. Honestly, I wouldn't hate to see something like a beads here for this E-set, just to make sure that she can keep herself safe. Happen has been getting dunked on.
I know, but do you know that I know? That you know?
I know.
That I know. Hydrogen. We know. Hydrogen grabs a quick little gold chalice, but that's not the whole enchilada. Pulls the Fury and drops him inside the circle, but they're outside of it, actually. It's going to go to Los Amigos. That is unfortunate. E-set ultimate, but all for what? Los Amigos still take the objective.
And with that, the gold lead becomes shorter and shorter. Los Amigos scaling very nicely towards this late game. And what's important, too, is that Minorio has been farming this whole time and is actually caught up to Karmic.
Nice.
In terms of items as well, because they have 4 items matched with Karmic's 4 items too. So Karmic's probably holding on to a little bit of gold to get like a tier 2 or a tier 1 or something like that. But now the Mulan gets to play the game with the rest of their team. Still waiting to see the Ancile tech so that when you pop it, you ult in, everybody gets silenced. But honestly, she could still be very annoying and live for a long time. Dwarven Plate, Shield Splitter. Not too bad. She's just going to be the thorn in the side of backliners that you can't kill right away. And she'll die eventually, but not right away. You have to burn resources.
Gotta burn this Pyromancer quickly. Blocked in or present. I don't know if Los Amigos are looking for the fight. They're looking for the objective truly. A stun through the wall. The beads forced out there from the E-set. and they turn the CC back on top of Golden. Pyromancer now pulled by Clocked In and dropping pretty quickly. They decide to let it reset. They don't want to risk things, knowing that it could go awry, but Ultimate's on board for every single member present. 5v5, truly about to get hectic. Watch Lairs to see if they're able to make something happen. Tegvir tried to do so. They decide to go back in, but Thor's already in the ultimate, and the beads are already off of the Sano. This could be trouble. The Typhoon charges on in, and Lair says that looks like a great landing zone as they decide to descend on down, but Tegvir descends to hell. Meteor takes him down. It's a great open the gates, pulls back too. Ardio's in trouble, but Lairs is too. Meteor Leona gets taken out by Hydrogen, and now the Thor has to flee the scene. They can't. Karmic shuts him down. What happened to Los Amigos? Ellos todos van a morir. Now it's the cripple coming in. Ardio gobbles up Golden alive for the double. Wrong you put on a platter. Obo's the sole survivor.
How did that happen to Los
What?
Amigos? That fight looks so good for them. And you have a crazy ultimate from the Akate, and yet somehow I have to wonder if we did not ult the targets that we wanted from the Akate. Karmic was able to get in the back line and just cause a whole lot of havoc. Lair's ultimate was a little bit off the mark, and we had to put in so much to kill Tegvir because they were inside the Bari ultimate too. So they had just a little bit more of a chance to live. He had to use another resource in order to get that kill, and that was the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back, it would seem. As Clocked In, clean up that fight and clean up this Fire Giant as well. And with this Fire Giant coming up just in time for the mid pad 2. Tier 1s and left side, tier 2s and mid and right. You can expect those are going to get trimmed pretty quickly.
Musi, the fact of the matter is that was like the first 5v5 real engagement we've seen where more than one or two bodies dropped at the same time. And the fact that it was so devastating took all the wind out of Los Amigos' sails that they've been running with so far. Now the gold lead balloons up once more, 6k ahead. Clocked In, get the Pyromancer as well. It's just really feeling rough. Los Amigos, man, you mentioned it. Watch Lairs, and the moment Lairs took their eye off the ball, it fell into a ditch.
Yeah, I do not want to cross the highway to go pick that thing up either. Like, you can keep it there. Hold on, wait, we're in the bush. Maybe we find hydrogen here.
I think hydrogen knows.
I think.
Go to back away. So yeah, it seems that
Yeah.
they're gonna stay safe for now. But I like the fact that Los Amigos are trying to play wily. But at a certain point, those Coyotes got to get back to the den, and indeed, they decide to back to base.
I feel like one of the big ways that Los Amigos is winning these fights is that they're kind of isolating a target, taking them off the board, and then fighting the 5v4 afterwards. I really do feel like that's going to be their win con. And they're able to make that happen with Lairs on this Thor, with Rogyu being able to throw out walls, separate a couple of players from their teammates, but they weren't able to do it this time. In a straight 5v5, Clocked In can't just kind of run at you and win. So you need to not take a 5v5. You have to find a way to make it a 3v5, a 2v5, or something like that.
Those walls are a great way to do so. Double tap as well. Finds decent poke damage. Hydrogen is a bit poked out. Dagger going to be on one, but Golden going to be at the end of the spit. Paul takes him out, and Clocked In now. They have the 5v4 advantage. Phoenix going to be looked at next, and Los Amigos not sure if they want to put up a soft defense or just cede it to the enemy. Might be ceding a lot more, though. You can't lose your Thor here. Good to spell magic to keep Lair safe, but the bees were forced off as well. Los Amigos watch from the wings as the bird melted away.
Los Amigos don't have to worry about any kind of end call here whatsoever. Not with the amount of towers that are up, not with the fact that Golden's going to be coming in 20 seconds, but there is plenty on the map to scoop up instead as Clocked In with that pusher still in the left side are going to want to trim some of these towers before they pick up that Ancient Gold Fury, so that they can get the maximum amount of efficiency from it. And Los Amigos, they just don't really have the way to slow down Clocked In. I really feel like you're ceding a lot here, unless you can find somebody out and about by themselves. But with the way that Clocked In have been grouping so far, it's not going to happen. You got to grit your teeth. You got to get ready for the next 10 minutes of the game, because it's going to be brutal until this FG wears off.
Well, it is going to happen in the sense that Happen is now present, thanks to those pushers, easily able to TP right back to the rest of the team. That being said, didn't want to force the issue. Clocked In recognized that there's still an Ancient Fury in the map, and that can easily weaken that left side bird on down. Los Amigos can at least thank their lucky stars that they have more time to find a bit more farm, but that comes with a big asterisk, Musi, that they inevitably will return.
2 towers off the board, a Phoenix off the board. This gold's going to get scooped up as well. That means Clockton's going to have a lot of gold to spend. Wrongyu walks up.
And instantly backpedals. My bad, Mrs. Bear. I didn't mean it. They're instantly trying to run away. Mario Leona poked out. The Barrio could have dropped as well. Priority seems to be on this Mulan, but Wrongyu could find themselves in trouble as well. A great wall tries to slow the approach. The leap from Golden, but the Aegis won't save her from the CC, pal. Instead, it's going to be the open the gates, brings back in one, but Karmic is present in the back, finds the Sunder as well. That's solid damage. They're looking to gore Golden to death. Easy double kill there for the Bear Goddess. And Los Amigos have been routed. What was an attempt at a Gold Fury steal has now become 2 lives down on the defense.
Clockton are going to be able to take a look at this left side bird. 2 people dead for 40 seconds, but no FG for Clockton. They can't end the game here, D'Lo. Unless, of course, they find a couple of picks, and if Wrongyu and Layers oblige, that will spell a different story. But there's so much gold in the pockets of Clockton that, honestly, you want to reset here, you want to back, get your items, go to Pyromancer. FG is going to be right around the corner, so got to make sure that you spend your money so it actually means something. But Los Amigos try to go for kind of a Hail Mary play there, honestly. They don't make it to the golden time, and they end up almost losing it all. So you just got to be a little bit smarter about the battles that you're picking, because now they're not going to be as strong for this FG defense. And if they give up Fire Giant again, Clockton can win the game off that.
13,000 behind Los Amigos in a really rough spot. And again, our eyes shift to the Thor. What can Layers do to try to bring their team out of this slump? The issue, Los Amigos as well, they have a really rough team for disengaging. This Akate and this Ymir do not feel good when they're trying to backpedal. They feel good trying to lock people off, not block enemies off that are chasing you. And Clockton, as you've also mentioned, Musi, have an amazing rundown team. This Asano, this Ardio, Hydrogen, everyone is really solid at circumventing obstacles when it's to try to reach a kill rather than evade being killed.
And with their gold, Karmic's able to finish off their last items. We don't see too many starters being finished off here. Paul and Hydrogen being the roles that get the most gold. They'll have their Sundering Axe and their Gilded Arrow. So Hydrogen's just going to be having a lot of damage with this crit, especially if they're able to get those max distance autos. And the Brawler's Beat Stick online for Ardo means that whatever amount of sustain that Los Amigos thought they had will be denied with that little bit of anti-heal. But more importantly, Tegvir with this Magi's Cloak offers them a little bit of safety.
Yeah.
An auto set of beads, so when they get hit by a hard CC, they become CC immune. They won't have to worry for a bit. So that means they can be a little bit more selective about what they choose to beads.
E-set as well, rocking that same fashion. And that just also not only means that you have to be more selective with the beat, you don't have to be selective with the beats, but also Los Amigos are demoralized. What do I use to first that bubble? Might be a great wall. Separates 2. The beat is going to be the call right back, but again, maybe some buyer's remorse. That's just too much damage to deal with. Wrongyu's already low, and it might just be Golden going down first. Hydrogen takes him out, but Meteor Leona counters it back onto Paul. Anvil of Dawn off the mark. That means Layer's got no business being here. It's a great stun encounter, but the Wing Gust sweeps him on up. Happen takes that kill.
Mid-Phoenix respawns, but Oboe is going to be in a spot of bother. Karmic will be able to chase him out. You don't even have to kill this guy. Just keep him occupied, because while this is happening, Clockton can end the game.
I don't think Oboe's got a chance in hell of surviving this encounter. Just too much mobility here from Karmic. A good Mez, though, at least stalls it out. But like you said, using the defense at the home base could be the rougher instinct. Wrongyu able to try to stall and ball for a little bit longer. Rocket Jump gets him back to the fountain. Tegvir can't do much about that. It's going to be the front line's case to try to hold on, but they can't do so. Oboe can't either. It's a Shards of Ice and Desperation, but Desperation won't get you anywhere but the gray screen. Los Amigos take the fall. Clockton take round 2.
Los Amigos was looking really good in that mid-game when the rotations and the ganks were a little bit more relevant, especially from characters like Thor. But once we hit the 5v5, Clockton knew their game plan. They knew how to play it. And because of the lead that they had been developing beforehand, they were looking very, very strong when the time came.
You know, Quasimodo predicted all of this when those first Flame Brands went down.
It's true.
It's true.
I don't get that reference.
And you know what's also true? That's Sopranos. I'll tell you about it during the break,
Oh.
which is coming up right now, guys. Stick around. More Smite Prime after this. Hello, everyone, and welcome on back to Smite Prime, where the plays are always premium. D-Lo and Musy still here behind the scenes. Tess had to jet, which means that Jithan's not only your almighty eye in the sky, but still behind that curtain. Thanks, Jith. And you, still watching, loyally, at home. Musy, how are you feeling?
Well, I have to say I'm a little discombobulated after you beamed the entirety of The Sopranos into my brain. It was a disorienting experience for sure, but I gotta say, the ending of that show, very ambiguous, for sure, but I think really cool ending for television. The ending of this game spells a little bit of uncertainty for anybody who is heading up against Clocked In, though. I will say that Los Amigos played really well, especially in that mid game. Like I said before, Layers really making it happen with the Thor pick. I liked a lot of what I was seeing. It got the Mulan back in the game. Golden had his chance to shine, but when we got to the 5v5, just didn't translate the way that we were hoping for. Clocked In, pressed a bunch of big circles, and just kind of walked over everybody.
Yeah, Lairs never had the makings of a varsity athlete anyway. They did play pretty solidly, to be completely real. It was just unfortunately a better 5v5 coming in from Clocked In. Los Amigos just couldn't keep up once more numbers got added into the fray. But we got some more teams about to be added into the fray as we take a look at the bracket here right now. Witchcraft up against McDonald's Sprite. Who do you think is better at making potions? The people that make the McDonald's Sprite or the Witchcraft? You know, the brouhahas that are there in their cauldrons, Musy. Your thoughts?
They put something in that McDonald's Sprite that just makes it better than normal Sprite. And I know that's a very popularly held opinion. I'm not like really breaking new ground with that, but like all I know is that where I work, they've got Starry, right? And it's not Sprite, okay? It's just not the same. So McDonald's Sprite probably has a leg up in terms of raw craft power, right?
You gotta imagine. So we'll have to see if that ends up being the lore matchup that plays on the field in front of us. But beyond that, the bracket's kind of what you expect. I think I saw a smoke break and be up against Clocked In. And like you said, we'll keep a little pin on that. We'll keep an eye on Clocked In and see if they continue their dominance as we saw before. And it's also interesting to me that, speaking of things we've seen before, you talked about it a little bit during the game, but Paul rocking this Bari's axe, right? Mm-hmm. The Warrior's axe Bari. It's interesting that they're kind of bringing that tech that they saw in Joust, and we're seeing it still be pretty gosh darn effective as well in the Conquest field. So a lot of the things that maybe we get to carry forward, despite the very different game mode, the very different context, it's still just as effective here on the bigger map.
I mean, if anything, I think you, me, all the audience out there have learned that the Warrior's Axe nerfs are entirely justified and still very much worth it. Start item's just pretty good, especially on a character like Bari, because she's able to keep herself up. She doesn't need to worry about mana regen or anything like that, so being able to constantly throw the balls out to proc the Warrior's Axe, to get a little bit of extra health, to keep herself up for her ultimate, it just makes her very hard to kill, and that gives her more inherent value, just being able to throw out extra, giant Bari balls.
Well, we get some extra value for you here in terms of the Smite Prime bracket. P's and B's coming at you next for our quarterfinals matchup, guys. We're starting to approach the pinnacle of the peak. Witchcraft and McDonald's Sprite. Who's got stronger potions? Maybe you should go somewhere with weaker potions. We'll find out who's got the stronger P's and B's draft board. Is there any pattern that you've been seeing today as far as what picks kind of rule the day and what compositions dominate?
Pattern. I mean, if anything, it's things that we already know, right? Hercules is very strong. Hecate is very strong. The range supports are still pretty solid. So, Geb first ban. I don't know which Witchcraft knows, but it's something that I'm not privy to, that I'm a little bit scared of, right? McDonald's Sprite doesn't know Ball because they don't know that Sunprod doesn't play Aladdin like ever. But this is going to leave open things like the Odin, another thing that we want to talk about patterns. Odin has been seen either almost every game so far that we've seen today. This will be the third, but we see him a lot as a general rule, D-Lo, is what I'm really trying to get out of here.
Naja being banned away as well. That's interesting considering that the times that I've seen it so far, both times in fact, piloted by Wabi Sabi, whether it be this week or last, didn't really see too much effectiveness. So I'm curious why Witchcraft are putting a lot of attention on that. It seems like one ban that like I'm with you on the Herc. Everything else I'm like, what do y'all know? What y'all are cooking? You got an Odin cooking up. First pick there for Witchcraft.
See the Odin here. You know what I haven't seen yet that I'm surprised I haven't seen, because I have a lot of personal stock in the pick, because I feel like it has some very good matchups in the solo lane. No Cabrakan. Haven't seen a whole lot of the Cabrakan quite yet.
True.
Like, I feel like that's another pick that could definitely show up, but there are some still fairly solid options to have in your solo lane still. I mean, things like the Achilles is always a very safe pick to have. Bologna still has a little bit of value, maybe lower in your draft. You don't want to prio it anytime soon, but there's so many things to have in that lane that I'm kind of curious to see if we get more variety in that area.
I mean, well, that's going to have to wait probably to the Fearless part, those vaulted picks, because Merlin and Eset going to be your same old, same old. Guan Yu, we've seen it banned, now we get to see it played. Uller as well. Physical side of the spectrum looking pretty scary from Witchcraft. If you're caught inside the Odin cage, that Guan Yu cavalry charge could certainly be frightening. But what's got me a bit worried, Musey, is apart from the Uller, where are the training wheels? There's not really a lot of on-demand CC.
I mean, it's Zapman, right? Does Zapman need training
All right,
wheels?
you're right. My bad.
You know,
you're right.
like,
Zapman learned how to ride a bike the moment
know,
he was born.
He knows how to ride. You know, Zapman knows how to ride. So he's going to be able to hit these axes fairly consistently. And I think if Zapman misses an axe, I don't think any of us were meant to hit them, right? It's just kind of the name of the game.
Fair point.
I do still really like this Witchcraft team, by the way. We saw them. Anthony and I had a chance to watch them win one of the Smite Prime Conquest NA kickoff games. They won the whole kit and caboodle, actually. So I'm really excited to see if we can replicate that magic. They're having a good run so far. I want to see them make it happen again.
I always love seeing Odin be operating the jungle, because I think having that cage on a rotation is so much more effective than having that cage stagnant inside of one lane until the late phases of that game. It's just more effective. It causes McDonald's Sprite to really consider their relic choices a lot more carefully, but maybe that's not where we end up seeing this Odin walk to, because I see a Loki hover, and I know Sunprod likes that god as well. Switched over to the Baron, a different trickster of a different role.
I was gonna say, Loki, I don't know. Baron Samdi, I do like that quite a bit. But where are we going with these picks, actually, now that I think about it, right? Because in my mind, we have Guan Yu, that is a very good support option. Baron is also a very good support option. I wonder if it's going to be a Guan Yu solo and Odin in the jungle. I feel like Odin in the jungle is like one of the best places to put him. You got to keep that cage mobile. Got to keep the threat of needing that shell constantly.
Yeah.
Baron and solo, maybe now that he builds Warrior's Axe, he's a little harder to deal with, you know? Like he can kind of keep up in terms of that, but Guan Yu in support, I feel like, is just kind of the place where you want him to be. So I'm kind of interested to see how Witchcraft kind of flexes their comp here. There's a lot of question marks, and I think that puts a little bit of pressure on McDonald's Sprite's mental, saying, you know, as they are also trying to piece the puzzle of where are these picks going? They are all generically good, and once we hit the 5v5, it doesn't matter. They're just going to win.
At least there's a bit of clarity with the Disco being the mid for Witchcraft, and I really like that. Again, training wheels. That Field of Madness, which if it's one member, you get a root. If it's two, you get a madness or more. And that is just so easy for an Uller to hit a nice axe off of. Also, it's just so easy to apply. Its wake-up time after cast is incredibly fast. If you place it properly, it's not reactable unless you have a leap, which granted some members of McDonald's Sprite do. In fact, the jungler does as well. Now that Hoonbots joins the Animal Parade, we know exactly what McDonald's Sprite are going for. More big circles with more big CC.
You cannot screw up big circles. Or you can. It's very hard to screw up big circles. Hunbots, Eset, Merlin, we got it in spades. Juan Mulan with the rectangle as well. Definitely, I think between either Odin or Guan, her matchup is okay into them. I think she has a little bit of a better matchup into the Guan Yu, just because the arrow can interrupt Guan Yu's main form of clear. Just don't think that she really has the chance to kill any of these, you know, either of the two characters, just because Odin can leave, Guan Yu can heal. But when it comes to the team fight, still very impactful, especially when you've got things like that circular protection, you've got the fear no evil, so she's very good at holding people in place so that we can get our damage off and just use herself to bait out more resource options.
Well, we're going to have to hop in the game to see who can use those resources better. Witchcraft, McDonald's Sprite, quarterfinals here in Smite Prime, D-Lo Music behind the mics, Jithin's now behind the cam, and we get to see just what these comps get to provide. Musi, take a look at the roles. Is everyone where you want them?
I think so. I like this, right? Snatty gets to play Baron in the solo lane. Snatty's pretty comfortable with that pick as well. I like the Sunder Soul Conduit gem, though. Soul Conduit gem. That's a ship name between two items. The Conduit gem, excuse me. Going to be able to assist Baron in the clear, especially with the Sunder 2. That means that Snatty will be able to get to lane pretty quickly and effectively. So I like seeing that there. Meanwhile, over in the dual lane and also the mid lane here, no Warrior's Axes for Witchcraft, but we do have a bunch of Sands at times, so it's just going to be constant cooldown spam for this Witchcraft team.
Well, you have to cool down a little bit long with the game pause coming through, but alongside that Guan Yu's Conviction, yeah, there is a lot of ability spam potential, so they're looking for maybe a bit more of a sustained fight. And that makes perfect sense for Guan Yu when you consider what they want to do. They want to make it a death by 1,000 cuts. They can stretch out the length of the fight. That means more opportunities for heals, more rotations of cooldowns and abilities. If you're on the other side, McDonald's Sprite have got to cut these fights off quick. It's got to be one rotation of abilities. The Fear No Evil has got to be on the mark.
Fear No Evil, Circle of Protection, Merlin damage sorted out. It's interesting too because Merlin's also really good at sustained engagements just because he's okay to kind of take a step back, throw out a couple of things there, right? You got the boom, boom, boom. Like, that's kind of what he does. Now he's kind of in an uncomfortable position knowing that it doesn't matter how many Merlin abilities you throw out. The Guan Yu is just going to be able to kind of sit there, heal their team up a little bit, look for that re-engage. Definitely a game where you want to look to pick up some anti-heal, a Divine Ruin, a Brawler's Beat Stick, something along those lines, just so that maybe we can limit the effectiveness of the sustain that Witchcraft has drafted for themselves. But you're right on the money, D-Lo. When they go in, when they start a fight, they got to end it as soon as they start it.
Yeah, decisive playmaking, decisive targeting is going to be important. We're going to hop right back into the game here. Apologies for that pause. We don't want to take our eyes off the action. Musi, we just kind of gave a little bit of a sneak peek as far as what the 5v5 might look like, but how about the early stages of the game? Who's got the advantage then?
So we do have Hunbots with the aspect, which means that Solstrix is clear, maybe not going to be as strong comparatively to Sunprods. And what Sunprod has also picked up for themselves here is that Sunder. So this Odin's going to be walking around camps, clearing them, and just moving on to the next thing. I really do feel like both teams are, for the most part, waiting for that level 5 difference before they go for anything too crazy. And even potentially before that, the scuffle around those firebrands are what's going to be a solid indicator of how the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game are going to go, because whoever picks up those firebrands have an opportunity to take a quick look at the enemy side blue buff and or red buff. So got to make sure that you stay healthy for that. Those spawn at about 1.5 minutes.
Look at that level 5 difference. I will say there actually are some pretty nice perks for Witchcraft. They have 2 very long channeled CC immune ultimates between the Cavalry Charge as well as the Life of the After Party. So that can be used to try to predict when Solstrix places down the totem. Solstrix, predictively, leaping away from Gungnir's Might. Sunprod starting off pretty strong, got the red buff and the yellow wrapped around their waist, and a lot of priority for the damage. And they're going to keep on invading, bring the fight right to that bots. Do not want to let them breathe, but sadly cannot secure the steal.
And thing too, Solstrix doesn't mind this too much just because they're still being able to get their own camps. Hold on a second. Whoa, ESET taking so much poke here. They're dead.
Taking the death thanks to the dash from Bayro. They are going to get the counter kill right back. Noberlin says, nope, no free dives for you, pal, but first blood does go the way of Witchcraft.
Honestly, wasn't expecting that at all. And you know what really sealed the deal there for that Witchcraft First Blood? The fact that we were able to get some body blocks off on the ESET as they're trying to kind of make their grand escape. Yeah, you know, Bayonary has to pay for it with their life, but anything to get Zapman ahead, we are not too upset about that.
I'll say there's a bit of a tick for tack in the sense that the last hit was delivered by Barrow himself, so the support grants the kill. It's the first blood, though, whereas the on her actually got credit on the reverse end. So, yeah, a bit of a not ideal situation, but it's pretty gosh darn close for Witchcraft. Kaidan here in the mid lane, though, I'm going to be looking at them for these team fights. It's really interesting that they have picked this Disco. It's a pick that forces the team to want to split apart. Right now, you want them to stay together for this Gungir's Might. A lot of great damage from Sunprod around the back. Here comes the Baron Samity. Trying to put Dirt in the dirt. Will succeed. One last Baron brew. The bar fight ends. Dirt's already dead, and Sunprod continues to lead forward. Trying to find the big bad bird bomb on Solstrix. The Golden Apple finds the mark, and Snatty with a double kill. 3 members swept up by Witchcraft.
McDonald's Sprite were able to confirm a couple of the Firebrands, but at what cost? Did Binary just steal that? Yeah. No, they did not. Okay, phew. I was going to say, seal it with a Guan Yu dash. I tilt there, TBH. But with that, 3 kills on the solo side, Witchcraft have been able to steal away the blue buff and the red buff, and they get the timers. So Sunprod, who was already kind of trolling around in that left side jungle, is going to be able to continue up there. Mischief and Mayhem well later into the game.
Oh man, did the flicker already go down? Why did we just take so much damage? Old Dirty Bastet just getting absolutely roughed up. And Muzi, you talked about this before with the P's and B's. When you give Sunprod this Odin, it's like Alec on the Honor. There's just a passive buff that is applied, and now damage being applied by Snatty. One last Dotto finishes the job before Dirt could cut them down. Everything's going up here for the Baron.
All that without the Baron buff too. Oh no, they used it. It was on cooldown. This just puts this Mulan in such a tough position. She's waiting to get that Yogi's necklace online so that she can kind of hang around and be that sustain tank with that constant health ticking. But Snatty's going to pull ahead here in a really big way. We're already dealing extra damage with our conduit gem. Now we've got extra sustain of our own. Yeah, 3 levels with the aspect means we're also just going to be dealing a lot of extra damage too. So that lane is, not going to call it cooked, but it's going to be one of those situations where you need your jungler to rotate and just get 2-3 people, come over, kill that Baron, and go back to business as usual.
You know, it's also rough, man. This matchup in the mid is not very much better. Merlin tries to flicker out, but the dash, or leap rather, from the Disco actually outranges it. So you just kind of easily catch up. So now Snatty might be caught up upon. Leap from the Hoon bots, the pre-beats as well, but not knowing that Odin's on the way. Can you take down Snatty at the very least first? Great consigned spirits, you're not stopping me, baby! Dirt's dead and Solstrick follows.
The little round shield that could for Snatty. What is that, 7 fist prots? All you needed when you get jumped on.
All you need.
Buy a Hunbots, buy a Mulan. You are kidding me, the fact that Snatty was able to walk away from that. And Sunprod showing up in the nick of time, killing 2 people in that Odin ult means that they are also scaling with their passive. So now Sunprod's going to be hitting harder. They got 2 kills and 3 assists, so they have a crazy amount of gold. It is a wicked fast start for this Witchcraft team. And winning in, honestly, a couple of the more important lanes in my mind right now, because Snatty's going to be able to keep putting a lot of pressure on this Mulan, and then they can make crazy rotations 4 levels ahead. You know he's going to be there at that first spawn of the moon pad there. And then Sunprod, with a 3-level lead, can go anywhere he dang well chooses and win a fight.
Tower's already down. Dirt's back down under it. Rampage here for Snatty. 5-0, 6 minutes in. That is just a scary sight to see. 8-1, or 8-2-1 rather, Witchcraft's favor in a 5k gold lead. No Furies even on the mark. At the very least, you salvage your blue buff, but sadly, you couldn't save the person who wants it around their waist.
Sunprod's gonna go say hi to the red buff. Remember, D'Lo, he's got the timer, so he knows.
He's got the leap, too. Solstrick's in trouble. But with that leap down, Odin really can't hope to pursue unless they want to invest a bit more. That cage, though, not wanting to put that up for the chopping block just yet. We'll save that for grander aspirations.
So far, Kaidan's feeling very happy about how their mid lane is going, just because there's not a whole lot going on there, honestly, and that's going to let this Discordia farm up. Also worth noting, didn't really talk about it too much earlier, you see that blue stone there for the Merlin. A lot of folks at home might look at that and go, well, that doesn't make sense. It gives you strength, right? Well, not quite. Remember, starter items have changed. It's adaptive stats, so this Merlin's actually looking pretty solid. Bluestone still does do physical damage, though, so it mixes up the damage types.
Well, right now, damage already on this top of this Z set. The Golden Apple is going to be worn off by the shell, but Sunprod's still on the front lines. In the back, though, you might need to pay attention to your friend getting dove in upon. Kaidan manages to get a great madness, though, that instantly turns the tables around. Guan Yu's present and grants them a bit more conviction. Unfortunately, can't grant that stun from the Gungir's Might, though Baron Samity is now present. Does not have ultimate in pocket, though, which does make the ability to pull them out from the tower's reaches a bit more difficult. Nonetheless, Witchcraft handily winning these engagements.
And McDonald's Sprites used so much tools to try to get a kill there. It just didn't happen. So in return, Witchcraft find themselves with that ritual victory. So their TPs get reset. They're going to spawn these lane pushers. They've got their UAV inbound. Snatty's by himself and probably winning, let's be honest.
Well, we'll find out. I don't know. Baron Samity, a 4v1, but still staying alive somehow. Guan Yu's about to be present as well. Do they just live this and turn the tail? Can Science Spirits grant a bit more health back as well as slow immunity for them to just quickly dash out? What a great madness from Kaidan! Your friends are now your enemies. Snatty puts down dirt. Baronary puts out Bastet into the kennels. Witchcraft can do no wrong. They're 12-1.
Oh, I need a brown paper bag to breathe into. I'm gonna be sick. Oh my goodness.
Yuck!
Dude. So Snatty's hanging out there. They've got the Life Finder and a Breastplate of Valor. So they got the cooldowns to constantly throw out abilities. They're dealing damage, but more importantly
he's top
than that, they're
damage!
sustaining. Yeah, look at that, 12k. This guy's farming the lobby, dealing a ridiculous amount. What's actually insane about that is that he lives long enough for Bayaneri to show up on the horse, get a stun, everybody gets sucked into this madness, and then from the 3-point line, Kaidan throws a golden apple and just says, all right, and the fight's over.
I don't think you want to repeat that on Sunprod, guys. We saw just how poorly it went last time around, but a great chain of CC, but only at half health is the result. And now Sunprod's going to try to pull off the same grand feat. You do have Zapman there to back you up, and Baronary heralds a potential reversal. Bit more conviction, and Witchcraft going to be able to easily walk away. No harm, no foul.
And what's interesting, too, is that McDonald's Sprite, the way that they're playing this, I don't hate it, right? I literally said earlier, you need to get 3-4 people to show up on this Baron and kill him.
Hi, Dirt.
He's too big! That's the problem now! You need all hands on deck to take down Snatty!
7-0. Sunprod saying, man, do you want to save some for me? Witchcraft just going to keep on moving with that motion. No objectives either, Musi. Pyromancer's not been dropped. Gold Fury has not even been sniffed at. Witchcraft just want the bodies.
They're going to take away these towers. Opens up the map entirely because now they can go into McDonald's side of the jungle free because they have more avenues to run away if things get dicey. It's just eating away at the map. And McDonald's Sprite, they don't even get a side of fries.
Could be in a bit of trouble. What a great evasion. The golden apple as well as the axe instantly put Soulstrix down the dirt when they thought they maybe had a backline dive opening. Zapman going to be able to nimbly dodge away from the impale. Baronary is still trying to leash down and bring down the speed buff. And he said, do really much about it. A silence is not going to do much damage to me, pal. But the Guan Yu can dish out their own rights. Going to be able to bring down that ESET to about a quarter. And now this invade is just all the more free. Zapman on the front lines. Once again, dodges the impale, hits their own CC, and gets in range to see the whites of Anher's eyes before putting an arrow right between them.
That man grabbed the arrow in his hands. He didn't shoot it through a bow. He just kind of stabbed him in the chest with it. That's how close, close and personal. Boom! So now, with a ridiculous lead that Witchcraft has, they have been stripping the jungle of all of their farm. There's no opportunity for McDonald's Sprite to get back in unless they really, really knuckle down, farm your waves, ward a ridiculous amount. You need to know any time Witchcraft is moving through the map, right? But when you do that, when you recede back so much, you give up so much of the map to Witchcraft. That opens things up like that Gold Fury that was just confirmed. And the Moonlight Naga hasn't even spawned yet. It's not hopeless for McDonald's Sprite, D'Lo, but they need to play at 200% capacity, and they need to force a mistake out of Witchcraft.
Ice cream machine is broken. Sprite dispenser might be broken at this point too. But you gotta do something other than put the fries in the bag. You gotta put bodies in the bags too. The issue is when every single member of Witchcraft that is diving you feels like they just live forever, what do you do? I like the, like you said, McDonald's Sprite have made good plays. I like the fact that Soulstrix is looking for Kaidan. The issue is that Kaidan just does too much damage and they're aware of how valuable their life is, so it feels like they're just baiting with it.
Maybe you can try to get Zapman? 4-man rotation. You got to make this work.
Nice disperse to start things off. A great impel as well. Fear no evil, though, unfortunately already shrugged off by the beads. Does not matter. It's too many members to wad through. It's going to be old dirty Bestet who takes the kill.
That's literally exactly what you have to do, by the way. Get 4 people,
Nice.
find somebody, kill them, get anything you can off the map. These T1 towers are going to be very important because it's just any amount of gold. And at this point, the deficit is so significant that maybe that little get back in the game bonus will be able to keep you alive for just a little bit longer. That man's dead, by the way. I mean, you know.
What?
See,
What do you think
Dirt.
the comms are for Dirt? Like, what do you think they're saying to Dirt right now? They're just like, dude, I'm sorry, you just got to eat this one, buddy. You just got to hold this L. Tier 2 tower,
Eat the dirt.
Dovin destroyed. Phoenix might just very well be next at this rate, or we could look for the Hoon bots as well. At least you get a tier 1 like you mentioned, but in the meantime, tier 2s are falling like hotcakes.
In the same way that McDonald's Sprite wants to find their tier 1s, Witchcraft is going to strip away these tier 2s to open up the map even further. We are not even close to Ancient Gold Fury spawning, but we want to make sure that we set up the map so that when it does spawn, we can scoop that up and immediately start taking away these Phoenixes. But it's going to be the Moonlight Naga that's spawning soon, Dilo, that Witchcraft are going to want to pick up. When you kill it, 5% in, 5% strength. Every player on your team, not too shabby, but that Ritual of the Moonstrike as well. That makes it so that when you land a damaging ability, a little circle shows up, a little meteor falls down. You want that too to burn away objectives and instant win a team fight too.
I mean, Musi, it's hard to really even look at what Witchcraft are doing and find any faults. McDonald's Sprite, on the other hand, they still, like you said, they have options, they have win cons. What player do you think's got to really take the reins and rise above to bring them to victory?
I think if we hit a big home bot ult, that is the start to any good fight for McDonald's Sprite, but we need to be able to find the value. Only one person has beads, but everybody else has CC immune ultimates minus Sun Prod. So live through the ultimates, hit a big Fear to Weevil, and kill them all.
Oh, that root just does so much. Old Dirty Bestet's been keeping up in levels, at least compared to the rest of the team, but the damage not matching. They're going for that Merlin first. They recognize that that's going to be maybe potentially their hero on the defense. Cavalry charge comes through. One last dash is all Barrow needs. And Old Dirty Bestet gets put down. Witchcraft can just repeat the system. Conviction heal back up and do it all over again. Dirt, dead. Double kill there for Barrow.
Guan Yu's gonna keep the minions nice and healed. Circle of protection as well. McDonald's Sprite getting boomed.
Big booms. 3 of them, in fact, as 3 cannons ring out.
Boom,
Donald
boom,
Sprite only have 2
boom.
members left. Solstrix and Oberlin. Maybe the animals can do what the humans could not. But the bird gets burned away. Witchcraft, satisfied with their earnings, decide to melt back into the jungle to see what farm they can find.
Queen Naga has spawned at this point. Gold Fury's going to be up and around the corner as well. Not even a Pyromancer has spawned yet. Oh no, it should be spawning soon. There it is. So, a lot on the map to be able to pick from. What do you want? Number 9, side of fries, big double large.
I don't know what a snake would be on the menu, but certainly what we're looking for right now. That's going to give you all those stats that Musi mentioned before. Musi, what are those stats, in fact?
What do we get? 5% increased strength and intelligence. Holy crap.
Holy quap.
And a Pyromancer to boot.
Ritual side unlocked. Gold Fury is the response from McDonald's Sprite, and you know what? That's really smart. Actually, I'm loving that they're still making proactive plays, Musi. That's the show of a team with tenacity.
Got to be able to split the map. You got to be able to get whatever you can in response. Because, you know, when you know that they're doing Moonlight Naga, you know that they're doing the Pyromancer, you know where they're not at. So that's all you can do at this point. Get whatever farm you can, get whatever gold you can, whatever items you can buy. Hold on to something and pray. And look for that big fight. And force a mistake out of Witchcraft.
Cersei's Hexstone pick up there for the E set. A bit more safety, potentially. But man, this Mulan, the hardest task of all, staring down Snatty. And might, in fact, be staring down the gray screen in just a moment. Just look at the damage being pumped out here by this supposedly tank Baron.
Tank Baron. We have it in quotation marks. It turns out all you need is a life binder and a conduit gem, and then you're just kind of pumping out crazy damage. Well, you know what helps there too, D-Lo? Level 17 Baron Samdi running at a level 10
Guys, not again!
set.
Don't do it!
Again.
It's a trap, guys! You don't want to be... Use boost to chase! Snatty finds the damage, and now Sunprod leads the way on in for more happenings of kills and deaths. Divine for Snatty already. Consigned Spirits on top of the wrap it up, but the Cersei's Hexstone does shrug off the CC. At the very least, it wasn't the slaughter we saw before, but it's still Snatty on top.
The beginning of the end, the pusher pushing up on that right side. Zatman finds a kill onto Old Dirty Bastet.
What a great root from Kaidon. Results in the death one more time of Son of a Boom. You hear the cannon rings out as the Desert's Fury, but Sunpraj is a bit more angry. Soulstrix falls down once more. It's a deicide and an absolute wipe from Witchcraft. They'll take it in less than 20 minutes.
Dirt, one final stand, and that'll wrap it up. Oh my goodness. I mean, that was just a total obliteration. I'm surprised we can show that on stream. Does that violate Twitch guidelines? Like, that's kind of crazy.
That was a snuff film. I think we're about to get some serious talking to from Hindu Man. McDonald's Sprite, they served up that victory at McDonald's quick. It's fast food. It's fast wins. And it's going to be us, I guess, coming back fast with more Smite Prime action. So guys, stick around if you want to see more high-flying action just like that. It's coming after the break. Hello, everyone, and welcome on back to Smite Prime, where the plays are always premium and starting to reach their peak. Semifinals up on the mark here. D'Lo, Musi, ready to bat in the booth. Jithin's almighty eye in the sky, and also behind that curtain, you watching at home. Musi, it's going to be Smoke Break, who just took down Clocked In, stepping up to Witchcraft coming up. How we feeling?
I mean, it is interesting to see that Clocked In has kind of had, I'm not going to call it a decline. That would be weird. But a lot of other teams have definitely stepped up to where Clocked In's pedestal was and have kind of taken over. Witchcraft obviously kind of staying there all the way at the top. But now we have a chance to see Smoke Break make a similar bid. But before we talk about that, we'll touch base on Witchcraft versus McDonald's Sprite, where we saw Snatty go nuclear. I think you can encapsulate the whole game in that one clip of Snatty 1v4ing and then living just long enough to have Kaidon and Sunprod and Bayonary show up and clean house.
That was disgusting. I hated watching that, but at the same time, as a fan of a tank player, and as a tank myself, I gotta say, we're eating pretty solid. 10-0 there for Snatty. Yuck. Witchcraft do move on to take on Smoke Break, and we'll take a look at the bracket to see what the rest of the lay of the land is looking like. On the other half of the semifinals bracket, we do actually have my Jungler's Obsidian, but man, y'all are starting to look like deities now, versus Sisyphus and the Glood?
Glood? Because
I would,
if it's wood,
yeah, I think
does that follow the same rules?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, ESL teacher here, and even I'm baffled. So we'll say Glood for now, at the very least. The Jithin's in our ear. Glolder? The Glolder, maybe. That's what Sisyphus is pushing back up. Well, we won't have to worry about that for a little bit. We'll have some names that are a bit easier to pronounce here. Witchcraft and Smoke Break up to bat.
Say, Smoke Break's something that we all are familiar with. You're out there, you get your Smoke Break in, you get back to work, but Witchcraft has been brewing some potions out there. That was super hard, D'Lo. That was really cool.
Thanks, bro.
Witchcraft has been out there brewing up a bunch of wins. The winning strategy, is that a plastic straw in a plastic cup?
Balance. The fake cigarette, sippy cup.
I see. Me
Dynamic
personally,
duo.
a gallon of water in a jug is kind of how I like to operate. Yeah. Well,
what can I say?
Big thirsty guy.
Gotta stay hydrated.
Gotta drink the brews. Witchcraft brews. And we loop it back in just like that. Boom, boom.
Papa!
They've been looking really dominant. I mean, the Zapman Sunprod combination, Kaidon, Snatty's been looking really good. I mean, everybody on that team has just been solid. Really, really solid. And I think that they can once again kind of climb to the pinnacle here on Smite Prime and show why they won the last one. But Smoke Break just came off, hot on the heels of beating Clocked In, so that makes me think that maybe they could have a chance to knock Witchcraft off their throne. And to me, as someone who watches these games pretty much all the time, I would love to see that, just so that we can have even more arguments about who deserves that top spot.
Yeah, there was a bit of a no contest period of time for the last year's circuit of Smite Prime where it was just uncontestedly Clocked In, there was, like you said, there's this podium and there's a couple steps down there's everyone else, and there's still high competitive players there. They're still very talented players, but they just never seemed to catch up. They didn't find the secret formula for the sauce that Clocked In had been whipping up. Now it seems like, I don't know, got leaked, apparently. Everyone knows how to cook it, and everyone's starting to whip it up in the kitchen too. And that, to me, always is a better sign of what these competitive metas can become. We always want to see more teams that are in contestation of that top spot. You know, the ever pursuit of who becomes the GOAT of Smite Prime. We might very well be seeing the turn of a new era before us, and maybe, just maybe, Witchcraft gets staked in the heart.
Well, even before it was Clocked In, it was Cherry Slush slash Orange Kish. A lot of S's in these.
I'll give you a Kish.
Cherry Slush slash Orange Kiss slash Scream team, but with 5 M's. Like,
True.
Those are the gamers that were kind of at the pinnacle before, and then they got shuffled out by Clocked In. So now we have Witchcraft that is showing up, kind of shuffling Clocked In off to the side. So it's kind of interesting to see how there will always be that one team, right? A lot of people like to talk about how it's, Clocked In winning simulator. That's every game. That's every team. There's always going to be that one team that kind of sits above everybody else for a long time. But now it looks like Witchcraft is there to usurp the throne.
And now it looks like we're ready to get back into P's and B's. Curious to see what picks go to the wayside this time around. Do we let Snatty even consider a Baron? Do we even let that be the case? Because I'd consider that top pick potentially. Nah, it's still maybe not. I think Snatty, despite how fearsomely they perform, we do have to keep in mind the context of what players they are going up against then, what players they're going up against now. Thor instead is going to be that first ban away.
Baron Samdi is worth banning, maybe not first, maybe even not second, but third if you want to build a composition around the fact that you keep Baron off the board. Definitely worth it. But for Snatty alone, maybe not. Especially because Snatty has so many other characters that they are able to pull from the pool, right? You can't ban out Snatty. It's very difficult to ban out any of these players, honestly, especially when we're so used to playing with things like Fearless and Vault bans and stuff like that. The necessity to expand your god pool is there. And in fact, we can see that Baron isn't going to be the one banned away, but the Newt is, which is new for today.
Yeah, that is interesting. I haven't gotten to see Newt played nor banned so far, so maybe it's just a shout from Witchcraft. They don't want to see that end up getting brought up with that aspect, which you can live for quite some time, grant CC immunity, or just plain and simple regular ADC Newt can be frustrating as well. Smoke Break, last ban, last off the mark. It's going to be that E-set, who we've been seeing top picked quite a bit. Sadly, you know what that means you're giving on over? It's that Odin. That's a top lock for Sunprod once again, and they performed rather well on it last game around.
They're very comfortable on the Odin pick. They know the game plan that they want to have. Smoke Break does have a couple of options here. Kerberos wasn't one that I was initially thinking of, but it does play pretty well into characters with a lot of sustain because it does have that heal steal.
Okay.
And Artio is another brawler in the solo lane that is able to just kind of hang out. So Benko on the Artio and Dardes on the Kerberos.
I think they're kind of asking Witchcraft the question, because like you said, it steals away sustain. Witchcraft have none right now, but it's asking the question of, okay, do you still want to lock it in against us? No, exactly. Are you going to play the Guan? Yeah. We're trying to force you to reconsider without banning it away. It's almost in that sense of soft ban of their own right. And Witchcraft are steering away from the skid. They're saying, yeah, I don't want to play the Guan that confidently anymore because of that reason. On Her and Disco are back. I love the Disco returning. Kaidon played it so well last game.
And, Discordia is just generically good in the mid lane as well. Like, if you don't want to take the Akate, you definitely pick up that Disco. He's got the Apple, the Taunt into the Madness. Like, it's just a lot of tools that are very effective, especially when, you've got damage you can set up from afar, but she's also really solid when people try to jump on top of her, which this Kerberos definitely wants to do. So On Her as well, just a generic safe pick for ADC. Doesn't really have bad matchups, has a CC immune ultimate, does a lot of damage, prot shreds, just good to have.
Ooh. I like the On Her, especially in comparison to the Uller, because the Entangling Vines affect them both. The difference is an On Her's Impale can push away the Artio, grant yourself some reprieve from that cripple field, and then allow you to leap out. And you're going to need that leap. For a Fenrir, first time we've seen him in quite a while, if I recall correctly, Musey, locked in alongside the Mage Merlin.
Fenrir is one of those picks that is sneaky good right now, right? We don't see a lot of Fenrir, but full tank Fenrir Fry, so 100%. I mean, you're able to go Golden Blade and just some prod items and kind of clean house, especially when you get to have something like a Warrior's Axe or something along those lines to kind of stay tanky and keep the fight going strong. I like the Fenrir pick.
Osiris and Guan Yu brings up the tank to spank with for a little bit. Witchcraft, they decide to play into Smokebreak's hands, or maybe pause. They say, damn your double dog duo, we don't care, we're still bringing the heals.
Say, speaking of pause, what are we going to have? Another animal friend, potentially, for Smokebreak. We got 3 already, between the Kerberos, the Artio, the Fenrir. Tusky has hooves. That's close enough. The animal menagerie has been completed. Another sneaky good pick. Artemis. I like her because she can use Warrior's Axe. She's able to peel for herself, so if anybody tries to jump on top of her, she's got the Caledonian Boar to be able to throw out there. She's able to deal a fair amount of damage at a fairly safe range, and she can shred through objectives with her second ability. That Stim gives her a lot of attack speed, so she's just kind of hard to lane against. Although I will say, on her into the Artemis, I do favor on her slightly because he's got a CC immune ultimate that still pumps out damage while the ultimate is channeling. It's a good response to Artemis's Caledonian Boar. Plus, he's able to jump on her, he's able to engage on her. The Pillar is really good against her because she doesn't have a jump herself, so if you are Streak, you need to make sure that you're keeping your lane warded and positioning very carefully and effectively, because otherwise, you're going to get jumped on by Zapman. It's just not going to be pretty.
Smokebreak in general have to really make sure they're keeping in mind who has a leap up and down, because if you're able to get away from a Fenrir who's Ragnarocking, every single one of these members, save for the Guan Yu, has a pretty easily applicable way to escape from an incoming Ragnarok. And that's where the Artio comes in, yes. But again, there's impales, there's other depositioning tools from Witchcraft that can get the Artio off your back. So there's a lot of tit for tat, a lot of punch for counter punch. Music, you see the 5 gods on each side. Which one are you favoring?
I like the team fight from both of these characters. Fenrir does have some fairly obvious targets though, and we have great ways to burn beads and CC immune ultimates from Smokebreak, because we're talking about Fenrir Ragnarok that could scoop people up, but we also have the Artemis ultimate with the Caledonian Boar. We also have the Kerberos, that Stygian Torment that is so very threatening that you can't displacement immune to get around it. It does not function like an Ares ult. The way that Kerberos ult works is that it is a banish, technically. So it scoops up the Odin if he tries to use a spear. So I really like the layers of CC removable that Smokebreak has here.
Well, luckily no Smokebreak from the action, folks. We're going to hop right into the semifinals. Witchcraft step up to see if they can continue their reign of terror. At the very least, it's Sunprod and Kaidon, this kind of consistent 3-man operation we have here between them and Baron Area. I like the fact that Witchcraft are bringing in the tools that really brought them a lot of momentum last go around. Sure, there's some gears that are being swapped out, but that momentum, that inertia carries forth into the semifinals.
One of the things that I want to highlight too, Baron Area for Witchcraft, by the way, was playing mid before they started playing support. So it's actually really cool to see them having so much success in that dual lane, especially being able to pair with Zapman. They've been looking really good in the games that we've been seeing them, so I like that switch from him too. Over on Smokebreak's side, everything looks and feels kind of what you would expect. Sunder for the Artio means that she's going to be a little bit unsafe like she can be CC'd, she can get damage soaked onto her, but with that Bluestone and the Yogi's Necklace build, that should keep her fairly threatening, especially against the Osiris. I feel like she's going to have a pretty good lane against Natty.
Is the one Phantom Shell enough is the question that I've got lingering in my mind, because both the two Gingers are going to have a hard time with it. Zapman having a hard time with the Cerberus nipping at their heels. But you look at it, it's the Artemis and the Artio, both vulnerable, and neither going to have that Shell's protection constantly around them. It's got to make sure that the Cerberus is around and trying to keep up to ensure that they heal for their team.
The one benefit that Streak has here is that if they get jumped on by an Odin, they do have their ultimate that they can pop in turn. And
That's
because Sunprod is again rocking this Sunder, instead of something like a Beads or a Blink to deal with that ultimate, then the turnaround potential from Smokebreak is there, right? So Sunprod is going to have to be fairly careful when they decide to make a gank over towards that dual lane.
Yeah, honestly, you leap onto adapting. I'm liable to just Ragnarok you right there, buddy. It is the prophecy. Asgard must fall at some point. And adapting, you can already see it trying to bring her out the prophecy of invades. Starting to get some solid farm going to this left side, and it might lead to a left side gank after.
Adapting does love to play this scuffly, brawly, constant fight game. Just, you cannot stop this guy from running at you, right? So I wouldn't be surprised to see him clear those back camps and then either just hit a quick back to get the other backs or go for something in dueling.
Curious if they end up trying to maybe pick up Kaidon. I think Kaidon, in my opinion, is someone you're going to have to really look at, because Sap 7 is a key player for Smoke Break, but again, this matchup just doesn't seem ideal. You are able to constantly outrange the leap of Merlin and just kind of harass and harangue them at that point with your roots and the damage right after. But so far, they're playing it a bit safer. Kaidon recognizes they're up against a very formidable opponent. They do not, by any means, want to find themselves getting first blooded. Neither team does. That's why we're kind of playing this a bit close to the vest. 3 minutes in, no blood on the board.
10 seconds till those firebrands spawn. That might be where blood shows up. Because if you're the junglers, you want to get over there. And if you're the solo laners, you also want to be there. Heck, invite a mid laner too. Why not? As they spawn, you can see that Sunprod's going to start to position over. Adapting will be there to intercept.
Brutalize versus the leap. Those are two abilities you want to look at. The Sunprod decide to stick around or use that leap as an engage. Potentially opens them up to the Brutalize already. Sundering Arc is going to be used on the Flame Brands. The rocks are collected by Sunprod right after. No real bloodshed. Instead, it's all focused on the farm.
Meanwhile, purple buff invade from Dardez. Doesn't have Sunder or anything like that, so he's just here to, like you said, D'Lo, harass and harangue.
Did he get it? No, he did not. All right, the Honor luckily able to scoop that one up. Again, just aggression. We've seen that across the entire day. A lot of invades on these extreme lane buffs. You're seeing a lot of purples, you're seeing a lot of blues go down to the enemy side. Zapman's luckily able to jealously guard their winnings so far, but that audacity just goes to show the power of the Cerberus, especially when just going to be staring down a Guan Yu. You're constantly leeching off the heals that Baron area provides for the team.
Adapting, looking towards that left side. They do have the ultimate available, but Bainary and Zapman do as well, so they do have good responses to the incoming Ragnarok.
What a great impale to buy all the space needed. Zapman shows no fear and instantly, properly assesses the situation and responds back with necessary force.
And I like the way the Bainary was willing to pop their ultimate there as well, just to get themselves out of a gankable position and back towards some safety. Snatty's putting the pain train on this Artio, who is able to get away, but taking a lot of damage.
Lord of the Afterlife. Snatty's going to dive back in. Oh. One last sickle strike. An amazing kill. The Archer's going to try to be the hero of the day, but I don't think you're taking down the god of death just yet. Witchcraft grab first blood.
Interestingly enough, Benko is going for what looks to be a life binder instead of a Yogi's necklace. Might be a little bit of a difference in playstyles for the EU players. And that's going to be a little bit tough, especially taking that first death there. Snatty's going to be up by 500 gold. They're going to be able to finish their Golden Blade and keep the pressure on, too. It's worth noting Snatty is not playing with the aspect. So they don't get the multiple sickle throwing bonanza, but they do have a leap attached to their ultimate this go around. So that means that they can reposition either out or into fights.
Now positioned around these Flame Brands once more. Artio is present for it. I believe it was secured by Witchcraft, but they're trying to secure the kill on Kaidon. The dive this time around, a lot more successful. The big bad jaws close around their neck. It's a counter kill from Adapting.
Gotta be careful standing next to Merlin when they are in that fire stance. It does a lot of damage, especially when you have the Fenrir right next to you, ready to pick you up with their ultimate. And the beads got put on cooldown as well, so the Fenrir could take another look at this Discordia before the timer runs out.
And Musi, this is the game plan we saw Solstrix try to implement last go around. You see Kaidon by themselves because Sunprod wants to dive. We go in and try to make her die instead. And the difference is just execution. Sap 7 and Adapting knew exactly what the assignment was, and now Kaidon's going to have to really be thinking about their careful positioning to ensure that does not be put on repeat.
I will say, what is going to be different this go around, though, is that Sunprod is going to be a little bit behind in terms of farm. Witchcraft does not have the control over Smoke Break's jungle that they had over McDonald's Sprite's jungle last game. And that's going to give a bit of an advantage to adapting, at least to start out with, because they got that early kill. The question is, now that you've got this pressure, can you keep it up? And if you're playing this Fenrir, you definitely just want to keep running at people, getting their beads, forcing ultimates away. If only, like, even if you don't get the kill, even if you don't get anything from it, it makes it so that their lane is just a little bit easier to play for your team.
Now it's Kaidon leaping away instead. A tragic turnaround of the situation we saw last time they were up against a Merlin. At the very least, for this wave of buffs, purple nor red were invaded, so everyone is managing to get their farm okay on Witchcraft side. And if you are Sunprod, like you said, you're batting a bit from behind. Which lane do you want to play through to ensure you get back on top?
Zapman and Binary look like a pretty solid combo, and Snatty's already got a kill as well. You could continue to play through solo side, maintain control around the Firebrands, and get Snatty super big. If it worked once, surely it can work twice.
This Flamebrand fight might not work out in your favor if you decide to spend those abilities poorly. Caledonian Boar outlasts the Desert Fury and actually finds the CEC on top of Zapman, who decides to focus instead on the minions. Guan Yu tried to pursue Streak, but won't be able to have anything from it. I believe Witchcraft in the meantime were able to make short work of the Flamebrand, so no fight, no kills. But still some good aggression being shown here from the dual lane side of Smokebreak. Just constantly, like you said, and like I said, haranguing, harassing. The Cerberus, first picked for a reason.
Didn't use their ultimate though. I like the fact that Dardes is willing to like hold off a little bit, because you got two ultimates for one there. Streak was forced to use theirs as well as their beads. So it is going to put them in an awkward spot. Witchcraft this whole time is taking a look at this ritual in the middle. Somebody just pick up 3 shards? Anybody? Anybody on the map? 3 shards. There it goes.
Dunsky.
So with this ritual victory, Witchcraft again, they're going to have some pressure on the map with these pushers up there. Smokebreak have to acknowledge them to clear them. While they are busy clearing those pushers, Witchcraft can take a look at a bigger objective. Maybe this Gold Fury.
Adapting just snuck away the speed buff, but the whole enchilada was still left on the table, buddy. You're looking at the crumbs. Witchcraft's got the whole meal. Zapman takes it down, and a gold apple smacks Cerberus in the face, so at least he gets some scraps. Nonetheless, Witchcraft really happy with that play. Solid work. They grab the ritual at the small cost of a speed buff. They'll take the Gold Fury too. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid trade there too. I mean, I wonder if maybe Smokebreak didn't think that Witchcraft was going to immediately go for a Gold Fury. Maybe thought they would try to get some backs off first. It was well snuck in there by the Witchcraft team. Plus, they also are able to shred away these objectives because you do have the Prot Shred attached to every spear throw. Hold that thought, Snatty.
A bit of trouble. No ultimate, no leap away from the Brutalize. Just now comes up just in time to escape the Ragnarok. Adapting's got a turn back too, because Sunprod's in the back line looking for Benko. This wave pusher does significant damage as well, and that cripple's not going to save you from Gungir's might. Benko will fall.
Here comes Guan Yu. Horse and Blade will be enough to take down Adapting. It's a double kill for Sunprod.
Beautiful work for Witchcraft to put themselves back up. Not only does Adapting fall, but Sunprod collecting those 2 kills. We were talking about how they're falling a bit behind. Sunprod now firmly in the lead.
And with that, it opens up, again, this right side of the jungle, because look what's coming off of cooldown, D'Lo. The red buff's going to spawn right now. The Scorpion's available. Back camps are up. There was so much farm on the map that was ready to come up when that gank happened, and now all of it gets stolen away. This is what enabled Witchcraft to win the last game. They got the timers, and they started stripping away the farm. So this is that death by 1,000 cuts, the beginning of the snowball. Pair that with the Gold Fury that they got earlier, and suddenly the gold difference is looking very much in favor of Witchcraft.
There's a bit of a lane swap for a second there. You saw Sap 7 take a quick trip to solo, and now they tag hands and switch sides once more, but Zapman being switched right back to the Afterlife. It's a great Stygian Torment. The last arrow can't reach them as they manage to CC immune right through, though Artemis does have that speed boost, and that's going to suppress the Insolent right there, that being Zapman. They'll take a fall inside the dual lane.
Early stampede from Dardes. Bought and utilized. Our money back on that one for sure. Pair that with the fact that Artemis is able to just kind of put on the speed sneakers and go after you. It's going to mean that even when you bees, even when you ult, even when you jump away, Zapman has to be aware that it all could come crashing down on him at any moment. It's a good tit for tat there. Smoke break able to find wins on the map still.
Lord of the Afterlife, a bit off the mark there for Snatty. But nonetheless, 2 levels up. Feels good. Level up for Sunprod as well. The mids are even Steven, where I'm really to see where the first big fight goes. What is the role of a This is a Merlin in big team combination?
Outside of a Merlin, can still find like quite a bit. But between like bang adapting, there's a lot of CC to be had there. But also then if you're Sunprod, you drop down your cage, you just be careful, find the right target you're looking for and then take them off the board first.
Kaidan secures 2 of his flame brands. The golden apple goes wide, but actually bounces around and finds a Cerberus. More of a nuisance than anything. Still plenty of health left for Dardez, but Witchcraft are able to force them away. In the second objective as well. Big hate. And Witchcraft will lead it.
Smokebreak are in this position here where even though they're down in gold, they still have a lot of spunk left in them, D'Lo, right? They got that spark,
Yep.
They got that moxie. It's just bringing it to the right place. We talked earlier about, like earlier in the day, not the game, about what do you do when a lane gets too far ahead? You just kind of send 3 or 4 people over. I think it might be time to call in the cavalry, knock Snatty down a peg, so that our RDO has a little bit more chance to breathe. And that also opens up things like, Pyromancer, the Moonlight Naga when it respawns, but looks like instead it's going to be more mid-lane arguments, because the Pyromancer got looked at briefly.
I think it might be re-engaged by Witchcraft as well. They're trying to look to knock it down after adapting so kindly started the mission for them. Drop down to 2k, but then let go. Witchcraft looking for the fight. They put the bear inside the cage. Now it's a petting zoo. Maybe a murdering zoo instead. Already able to dash away, but Sunprod leaps in hot pursuit. The golden apple's back, this time on top of adapting. Does solid damage, but unfortunately can't find the game winner. Here's the buzzer beater. The erratic magic not able to finish the job. Benko survives.
Phew. And if you're Benko, you're happy about that, because any further deaths just continuously put you further and further behind. I feel like RDO still is able to get value just off of presence alone, but they won't be able to live long enough to really capitalize on the value that you're generating with your cripples and with your stuns. Height of... Is that a prophetic?
Prophetic!
Wow. Prophetic. Sorry, I've got Height of the Urch. Everything reminds me of her. I don't know how I feel about the Prophetic Cloak in the second slot here, just because we're already down, and you need to get like 20 stacks on that thing before you really are able to get the full use off of it. But
yeah.
If Benko is able to get it to the late game, it will make this RDO very, very tanky. So you're taking a little bit of a gamble here, right? You are basically saying, I'm going to get there, and if I don't, I'm going to be very, very sad.
Well, one thing's for sure, Musey. This game's not ending at 18 minutes, so at the very least we'll be good there. 14 minutes in, it's 3-2. In favor of Witchcraft so far, gold about 4k their way as well. Second Gold Fury is up and ready for the taking. The question is who's going to take first licks at it. So far, no indication just yet, but a kill in the duo certainly could bring it. That's why you see Cerberus lurking in the wings.
Moonlight Naga has spawned as well, so there's a lot to go for here. Here comes Dardez. The stun's a little bit off the mark, though.
And that's already all Zatman needs to know they're just perfectly fine and safe and dandy. Odin, Guan Yu, begin to magnetize a bit towards the left side. Baron is going to be hip-hopping around, but just watch out where you put those feet, buddy. There's traps all around.
Artemis, making sure that nobody's going to be able to walk up anytime soon. He was just able to walk over that. That was crazy. A little bit of root immune action from Bayonary there. Forgot about that. Whoopsie daisy. But Snatty did not forget about the friends that he invited over. Adapting tries to show up there, but with Witchcraft showing up in force around that Moonlight Naga means that Snatty knows that he's got friends around the corner. So we're just kind of waiting for somebody to break the ice at this point, D'Lo. Everybody's kind of gone back to farming and chilling. Not many big plays being made to go for a larger objective. And I feel that ultimately benefits Witchcraft, who already has the lead, right? They are just able to hit a couple more power spikes, finish off a couple more items, and then go for something afterwards. But we are running out of time on this Moonlight Naga before it despawns and drops the ritual.
The later this game goes, the more exponential this Guan Yu's contributions to the team rise, because now you're not just boosting the health and the cooldowns of one team member, it's 4. And you just continue to compound on top of that. And in these moments right here, around the ritual, where it becomes all the more apparent, everyone's all gathered up nice and close, like, just makes those heals all the more valuable.
It's the long-term sustained engagements where Witchcraft really shows up because, like you said before, D'Lo, this Guan Yu just shows up, everybody's hanging around, hit him with the heal, go back to what you were doing. Nobody's walking up to contest this ritual. That is going to be a pretty solid enabler. What do we get in return? Maybe a gank in duo lane?
Zadman's playing it pretty gosh darn safe so far. In fact, they're hunting for the dog, but might be regretting it shortly. Brutalize in exchange for a nice disperse, and no one's going to be the wiser of that. Meanwhile, on the right side, Moonlight and Naga starting to get engaged. They do have the ritual in pocket as well. Does that mean it's guaranteed? By no means. Cerberus on the front lines. Guan Yu present around the Pyro Pit. Sunprod a bit poked out by this raid boss so far, but Conviction heals will pop them off nicely. And we're going for the Merlin. The Root finds the mark despite the flicker coming out. That means there's no escape left for the Merlin. That means there's no hope left for Smokebreak to contest. Witchcraft take down the Naga.
One of the big reasons Smokebreak couldn't contest that Naga is because Witchcraft got those lane pushers off of that Moonlight ritual before they went for that objective. You saw Artemis was stuck in left lane, Fenrir was stuck in mid lane, Ardio's stuck in right lane. Like, nobody can walk up because they have to defend their towers. Now, you start the map lock, right? You pop your ritual, you immediately go to Pyromancer, it's dead. You have some time left on this ritual to maybe look for a quick back and run at a Gold Fury if you feel so inclined. But off of that one move alone, Witchcraft reassert their control on the map. They are done playing it slow. They are ready to look for a little bit more.
It's interesting that Witchcraft, they don't have any big secure ultimates, but they're playing this map like they do. With such confidence, they walk up to the Gold Fury, 2 members strong, and Smokebreak, man, just seem to be constantly caught unawares, or maybe just knowing they can't without risking a bit too much than they're willing to put up. Witchcraft grab their second Gold Fury and start to balloon this gold lead to a solid 7k.
With that second Gold Fury too, not only are we getting out of the base a little bit faster, we are also enhancing the minions next to us for when it is time to push. You see the little arrows above their heads there. That means that we can start taking a look at some of these T1 towers. All of them have survived thus far into the game, but it will not be for long. Fire Giant is also spawned at this point, and with the pick here, it could be good, but good leap away there from Dardes. We'll deny any pick potential, but Zapman showing his claws.
Yeah, look how much damage that did right there. That Devo's Glove nearly stacked up to full. It's starting to look dangerous, and these impales, you know a player of Zapman's caliber is going to be hitting them. Does unfortunately fall victim to the trap. Genuinely could be something you have to watch out for in the tall grass. Guan Yu, victim to the same exact locomotion, but luckily able to use that horse to quickly get back out to safety. Though that ultimate is down for the future engagement on this purple, Sunprod adapting. Are waiting in the wings. Does the duo lane? No. Artemis certainly doesn't, but the Caledonian Boar is the instant response. Not enough, though. Beads from Sunprod. Keep them alive and streak dead. Golden Apple comes in from way downtown, but that's okay. Sunprod's got the solution. It's death. Adapting will experience it. Cerberus is up next.
Boom. 3 lives off the board and a triple kill for Sun Protege. That's going to open up that Fire Giant wide open. 20 seconds before anybody spawns. Benko and Sap are available, but it looks like Sap could get caught out here.
Yeah, that root's incoming if I've ever known anything about this matchup between the two. But nonetheless, Sunprod a bit more concerned with the grander objective of things. Benko's present, but what can you really do in the face of this? Not a whole lot much.
Like we said, you've got that prophetic cloak, and you need to be able to stack it, but they're not stacky enough yet. Benko's going to open up the door, though. They get interrupted!
Oh no, this is trouble. Over the top ropes, and with the cage dropped on down, Odin goes in, Odin goes out. Fire Giant goes down. Zapman will take it for the rest of Witchcraft. All 5 members fired up.
At the very least, nobody from Smokebreak died. You take these little victories, but
that's true.
I love the way that Sunprod played that. Interrupts Benko from opening the door, so they don't even get to go in. And then the moment it looks like, I gotta be able to finish up this FG, you just kind of dip back out. That's sauce right there. My favorite kind of sauce, too. Vodka penne sauce. Well, penne is a pasta, but...
Dude, actually, is that your favorite sauce?
Yeah, it's good sauce.
Mine too, man. I'm with you. That's 20 Musi sauce points
gosh.
for Musi.
Oh my god, we're
21 minutes.
twinning. I'm blushing.
Oh, it's huge. Oh, it's massive. Oh, it's a massive impale.
Beck
This
is
bear
dead.
might just be dead. Desert's Fury,
Oh,
one
no.
last spear to the back. Sunprod snipes the kill instead. I don't know how that happened. That's just rude.
But now you have Snatty coming in from the backside to take a look at Sap 7 on Twitch. Might be on a milk box pretty soon here.
Missing from the field of battle, but it's the Ragnarok. Doesn't know quite who to select. Picks up that Osiris, but is that really the right target? There's madness. There's a golden apple. Sap 7 gets absolutely sidewindered. An apple a day keeps the doctors away. No, it keeps you in the grayscale instead. Adapting's the last one left. Never mind. Zapman got him too. It's an early deicide. Might be 4 minutes later, but Witchcraft's still making time here on the Titan.
Bed goes up in 3 seconds. Maybe the Artio can make something happen here, but with Titan already down to half and the Bear
They're just
too
watching,
lethargic
bro.
to get out. They are not interested. Holy goodness. That was disgusting.
Dude, Witchcraft are... They're signing the Devil's Black Book or something, man. It's a crucible. We need to find a trial. Quickly, get the judge in the city,
We need
because...
a priest.
we need something. We need Sunprod's dad to ground him. It is looking crazy out here. Witchcraft making record time, 2 games in a row, and they're moving on to grand finals. So are we. Stick around, more Smite Prime after the break. Hello, everyone, and welcome on back to Smite Prime, where the plays are always premium, and these grand finals are about to get flaming hot. I'm D'Lo, joined here by Musi in the booth. Yeah. We got Dithens, your almighty eye in the sky, and as also your man behind the curtain, and you watching at home. Musi, how we feeling?
I'm pretty pumped heading into this next. That was a good crunch. That was pretty solid. Heading into this next one, pretty excited. Witchcraft versus Smoke Break, pretty even as like the game progressed, but it did reach its breaking point right around the time when that Moonlight Ritual got scooped up. Then that directly went into the Queen Light Naga. Then it went over to Gold, swung back to FG, and then we kind of ended the game off that. But it shows that this Witchcraft team has a very, very deep understanding of how to play the map. That, I think, is the biggest thing to walk away with this Witchcraft team.
There was a moment where adapting was up on Sunprod, and then there's that gank and solo lane that everything got turned around. And if you're not able to keep Sunprod down on one of their most well-studded, well-accoladed picks on this Odin, things spill out from there. And Kaidon stayed true on this Disco. Baronary kept providing those heals in the Guan. Everything just seemed to kind of fire on all cylinders there for Witchcraft. Smoke Break, unfortunately, hit the showers. But we got a bracket here for you. You can see what the other side of this bracket's going to bring. Witchcraft in those grand finals up against my jungler is Obsidian. Now, that is going to be an interesting matchup. The team of Benny Q from Founders Series MVP fame, now with the scrappy upstarts.
Zapman taking another chance to punch up at old Benny Q's here. But because we are here in the finals, D'Lo, it is a best of 3. So there are some additional rules that we have in the old playbook here. Yes, it is vault bans. That means, D'Lo, in a best of 3 set, once a god is played, that god is locked away in the vault and cannot be picked by either team for the rest of the set. So, that Odin that you know and love so much, D'Lo, if it shows up once, it's gone for good, at least for the rest of the set. So, drafting becomes incredibly more difficult, a little bit deeper in terms of what you want to pick, when you want to pick it, and bans stay about the same.
Yeah, if you want to see a god gone, you can either pick it once and then it's gone forever, or you just have to keep on banning it. Those bans don't stick around, but the picks certainly do. And that means that, like you said, Musi, things get a bit deeper, a bit more far into our pockets that we have to reach for the gods that you might want to play. If you're tired of seeing Artio, same here. That's okay. You probably won't be seeing it for the entire series.
This does give a lot of other gods a chance to shine. Some of the other ones that, you don't really get a chance to see too often, I feel like maybe this will be a set that I finally see the Cabrakan that I've been looking for, so I can see some other players kind of slam that on the field. But also, things like, well, and we already saw Discordia, Merlin, and Hecate. Those are like the big 3 mages, but we'll have to see something else over there in the mid lane. Janus, perchance, the pickings can get a little bit slim the deeper and deeper that you have to go. So if you're the winning team, you want to get your quick 2-0 so that you don't have to go too deep into the bag.
So it's going to be a case of whether or not you decide to kind of invest very heavily in these first rounds. I think that's always the intrigue when it comes to vaulted picks. Do we decide to, get all of our best picks all together in one game so we make sure that we win this game. And if you lose that game, then what happens? Because you're kind of batting with discounted prices afterwards. Or do we try to stagger it out? Do we kind of try to make sure that, all right, maybe we really give our solo and our mid what they're comfortable with this game around, but we save something else? But the issue is, of course, if your opponent's thinking in the same vein, they can just take that god off the board, and all of a sudden you never get to play it either. So there's a lot of intrigue that comes with this in terms of the strategies, because you're not just thinking about this game now, you're thinking about your compositions for the next games as well.
So, when it comes to these vault bans, one of my favorite things that I like to see is the different combinations of especially things like junglers. The jungle pool right now is there are a lot of junglers to pick and play, but which ones you need for your team comp gets kind of dicey, especially with the changes to the role passives and everything. The fact that you can have things that don't necessarily need a Bumba's dagger in order to clear gives us a lot of flexibility, but maybe in not ways that you were initially thinking of. The jump on you assassins aren't quite as prevalent as things as maybe like Cuckoo with the Aspect, Odin, Hercules, Take Jungles, I think have a pretty solid strategy to play with right now. So we could expect to see a little bit more of that, especially in this best of 3.
Can I give you a hot take, Musi?
Yeah, what's up?
I think with these role passes, we should force players to take a polygraph. That if you say you're a support, if I don't see you in that lane, man, banned instantly. We don't encourage liars here in Smite Prime.
Well, Dilo, what if they need to trade their roles for the extra passives and benefits and stuff like that? Like, what if I need to?
No, don't lie. No, that you said support. You play support, gosh darn it, all right? If you say that you're going to stick in one lane, if I see you take a step anywhere else, shock collar, you're dead.
I mean, I'm just saying, I would love the support passive in solo lane, so I could just, sit back.
You don't get that.
Itself. I mean, I don't
That's
need
not for you.
HP
That's for me. Hey!
No, I know it's not
That's
for you.
mine.
Whoa!
That's mine.
Oh. Okay, all right.
I want that goal.
I don't think anybody's taking it from you, man. I think it's all you.
All right.
All right. How about my turn for a hot take? They should let you stack the passives on top of each other and just give all your passives to one person and make them.
That's kind of funny.
Player.
I like that idea. All right, but
junglers are broken. I just want mine to be even more so broken. Like, I just wanted to have everything.
Well, my jungler's Obsidian, so can't say the same, sadly. But nonetheless, that would be a pretty funny way to go about it. I think it's interesting how we've so far seen the reactions of people like that are initially it's like, oh, wow, my solo gets this passive buff. Then they're like, what if we lie, though? And that just goes to show the state of Smite's community today. Just awful. We're in the sewers. We're in the ditches. We're into picks and bans. Let's hop in and see what we got going on here.
So, Witchcraft, my jungler's Obsidian, we get a chance to actually see Scream's Obsidian? Scream! Get back on the grind, man! I'm not one to talk, but get back on the grind, man! That guy should be deity at least, but with names like... So it's another Benny and Scream team. We got Deduin in there with Nika, and Nika's playing support as well. You have Coast over there on ADC. That's a pretty solid team call. I like that a lot, actually. That's kind of goated.
You know what, Musi, if you're looking for Cabrakan, I think your stocks just went up a lot seeing Deduin being that solo role. We saw in the Joust tournament how much Deduin favors that pick as well, so a lot of practice behind it against high-level competition. On her, Thor, banned away, Guan Yu, Odin, same story. Sorry, Sun Prod, gotta choose a different god.
On her banned away is very interesting just because usually it's the junglers or the tanks that end up getting banned, but an ADC specifically taken away from Coast. That's pretty solid. But my jungler is Obsidian. They do know ball. Like you said, Odin off the board, Guan Yu off the board, so they know what Witchcraft has been playing with all day today. That means that Bayoneri's going to have to look a little bit deeper and find something else in the back pocket there. There are still a lot of picks to be had, especially in support, that have some viability. Eset, Kerber is still very strong. Yamoja hasn't been banned yet, and I bet that's what my jungler is Obsidian is debating right now, because I might want to take that away. It's going to be the Eset ban instead, so Witchcraft opts for... Yemo?
Drum roll, please.
I can't roll my R's.
Really? Huh. I mean, that's still a stop pick. It makes sense still. She's high sustain, high damage at range, but yeah, I am a bit surprised. Prior to Snatty, Snatty's been playing very well, but you know what this means? Oh, dear God, we forgot.
Oh, Hercules.
We're going to be reminded.
Yeah. And what's interesting, too, is that if Scream wants to play his Aladdin pick, he doesn't have to worry about it getting scooped away by Witchcraft, so we can kind of draft that later in the draft if that's something that we're looking for. Witchcraft has some options available to them here. We have Hecate is still open. If Kaidon wants that, that would be a really solid pick here. Another very strong mage. Merlin's still available for the mid lane. You don't necessarily have to draft it now, though, because the Discordia is already here. Sobek is interesting.
Flux?
And Medusa.
Reptile Gang! I like
Reptile Gang. Lizard, 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 lizard.
Bingo.
Layers.
He's dead.
Got a lot of bits here in Smite Prime.
Hell yeah. So why the Sobek then, Musi? Why answer Plucks back with more Plucks?
Well, Sobek does have a pretty solid lane, especially, well, not versus a Jingwei. But they do have the anti-heal. But recently, Sobek saw a change that the more passive stacks they get, they also get cooldown reduction, so they're able to spam more abilities. Sobek's another one of those characters that can use things like Sands of Time, or even potentially something like a Warrior's Axe to get a lot of poke and pressure out there in lane. Plus the old pluck into Medusa lacerate combo, alive and well for anybody that gets caught inside of it.
If a Wheelix was good in this game, this would be such a great time to pull on a Wheelix out, but I sadly fear that despite the buff, she still is woefully behind the rest of the pack. Witchcraft on their end. What do you do in response? Cerberus already takes away one of your key potentials for a support that could try to snipe away some heals off Mercules. And even if you did have the Cerberus as an option, Jingwei could just float right out of it, so you don't really want to go for that either way. What are we going to see from them? It's Hecate. That's actually pretty solid, given that we've seen just how effective those portals can be, and the Kali making her first debut all day.
I haven't seen the Kali in a minute. A
neither.
lot of favor in like the ranked scene, I think. Kali has had her chance to shine. She's got like a one-shot build going on right now. She can blink engage, get damage off, throw down the incense, and then that's enough to kind of throw some puff of smoke. The question is being able to, right? Not the Hercules, not the Kerberos. If you can find the Jingwei, sure. If you can find the Discordia, sure. But I feel like both Disco and Jingwei have ways to kind of keep people off of them and find safety for themselves. So it's going to be tough. What Sunprod needs to do here is really play like a rat. Just rat in the jungle, wait for the prime opportunity to go in, and not even a second sooner than that. Because if you show your hand too soon, then it's just going to get turned on and completely smushed.
I was about to say a lateral approach, genuinely. Like, you're thinking about the means that Sunprod needs to enter a fight. It can't be full front to be oftentimes from the side, and ideally you don't even want to use your leash. Yeah, behind would also be lovely. Naja, though, can also go for a full frontal approach or decide to amp from the wings. Those Windfire wheels going to do a great job at setting up some big apple plays for the Disco.
I wonder what the team looks like all in all, because a lot of people look at the Naja and think, oh yeah, we have a damage Naja here. But I still feel that aspect Naja is just the way to play the character right now. Very, very strong, either in support or solo. But with the Kerberos, you're kind of assuming they're headed to support. Hercules jungle, Naja solo. I would not hate at all. I think it'd be kind of down for that. The only trouble there is just that you have a little, well, is it trouble to have 3 tanks, or trouble to have 3 tanks for a long time, if we're being honest? It's a lot of CC that my jungler's Obsidian has, and the only thing I would, another big reason why I want Hercules away from the solo lane is because I'm assuming this Ardio is headed to the solo lane, and I don't like the match solo just because Ardio could throw down that cripple field, and suddenly Hercules loses access to that driving strike, so Ardio is able to throw in a lot into him, and he doesn't have great responses in turn.
You see that can be applied very easily from my Obsidian, yeah, sure, you can hit the Earthbreaker on multiple targets, but generally you're only knocking up one. Vermilion Sash, same thing, and whipping our way right into game to find out if they can apply it in the right spots. Witchcraft, make it a foe. This win, find out.
Right is being it's like joke, but yeah, and we all seen it.
But I forget that it comes from the left side on the left side of the map. No starter? Interesting.
No starter, yeah. So what's really cool about this Lucerne hammer that he's built, it is the most strength you can buy level 1 with the amount of gold that you have, right? The trade-off is that you can't buy pots and you can't buy a starter, right? But what you do have is something ridiculous. It's like 25 strength, I believe. So with that, you'll be able to clear. But because he doesn't have a starter, his fighting potential, not the greatest. In fact, you can see that the Naja Scream is starting with the red buff invade inside the jungle of Witchcraft.
And this is a tale as old as time, actually. Scream versus Sunprod's a match that we've gotten to see echo through the annaled halls of Smite Prime for quite some time. And Scream always wins the farm game. I'm curious to see if Sunprod, with this extra strength, is going to try to combat that fact, or if they're okay with letting that be the case and just trying to win the fights instead. What does a Kali jungle bring you that a Naja don't?
Kali jungle has the ability to just kind of one-shot somebody, but it takes some items in order to get her there. I do really like the way that Sunprod and Scream have been parallel farming here. Sunprod's focusing on the left side, Scream focuses on the right side, but Scream is going to be, I want to say, a little bit further ahead and maybe a little bit more prepared for the oracles when they spawn, so we'll see how that pans out for them. But what Sunprod, or what Scream lacks in the full upfront damage that Sunprod will have, he makes up for in raw potential of just setup. And when you have something like a Disco Apple to be able to throw out off the back of a Naja alt, that is pretty solid. Think too, Zapman with the Medusa alt. Or not Zapman, he's on the other team, but Hercules Boulder, Jingwei Bolts, there's a lot to follow up on.
Kaidan Beads, taken down there by Vermilion Sash. Solid start here, but Flamebrands are not up quite just yet. Does, though, lead to a little preview, potentially. Could see this Akate be a target for my jungler's Obsidian once those objectives spawn.
Nika's going to take a little bit of poke here. Zapman and Bayonary in this dual lane. Medusa and Sobek have a ton of damage that's super easy to throw out there. Really good. Whoa, clear too!
That was close. Big blink there from Bayonary. The second strike, though, is not enough to finish the job. Zapman didn't have acid spray, so I'm not quite sure if the Sobek just had faith that their own damage would be enough. Nonetheless, not even going to beat out any relics. Nothing fringe here from Vaporish Coast. They had faith they would survive.
Zapman also opting for an auto attack build. They do have that gilded arrow instead of something like a Bluestone or a Warrior's Axe, or even a Sands of Time, which you might see from something, an ability-based hunter. So you know that Zapman's going to be focused on left-clicking more than throwing out things like Acid Spray or that Stony Gaze.
First Flamebrand's up for the mark, and Sunprod's present. Zapman might be in a bit of trouble. The back doesn't get stopped for support, but Zapman having to take the hard way back to tower. Two brands go down the way of Witchcraft, but the damage going far better for my jungler's Obsidian. Golden Apple bounces around, finds Sunprod on the backside. Ardio's got to try to run back. Is able to escape for now, but the Vermilion Sash finds them. Halts their descent. In the back line, dives the Discordia. Snatty, though, turns it around. An amazing beads in response to the root. Hercules is present, but can't do anything as Witchcraft grabbed the first blood. Now Sunprod's got to try to make sure that they don't give him the counter kill. And indeed, they'll oblige. A leap back to safety. Witchcraft find the first kill.
Sunprod looked for the re-engage there. They had the blink and then the 3, so some damage that was able to pop off. Even though Witchcraft walks away with a kill, Jungler's Obsidian is able to find that red buff, maybe potentially a little bit more, as Deduin looks towards that blue buff as well. So that tit for tat we were talking about earlier, Dilo, live and well. So it's kind of hard to say like who kind of walked away with the true win. If anything, I like it more for Jungler's Obsidian. If anything, just because you have the timers on both the red and the blue buff, so you can set yourself up for the next rotation of ganks.
Winner is the viewer for watching what should be a pretty solid series so far. If anything's an indication, Witchcraft and my Jungler's Obsidian playing with a lot more caution. Witchcraft, especially given the breakneck pace that they've been able to take some of these wins, I have a feeling they're going to have to slow down immensely. And like we said before, Sunprod, not quite their MO. They like to fight quite a bit. which is why I like to see that they already got to take one kill over their jungle opposition. The fact that Scream went down is important.
It delays him and his farm from getting online too fast, too quickly. But we'll open the gates action for safety there. Kaidan does not want to give anything to Scream. But the real question is, D'Lo, after you get that first kill, can you translate it to more? Firebrands are going to be coming back up, and I have a feeling it's going to be a hot plate of contestation for both of these teams.
What's so annoying about being a Najad's playing from behind is that you only have CC that forces you into the fight. Much like a Cabrakan, it's completely committal. So Flame Brands go down without any committal from my jungler's Obsidian, all to Witchcraft.
Kali's also going to be fairly committal as well. You have to get up close and personal in order to do all your damage. And Sunprod also has the blink in order to make those engages. No beads or anything like that, so there is a world where Scream can find Sunprod with an ult and take them out before they can ult in turn.
Whoa, there's a world where this Gold Fury goes down completely unbeknownst to Witchcraft, but Kaidan's going to make sure that they at least have some hand on it, not stolen away despite the triplicate visions. Beads forced off of Kaidan as well. My jungler's Obsidian. A solid sneak of the first objective.
When you know where Witchcraft wants to be on those rocks, they had it warded up. So you see two people show up on the brands. That gives you the okay, the green light, to take a look on the other side of the map and see what plays you can make. That's kind of the risk-reward game that you're playing when you decide to focus on the solo side. It's that Gold Fury's right there. And honestly, my jungler's Obsidian has got a great team to shred it down. Nika's got Protred attached to that breath from Kerberos. And if you can have 4 people commit to an early objective, that Protred adds up pretty quickly, because then your whole team is doing extra damage.
I'm seeing Sunprod spend a lot of time on this right side of the map trying to catch the Duin unawares. It's just not working out. So yeah, your RDO's got to level up, but is that going to translate to much? Like you said, it's the stuff after the stuff. It's the kills after the first, or the objectives, but they're not falling into Witchcraft's pockets. About 7 minutes in, it's 1-0. And Gold Lee's just about even. What's not shown, though, on that board are the perks that my jungler's Obsidian is getting from those pips.
Worth noting, too, if there was ever a character that's going to be harder than usual to gank, it is Hercules, notorious for just soaking a bunch of damage and living. So trying to force a gank over there is going to involve multiple people, not just Sunprod.
Well, multiple people is the call for action around these Flame Brands. It's a 3v4 in favor of Witchcraft. Sigid Torment picks up 2, but it's the beads from the RDO. Great open the gates to Sunprod. Decided to take the portals. No, they take the trip up to the sky instead. Destruction outlasted, though. They stay alive and actually manage to leap away, but the Sunder results in their end. Nika takes down Sunprod, and now RDO's left alone in the pit. Sobek watches from the outside, and Triplicate Visions goes wide. No damage left. Not enough friends left either. Witchcraft go home with one body on their shoulders.
They will have 40 shards in this ritual, though, as my jungler's Obsidian swiftly moves to overtake them in that mid lane. Zapman misses a dash.
That was really important. That Lacerate needed to find the root cripple in order to ensure there's potential for the kill, but at least there's certainly potential for the neutral farm. That one fight was certainly an interesting one there, Musey. What are the patterns that Witchcraft need to pick up to ensure we don't see a repeat of that from last time?
Honestly, just gotta make sure that you're not caught out by that Kerberos ultimate. And like I said before, Sunprod cannot be walking up in a straight line against them. You have to go from the off angle. You have to rat your way to victory because you have no beads against all that CC.
There's present for the ritual in the mid lane. Shard advantage this so far to my jungler's Obsidian. They've made quick work of trying to catch up with that mid pad. 4 members versus 4, but the Hercules in the front lines is scary. Don't have a way to driving strike through that cripple, but no longer inside the field means they can easily use it. The beads forced off of Kaidan, open the gates is out, and it's going to be able to catch the damage, but can't catch anyone off the CC. It's a portal instead back from Witchcraft to ensure some safety. In the front line, though, goes Sunprod. Full frontal seems to work when Scream's already dropped down to a quarter. It's great pluck as well, but Stygian Torment forces them back. Kaidan goes down in Baron area as well. Amazing counterplay there from the Cerberus.
But all in all, Witchcraft is feeling good about it because Sunprod walks away with yet another kill, a double kill. And because Witchcraft got the kills first during that ritual, D'Lo, every kill you get earns you 5 shards for that mid pad. So that means Witchcraft has got the pushers, they've got the lane reset, and they'll have some pressure on the map.
About 10 minutes in, that certainly feels good for Witchcraft. It's tied up 3-3, and now we're starting to see someone pull just a little bit ahead, 400 gold. in their favor. The Flame Brands are dominated so far by my jungler's Obsidian. Ardio's present, trying to grab at least one for the team, and actually does manage to get a bit of farm in there. A couple rocks to the road, and my jungler's Obsidian Witchcraft. Pretty even keel so far, though. A Gold Fury pull from Witchcraft. They're trying to get audacious on the left side of the map as well.
It's kind of gutsy. Your pushers are gone, and it looks like BennyQ might be aware. This could either be a drop angle or maybe a pluck onto BennyQ.
But I don't think the rest of the team's ready to follow up even if the pluck does find the mark. So instead we turn our attention to the objective. My jungler's Obsidian decide to let it go.
Interesting. I guess my jungler's Obsidian just wasn't there to stand up for it. Just unfortunate positioning, or just a really smart grab from Witchcraft there. I love the way that they kind of play the map razor sharp, right? Like even a little mistake there kind of screws them a little bit, but no mistakes were had, and now that puts Witchcraft back on even keel with my jungler's Obsidian, at least in terms of Gold Fury pips. Both teams making it out 50% faster for a few seconds when they leave that fountain.
And now I look at the level leads, and I'm reminded of something that Mort said many Smite Primes ago, where Scream is just a farm demon. That's what Scream does. And if Scream's not executing, if Scream's behind this early in the game, then what are we even doing at this point? What can Scream do to ensure they get back in the swing of things?
You gotta keep on your farm, man. Hey, you're a farm demon. You gotta get out there. Gotta tend the crops. Gotta get to the field. You gotta plant. You gotta seed. You gotta sow. You gotta reap. You gotta do all that. But that is going to be kind of hard to do with the way that Witchcraft has been controlling the map. I do feel that maybe it will start with my jungler's Obsidian keeping focus around those rocks so that maybe you can look for jungle invades and get ahead that way.
Maybe find a kill on Sunprod instead. The Windfire Wheels try to take them out, but Destruction as well as those portals, such an easy combination to set up. Sunprod can stall for time, Kaidon can set up the escape route, Sunprod gets the getaway car.
But with Sunprod not present for this mid push, means that Kaidon's going to be all by himself here. I wonder if my jungler's Obsidian can look for something a little bit bigger. We're going to settle for these rocks. It's the easy, consistent win to get. So it also scales you up a little bit. Each rock that you picks up earns you 1 strength and 1 int. So it's not just about getting the gold and experience from the Firebrands. It's about scaling up your damage even just a little bit, because every little bit counts.
Beatstick built up there for Witchcraft in the favor of the Ardio. That certainly counts as well to try to counter those mitigate wounds that Hercules is going to be outputting. Sustain is the name of the game. We've seen it so far with the Guan Yu compositions that Witchcraft have output. It's glad to see that we're not underestimating Dude's potential in there as well. Stone Gaze going to find the stun and find the kill. Not even any help necessary from Sunprod. Certainly appreciated, though. One more the way of Witchcraft.
Zapman may not be able to hit these dashes, but I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter if you're hitting everything else. That tier 1 tower is going to be falling down. A little bit of extra gold there for Witchcraft, and kind of opens up that left side of the map here so Sunprod can take a look at those back camps next to purple, and maybe even a little bit deeper next to that speed buff too. And with Gold Fury going to be spawning around the corner a little more than a minute, Witchcraft is going to want to start setting that up.
Overall, if you're able to get Zapman up on top, you really have nothing to complain about. Baronary and Nika. Secret meeting in the bush.
Aww.
That's kind of cute.
They're
I
best
respect
friends.
that. Yeah, but no one else can know. That's what they have to do in the bush. No one else can see that you're fraternizing with the enemy.
Yeah.
Baronary, get out. They have to do a quick sickening strike to keep up appearances. Kaidon saw that,
Yowie.
though.
Yeah.
Between the shark and the dog, there's a lot of layers to that fanfic.
Oh, I'm doing the thing. Layers.
I didn't even realize it.
Okay.
No, I like it. I love a call back here. Love this game. 14 minutes. 4-3. Witchcraft, about 2K ahead. They're doing solid work so far of keeping this lead. Late game, though, Musey, who do you think takes the advantage on paper? Which god pool is the better one in terms of those bigger 5v5s?
Oh gosh, that's kind of hard to say, especially given how a lot of it is dependent on positioning from Sunprod and what my jungler's Obsidian is able to find with their own engages. Like, are we able to burn the beads away from Witchcraft before Nika gets an ult? Is it going to be Nika's ultimate that burns the beads? Does that mean that Scream's ultimate is going to find purchase? There are, in fact, layers to everything that's going on here. Yeah, I say you saw it in your head there. But it comes down to the sequence of events and what we're able to pull first. Reliably, Witchcraft's team fight looks pretty easy to execute, honestly. We're either getting a pluck on somebody, or Sunprod is blinking on a backlaner and eliminating them before trying to make a getaway, and that is that, right? Snatty gets to live forever because they're playing Artio, and they have a lot of chase potential with their root cripple combo. Whereas my jungler's Obsidian involves looking for ultimates, peeling away abilities, making sure that you peel away your enemy ultimates before you're able to find the true value of your team comp. But should those conditions be satisfied, D'Lo, you should just win a fight.
Both of these teams have very obvious flow charts. It could be from Kaidan's open the gates, or it could be from a pluck. But either way, someone's out of position, someone dies. My jungler's Obsidian is a similar case, where you can get a Hercules pluck, but Scream as well has the option to Windfire Wheel someone. It's just that it hasn't really felt like there's been good options, because any single time you take Sunprod up to the sky, destruction and portals are waiting for you back down to the ground to keep them safe. So, again, target selection, always important. My jungler's Obsidian have got to make sure they're selecting the right ones to take that trip up to the stratosphere.
Bayonary 2 on this Sobek does put them into an awkward position potentially the later that the game goes on. One of the main drawbacks of Sobek is that when you pluck somebody in the late game, you are actively putting yourself out of position to put somebody else out of position, right? So Bayonary goes in, finds the pluck, and then what? Gets plucked in turn by Deduin? That's not a good look for you. Gets hit by the Vermilion Sash by Scream. Uh-oh, Scoob, I don't want to deal with that. So it feels like Witchcraft don't want the game to go to level 20 because Bayonary is going to start losing some value. He becomes not an initiating character, but maybe more of a peeling character. Or if you really feel confident in how tanky you can be, then you can go in for those plucks.
Yeah, between the Serb and the Hercules, they really can just take the Sobek. If they try to use Charge Spray to initiate, they can take him halfway across the lane if they wanted to. Might see it right now happen as the mid pad comes up. Sobek eats some good poke for it. Meantime, though, the real objective is the Moonlight Queen. Have we forgotten about this, guys? Witchcraft certainly haven't. They're going to take this one for free.
My jungler's Obsidian are going to see that get popped. If this is there was ever a time to jump, you got to find somebody and do it now.
Instead of Snatty jumping in. Beads forced out from the Stygian Torment, but at least the team doesn't have to worry about that. The Spell Eater does really solid damage. Forced Beads off of Scream as well. Might even get the kill. This Sobek's crazy.
He is going to do a lot of damage, especially because he got that Warrior's Axe, and Sobek already has some pretty strong base numbers to begin with as one of the main supports that is able to look for kills. So now Jungler's Obsidian with Scream down, gotta make something happen.
Whoa, big madness though. Bigger knock-up to do it in Vaporish. Vaporize Snatty alongside Sunprod. Things were looking awfully nice. You had the Moonlight Queen, but all of a sudden your throne's been usurped.
Just like that, Jungler's Obsidian turns it around, and that's that, conditions being satisfied that we had to set there. I guess this time the condition was hit a fat madness and just get them while they can't react. Off of that, they're going to find the Moonlight's Favor, they're going to win that ritual, and a Pyromancer as well, and a Bayonary to boot.
This is trouble. Charge Prey's already been utilized. The Paralyzing Spit, not even going to be used. No stun necessary. Scream, though, was maybe a bit more eager to pursue the kill. That's certainly a turning point fight right there, though. Still, nonetheless, Witchcraft do bear the gold lead, though in that moment, they showed the power of Benny Q and this Discordia pick. We were talking about it when Kaidan was operating. It just feels like Disco gets a lot more value and a lot more easy CC applied while committing a whole lot less.
I like the Divine Ruin pickup here too from Benny Q. It's a good response to the Artio healing, to the Sobek who has a little bit of healing, so you got your anti-heal built, but also being able to throw out that chain lightning when you hit somebody with one of your abilities. Boom. Extra damage. It links out to other people as well. When you have that Madness proc going, two people are already standing next to each other. It makes them ideal targets for your Divine Ruin chain lightning.
And especially if you're all trying to crowd around whatever pick just got lifted up by the Sobek. Everyone's going to be nice and close like already. Can really easily disrupt, distract, discord amongst the team that is trying to focus down a target. That's what she's supposed to do after all. Speaking of Discordia, kind of a lane swap here. Now slotted up against Snatty. Snatty eagerly takes the opportunity to sink their claws into Bendicu's hide, but to leap over the wall. FG's spawned up, and my jungler's Obsidian are starting it themselves?
They're starting it just to get off of it. I mean, they start to look over towards Snatty and then immediately go, oh, looks like Artio got out of dodge. I dare anybody to walk through that doorway if you have the timer in your head. I think it was a bit of a gutsy fire giant pull there, just to see what Witchcraft would do in response, or maybe goad Snatty to walking towards that pit.
A stress test, if you will. Sunprod fails their test at getting the incense stun off. Haven't really gotten to see too much yet from the young junglers since their last spill into the fountain. But they do have that Abyssal Link at the ready. Upgraded Relic and now Beads in pocket to ensure they can maybe shrug off the Windfire wheels.
That is going to be a very important pickup. Snatty, under a little bit of duress, looking for a little bit of 2v1 action, but guess who's in the wings?
Doesn't work out this go-around for you. Vermilion Sash shrugged off by the bees and a charge right through. Kaidan, in the meantime, opens the gates and opens Benny Q's skull. Solid kill there, and Stygian Torment finds deaf ears. No one's there to back up the Serb. This is the jungle, though. Snatty still on their 2v3 shenanigans and winning for that right. Earthbreaker's off the mark, and the last raid actually finds the Cerberus on the back end, but they're going to be torn apart thanks to the blades of Broad and the arrows of Medusa. 2 kills in the pockets of Witchcraft.
It's gonna take that aggression, move it over to the tier 1. Still had their tower plating on there, so able to scoop up that extra gold. It's not going to be a move towards the fire giant though, D'Lo. It's actually going to be the gold tree that we look at here, and I like this just because it's a little bit of a safer option. But also we had a lot of gold that we just earned, so we want to be able to spend that too. It's pretty easy to back from this left side. But also, being able to buff up your minions when you are standing next to them will help future sieges for this Witchcraft team.
High to the Nemean pickup here from the Artio, so if Jingwei tries to lock those arrows onto her, it's going to be doing the damage for you. Titan's Bane here from Medusa, the big rig damage items are starting to get online.
You also see that Titan's Bane available for Vaporish Coast, so my Jungler's Obsidian is not too far behind in terms of their itemization, but as everybody finishes some backs, you're going to see those jumps real quick.
See the mirroring there across the lanes. That man seemed to know, and Vaporish Coast doesn't want to force the issue. Maybe a bit of cognizance that their tower no longer stands, and so safety is not quite as easily available. 21 minutes. 6-5 in favor of Witchcraft. The gold lead's back on top. Pretty solid 6k their way. My Jungler's Obsidian trying to wait for that Sobek maybe to lose some of its impact before they make their next move.
Sobek is going to be kind of hard to kill too because they have that Spirit Robe that they picked up and a Stony Gargoyle. So when they put themselves out of position, if they get CC'd, they'll get some more prots, they'll get some healing. And a Stony Gargoyle can help prevent, you know, the jumping of the Sobek from happening too hard. Looks like Zapman just backed and finished up their starter item as well, so that we have Gilded Arrow. So we're earning extra gold, we're dealing extra damage. It's a big power spike.
It's a big blink and pluck there on top of the disco. The blades find the mark as well, so Execute incoming, baby. You're on the menu. Yum. Baronary takes a big bite of Benny.
And Benny did use their ultimate before they died, so they tried to get the value there. It's going to be Deduin who's next on the shopping block.
Oh my god, unkillable?
I
think not. Kaidan absolutely ripped him apart. FG's next up for the chopping block, and doesn't seem like my Jungler's Obsidian are none too eager to try to contest. The 2 bodies of your friends can certainly make for a good witness that that's a good idea.
Maybe you can try to split push on this tier 1 tower, but some prod has something to say about it.
I don't know if this is going to be the wisest look, though, at the same time. Sunprod decides, yeah, I think it is. Windfire Wheels evades the lash. Really solid work there by Scream, but the ring toss does not bounce right back to Sunprod, so they were not slowed for it. Nonetheless,
meanwhile, Zapman in hot pursuit.
We'll find out if they can get that Cerberus on top. But Jingwei is going to be present. The Rapid Resurrection gets her back to the fight rather quickly. FG, all 5 members of Witchcraft grabbed it. My Jungler's Obsidian looking for new options. Stone Gaze slows down the Neja. Doesn't stop them in their tracks just yet, though. Zapman looks for one last arrow. It's a great portal to scud off their escape and then cut off their head. Killing spree there for Kaidan. Baronary in trouble. But to do it, warded back by the arrows of the Medusa.
Baronary also has that Obsidian Dagger, so even though his health bar is low, it's all just part of the bait. Witchcraft want to force this T2 side, and ultimates are available for the remaining survivors, but Snatty's in the back.
A pluck to clutch up, but it's going to be a pluck right back from the Hercules. No driving strike available because the vines were wrapping up their toes. Snatty now on the front lines trying to screeching gargoyle to do it back. That hurts my ears, but doesn't really hurt the health bar too much. Hercules still fine, and that bird is still safe. Tier 2 taken down.
Ancient Gold Fury is going to spawn when it becomes daytime again. So what Witchcraft want to do here is take away these tier 2 towers so that when we get that Ancient Gold Fury, it'll affect all the Phoenixes, make that next push all that much easier. And if you're my jungler's Obsidian at this point, you still have a solid game plan to find the kills, but you're going to be fighting underneath your birds, almost certainly, unless you can find Sunproud out alone here.
Oh, might be a bit greedy to have gone for those back camps, but maybe Scream's a bit greedy to go for the kill. Beads in response from Sunprod to evade the Windfire wheels. Vermilion Sash gonna allow them to catch up just a little bit more. Open the gates, a potential escape plan for Sunprod. Do they take the getaway van or do they not? Cops were waiting, so Witchcraft decided to just walk on back nice, calm, and slow. And I'm glad about that, because Witchcraft recognized that we have a lot of gold in pocket. Let's spend that before the next fight.
We're about to get some more, too. See the grouping over there on the left side for the Ancient Gold Fury. And with the mid pad going to be coming up as well, D'Lo. That means that we're going to have some pushers go in the way of Witchcraft, more than likely. This is assuming that they get it, but it's kind of hard to assume that they don't. 90 seconds still left for this Fire Giant. And as we finish our back, Deathbringer there for Zapman. Another huge power spike for the crit build. So our crits are going to be dealing an extra 35%. This snake has claws.
Maybe we get a Nemean too. Maybe we consider that too, guys, huh? Just think about it. Just think about it for now.
I'm thinking about it, and you know what? Either a Nemean or a Spectral would be really solid. That's why you can't pluck a Jingwei, by the way. She just kind of flies away. Not ideal.
It's the button check, you know. Are you paying attention? It's 8 o'clock. Do you have your agility up? The answer is going to be yes in this case. 26 minutes. 9-5. 11k gold lead for Witchcraft as they stand at the threshold of 2 birds. 2 weakened as well. Sunprod makes quick work of the tier 2 tower on the right side. That doesn't mean they're not present, though, if a fight breaks out. My jungler's Obsidian. Not trying to push their luck. Waiting for Witchcraft to enter into their territory. Great Stygian Torment. Baron Ares in trouble. Crippled as well, and the Shell of Rebuke won't save ya. One big bite. Do they get away? A bit of a heal and an amazing portal, but the Earthbreaker catches them. The do it. Takes them out. Now could be trouble here for Artio as well. Tidon launching spells from the back line. Takes down Scream easily with a flick of the wrist. Mid-bird under the pressure, but Snatty gonna apply just a bit more to the front line. Sunprod grabs Vaporish Coast. The Mark of Death applied is doing, but that shield's going to gotta work for first. There's a fountain that Sunprod's gonna have to wad through. A river of blood, an ocean. Benny-Q takes them out before they can leave the base. And Witchcraft are able to burn away that left side bird. Mid's up next, but they can't take the Titan just yet.
Unfortunate. I mean, you know, Sunprod went in there, had the Moxie, had the Gusto to take a dip into the Titan, but not quite enough to find the kills. But with 3 birds cooked up and fried, the lava chicken, now they have to deal with the fact that you've got these pushers pushing each individual lane here. Because the whole time that fight was happening, Witchcraft is still advancing their map state, and FG is going to be around the block too. Enhanced Fire Giant in just a little bit of time here. See that timer on the top? We hit that nighttime. That's when the freaks come out. They go for that EFG.
Yeah, Arena's for the savages. Conquest is for the freaks. And 28 minutes.
Conquest is for the freaks. Write it down.
We're approaching them. You heard it here first, folks. I'm looking at you, member in the chat. You know what you are. That being said, FG up. Iron Mans are ready. Witchcraft could decide to try to wait to stall that timer knowing these birds are down, but my jungler's Obsidian. A risky call here. They're going to try to contest.
They have to contest, honestly. If they don't fight for this FG, they're going to lose the game. And if they give up the FG, they lose the game. So you have to get the FG, you have to kill them, you have to win. This is how you make it happen.
They go back in, but instantly Zapman with 3 bullets in the clip takes down Scream. And now my jungler's Obsidian. They might have made their own bed here. Petrifying Gain's going to find some decent damage on the Jing. Open the gates in the back line to Doin. Swaps places. Zapman says, tag out, buddy. You're facing me now. Sunbro on the front lines while the Doin dies in the back. It's a Screeching Gargoyle and a massive plug, but the Madness buys you a bit of time. Not enough. Vaporish Coast. Vaporize as well. Nika takes down Sunprod, but that's only a consolation prize. Benny Q falls in the jaws of Bayro once more. Witchcraft step to the throne room.
They had to try. They had to try at that FG pit. Unfortunately, try as they might, it won't be enough. Witchcraft, undefeated so far every time we've seen them on screen, and they continue that trend.
Man, oh man, what is with this team? It's so interesting. We've seen individual players have varying levels of success, right? Sunprod, we've seen him all the way at the peak of Smite Prime, and we've also seen him sometimes get exited first round, but somehow, some way, these 5 players are just kismet together. And we're gonna have to find out if they can keep the streak on going. Stick around. Game 2 coming up after this. Hello everyone, and welcome on back to Smite Prime, where the plays are always premium and potentially at their near finish. Game 2, Grand Finals coming at you here. Witchcraft off the back of another amazing victory. Not quite as quick as the ones we've seen before, but still damn impressive. D'Lo, Muzi here in the booth. Jithens, all my behind the sky and behind the curtain. You watching at home. Muzi, what can they do? How do we stop them?
It's got to start with the good picks and bans. I mean, I think that's where we have to really come back to the drawing board and come to a game plan. We need to think a little bit differently about how we want to play into this team, because very clearly Witchcraft knows the game that they want to play. Sunprod is always going to be on a pick that lets them look for key kills or try to be a big impact in a team fight. Snap is always looking to play something that lets them live forever. Add-ons always on some kind of artillery mage, Banner and Batman. You can hope that they don't have too much else
not rise their head from the lurking waters anymore, at least not today. So again, we go deeper at new 10 gods, and the question is, do the same gods get banned? Do we see maybe a new threat that we need to pick our attention onto? Baron Samity still available for Snatty to grab, so I'd say there's still a lot to be scared of.
Cuckoo with the Aspect, Artemis, like you said, Baron Sandy's still available out there, Yamoja as well. There are still 3 bans on each side before we even get to the picks, the normal traditional bans, and we need to think about what we take away there. I'm pretty sure, D'Lo, do you remember if was Aladdin even banned that set? I don't believe Aladdin was banned so far. So Scream has that to fall back on. We know Scream also likes to look towards things like the Mercury, was something that they like to play for a bit there. Fenrir is another really solid pick to have. Take Fenrir, we saw earlier today. Get a lot of value out of that adapting, made that look pretty good. And then when it comes to things in the mid lane, I mean, like I said, Giannis, Agni, Merlin are going to be the next that we look at over there. And for ADC, Artemis on her, which was banned actually in the last game in the traditional sense. So we also have pretty much the whole pool there. We started with Medusa. So that's usually something a little bit lower on the priority list that just got scooped up the top and Zabin made it look ridiculously good. So it really is just going to come down to we need to be able to scoop up the broken picks so that the other enemy team can't have anything.
It's that idea of, again, like you kind of piecemeal together, you drip feed the great picks, and if you start with a game victory on picks that are not even optimal in this current landscape, that's such a great indication because you're saving options for the future that are ready to fall back on when maybe the chips are a bit further down. So, Zapman, keep it going, buddy. You're killing it. Ulla's still available. Still tons of great CC ability-based gods, but they went with the autos, and man, those autos slammed. And that's supposed to be Jingwei's job. Unfortunately, just could never find their stride.
I mean, Medusa had the anti-heal in pocket, but she also has the ability to kind of grab somebody, hold them in place long enough to take your Viper shots and leave. So the Medusa did look really solid there.
Absolutely. We're going to take leave for just a little bit. Some tech issues we got to work out before we hop into what very well could be the final game we see here today. So guys, stick around. We'll be right back with more Smite Prime action. Hello everyone, welcome on back. Smite Prime, Peak, Prime, Premium, always. D'Lo, Muzi, Jithens, you. 2 teams. 10 gods. We haven't got to see them yet, but we don't know who's going to be on the board. Music's like, any wild prediction out there, just give me a god that we're going to see and a player they're going to play it on. Let's give you the chance to make a 6C2 clip. Go.
I think Scream Aladdin is the hero that we need right now, right?
Okay.
Scream, put the Aladdin in the bag. Let's just put it in the bag. Come on, run it. Let's see it. Save the line, Bart. Want to see that Aladdin just because they always look so good on it. But I have a little bit of a hot take. It is a hot take.
A lot of those today.
I don't think Aladdin is as good as we think he is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, guess we'll have a chance to find out as we hop into P's and B's. Muse, you want to defend your claim? What is the reason for that declaration? What you got?
I don't know. He's super good. Good matchups into him. Like, I think you could definitely pick him. I don't know if he's the best pick in the world right now. I still want to see Scream play him just because he looks so good on him that it's kind of hard not to succeed. But even if we don't see him, I don't think I hate it, to be honest.
I haven't got to see it for quite some time on the Smite Pro stage. That's...
I'm just going to keep ripping hot takes. I'm just going to keep letting them loose.
I'd rather you not, honestly. Yep. Sure, we should add Baki Kujir in the game.
Ho! Watch your mouth. Okay. Anyways, ESET ban, Odin ban. God, you said that on live TV. What's wrong with you?
You actually like Bake? Are you actually a fan? I mean, I'm an Amus and Cobb main, so I can't really complain too much, but at the same time, like, I don't know, man. Bring the B-boy back. You like jazz?
You like jazz? I'll tell you what I like. These bands. ESET, Neath, On Her, Odin. Neath. Sneaky good. Still really good. Everybody just kind of forgets that she's really good. So, global presence, does a ridiculous amount of damage, has really good builds. Like, she's just good. Take her off the board. That means that we are going to be looking at probably Merlin or Agni Yanis for our mid laner. Maybe even... Yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting. Maybe a Newt as well would not be a bad pickup here, specifically for mid. There's a Yemoja ban. Probably going to see the Baron ban as well.
We didn't get to see the Baron picked up last game around, even though it was, or actually, no, rather, I believe it was banned at the end. But Yemo was not banned last time around. This time, Witchcraft, remember that it's certainly a god you got to watch out for. Odin and Thor being banned away. Sunprod's being targeted here by quite a bit. And like you said, Sunprod's a player that likes to take things into their own hands. They don't want to play necessarily a setup god like a Hoonbots. I don't think a Sunprod on that. I think a Sunprod and a god that can get the kills.
Thanatos, something like that. Loki, maybe. Guan Yu is going to be the pick here for Baronary, just because we've got the... Oh, Guan Yu is going to be the pick here for Nika. So interesting that Witchcraft banned away their own Odin. But that's all right.
Huh.
You know what? Hey, if I can't have my favorite toy truck, no one can. Right? That's kind of when you're from the pick as well. First two opossums to these because of the loss, but that then get on this one.
One other thing about this, it's the Kabrakan, the Duin's playing. This makes a ton of sense, and Baron Sammy's gonna have a hard time up against those walls.
Well, interestingly enough, Baron Sammy is really good into Kabrakan because if you try to ult yourself, well, yes, Kabrakan wall's good into Baron, you are correct, but also if Baron tries to ult the Kabrakan and you try to turn around as a Kabrakan and throw your walls down, you still get sucked into the Baron ult, by the way, because the walls don't come up. Like, the Baron can be close enough to just get you through the wall. If that isn't just the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard of, by the way. But, Guan Yu, Kabrakan, Tsukiyomi. We are all in on this engage, by the way. We are all in.
Yeah.
So, we just need more all-in picks to go with this My Jungler's Obsidian team, and we are just running at them full speed.
Apollo says, all right, I can do the exact same thing. Just bring in their homies in the Uber XL. Hoi Yi, first time you're going to see a lot of ADC-based gods, but Apollo could, of course, decide to run the aspect and be taking a solo lane. But given how effective Snatty was, is it an Apollo or a Hoi Yi jungle? Which one?
It's a Hoi jungle, fairly certain. Hoi in the jungle, he's got really good clear with the ricochets. He's got a good team fight ultimate that you can use for ganking. He's got great initiation with the mark and the jump and the stun. You know, Hoi is going to be one of those premier ranged junglers, 100%. So we've seen Sunprod play things like the Jingwei jungle and the Hoi jungle before. So we do have a track record for this to follow. Plus, Zapman on Apollo is just a very comfortable pick for him, I imagine, all the way back from Smite 1 as well. And like you said, that Uber XL able to maneuver the team around. We already know that Witchcraft loves to play the map, so it's a good pick for them.
I got excited the moment I saw the Raw, dude. That's awesome. Medicue on a god is easily interrupted, and you have a mere Apollo staring you down. Those walls can swing back both ways.
Yes, Ymir is going to get a ton of value here. Guan Yu, Kabrakan, Tsukiyomi, and Ra all get blocked away by that Ymir wall. Ullr's the only one that's going to be able to jump over it, so when Bayonary locks in that pick, that Ymir pick, it's going to be pretty tough to maneuver around. For especially thinking of the jungle specifically, jungle fights are going to look really awkward for my jungler's Obsidian, while Bayonary is there to kind of cut off an option. And think too, we have a lot of area denial with this Merlin and with this Hou Yi. Merlin's just able to throw out those giant circles, and Hou Yi's able to call down, 9, 10, a million suns on top of your head.
6 or 7.
So at least 6 or 7 suns that he's able to throw out there. So it is tough.
Yeah.
Which means my jungler's Obsidian has one option available, Velo.
Shell.
Get at them. You gotta go. You gotta jump on them immediately and just kill them all at once.
Witchcraft don't really give you an option. They say if you guys want to be around in the fight, you better stick around or die trying. We're gonna hop into game to see if my jungler's Obsidian can try to get back into here, tie things up, and potentially set up the reverse sweep. Dilo, Musi, Jithin's here on the scene to find out.
Taking a quick look, aspect here for the Apollo ADC. So what this does is, instead of having your increased attack speed, it gives you more casts on your So Beautiful when you fill up your passive meter. So that really helps with the clear. Pair that with the Bumba's dagger. They took off the deal reduced damage. So now it's just like a little baby golden blade. Because the extra damage to jungle camps is going to be attached to the jungle passive. So it's interesting to see Zatman come back to that. Really just focused on farming and potentially split pushing as well, honestly. And then, of course, when you have Nika on this Guan Yu, it's what we all know and love from the Guan. This time with the Sands of Time, so that we have more conviction casts for your team.
Also, we need to get on top of the fact that there's a Ra alongside that Guan Yu. So again, in theory, even though my jungler's Obsidian are a committal comp, if they do somehow survive an engagement, and Witchcraft does as well, they can easily get back up to a very sustainable amount of HP between the Chicken and the Mountain Breaker.
Speaking of sustained HP, 4 Aegises for Witchcraft, and this is in response to just seeing the Tsukiyomi and the Ra together.
Ow!
Interesting note about the, Aegis. You pop Aegis whenever the Tsukiyomi starts going in on top of you. You immune the damage, and he shouldn't be able to touch you there. And even if he does get you, you just pop the Aegis and live anyways.
I'm a bit concerned, honestly, for my jungler's Obsidian. It feels like their composition is a bit split down the middle. They're sustained, but they're also burst. And the burst right now is coming in the form of this Ymir. These frostbitten autos, you cannot underestimate them. They do double damage after all, forcing a Phantom Shell from Nika. And already the level 2 difference showing he's got his freeze.
When he's got that Warrior Axe there too, every 10 seconds or so, he's going to be able to deal an extra 30 true damage and get himself a little bit of sustain. Bayonary on this Ymir was already a very early pressure pick because of that passive, but now even more so. Yeah, Jungler's Obsidian cannot step up to them pretty much whatsoever, and that works because Nika and Coast are looking to kind of hang back and chill for a bit until we get items online, but that does give Witchcraft a lot of priority on the gold camp, the buff camp on the side, and even potentially a purple invade once they respawn.
I don't know how Scream gets a single Kasari Gamma off without being interrupted by either the Apollo, by the Ymir, or by the Mark of the Crow stun. There's a lot that can stop them from dealing the full extent of their damage. We might find out shortly. They wait in the bushes. Ymir seems to be privy, but they do wrap her on the backside. The Dark Moon Shuriken looking for the Ymir. Kasari Gamma right there, interrupted instantly by the freeze. It's a good axe on top of the Apollo, but Witchcraft able to shrug off the majority of the damage.
When Scream looks to engage on these fights, I feel that they're not going to be the ones to start, but kind of like the second wave. Oh, hold on. Yeah, he's super low over there. What's going on, buddy? No!
Consigned Spirits nearly takes their soul. That is crazy to do and survive. You want to see Cab. You nearly saw him die, but no one's dead quite just yet.
But that guy had 63 health to his name. He's going to go in and hit the back, pick up an Olmec Blue, and Hopefully that won't happen to them again. I do like the matchup with Cabrakan into Baron, if only because Baron kind of spaces out enemy solo laners with their Wrap It Up, but Cabrakan is root immune when he activates his 1.
Great wall there from the Ymir, forcing Nika back. Again, just what can you do? The freeze interrupts your Talal Assault. The So Beautiful does the same thing. There's not really much other than to try to bait out those CC abilities. Now we get the first set of Flame Brand spawning. Kasari Gamma right into a Searing Pain, but the Aegis shrugs off the majority of the damage. Now we can try to respond back with our own. Ricochet finds the stun, but Scream still's got a pretty reasonable. Say thank you very much, but the Searing Pain's off the mark. Scream still takes it for Obsidian, and the Axe might just take the kill on top of the Euler, or rather the Hoi Yi, but a good hover. Can they get across the wall? The answer is no. Vaporish Coast finds the kill. Everything going the way of order so far. Now Ymir slowed down, melted beneath the sun's rays. Nika takes down Barrow.
There you go. My jungler is Obsidian, finds the Gold Fury, cleans up a bunch of kills, and that'll be good to tie the game. And like I said before, put your head back in the proper headspace and kind of show Witchcraft that you are not somebody to just kind of be walked all over. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot let Witchcraft think that they can get away with anything. Or maybe you can and then capitalize on it, just like they did there. Yeah. If my jungler's Obsidian is able to keep the pressure up, maybe take some of this aggression, somebody help out to do it. Soloed twice over there in the solo lane. And 3-level difference, I mean, we've seen what happens when Snatty gets too big too quickly. We gotta find a way to temper that and kind of douse that fire.
I see a 1v4 in my crystal ball. 7 minutes in. It's 5-7 in favor of Witchcraft, but after that Gold Fury, my jungler's Obsidian have shrunk that gold lead down to just about 1,000. Pretty solid. And the pip as well. To get them back to base and back out into the fray a bit sooner. The pad's up, and Witchcraft do have priority. My jungler's Obsidian, despite that last fight victory, still not with all the momentum.
Mid-pad getting claimed here by Witchcraft. All but there's an opportunity here still. My jungler's Obsidian, they have the groupings.
Great Suns. Wow, what a great block there. Forces the beads out from the Rob, but the Searing Pain right back. A lot of damage. The Piercing Moonlight as well. Beams on top of beams. Sun Prod will fall. Ice Shards charged up and Benny Q brought down. Could be trouble next to the Tsukiyomi. One last So Beautiful is all that's needed, but the auto's being blocked by Nika. Solid body blocking there from the support. Does bail Scream out just a little bit. The Axe comes through from Vaporish, but it's off the mark. That's enough to ward Witchcraft on back. The wall could potentially lead to the re-engage, but they decided to just lick their wounds. It's a 1-for-1 across the board.
Witchcraft already won the fight when you think about it, because they got the ritual, which is going to bring these pushers down the lane and reset their TPs as well. Snatty will maintain control over the firebrands on the solo side, pretty much all by himself. I mean, 3 levels up, all with only a Lightbinder. That back is going to be disgusting the next time they go back to base. But I like the way that jungler's Obsidian still kind of keeping their head in the game. And Scream's ganks have been good. It's just that every time you have a rotation from somebody from jungler's Obsidian, you have this global ultimate from Zapman that can just add a +1 player to the fight that makes it all the harder to play against.
I mean, that last fight was carried by the Searing Pain from Benny Q, hitting Sunprod raw because they're in that limited jungle corridor by the Gold Chalice. That was very pivotal. Allows Scream to use that finish off the rest of the damage, but can you rely on Benny in lane Searing the same way? And the fact
a sucker great leave it and have to.
You know this. We all know this. Don't back in front of Vaporish Coast like you can't act in the face.
Can I ask you a question? Go back to base. Here's the thing that I was thinking about just now when it comes to this raw pick deal. Not very mobile, which I think puts Bendicu in a very awkward position, especially against Bayonary, yes, but when Baron starts rotating to these fights, if this Rod doesn't have beads, they're going to get sucked in by that life of the party. When Sunprod makes a rotation, they're going to get locked in by those Suns. And that means Kai'Nat is going to have damage that they can throw on top of this chicken as well. And they are going to get their goose cooked. I'm a little worried that Benny is going to have to play so far back in order to keep themselves safe that in turn puts them in a dangerous position where Sunprod or Snatty is just going to loop around behind and be like, oh, hey, what's up, bro? You got beats?
time, but something to look out for once the 5v5s begin.
We're not too far away from those 5v5s as well. Pyromancer has hit the field. Gold Fury's well in respawn here. Coast throws out the axe, but Baneri's here.
Oh no, Vapor's Coast, bit of buyer's remorse. A great leap, but a better wall. Up into the sky goes the Apollo. Once again, just leaves the Ymir in the dust. Bro, at least turn around, act like you see that he's struggling. But nope, instead, Baronary charges up the shards of ice and gets brought back down to 0.
Great reactivity on the map there from Obsidian team to be able to have that counter gank, that counter engage. Now, you also burned away the ultimate from Zapman. You can take a look at that Gold Fury, but Benny Q is going to be under duress here. Sunprod is killing it with these ricochets.
Oh, forces the beads just with the sun. I thought you were the god of the sun, Rob, but you're the one getting shot down. Now Benny Q sequestered beneath their tower where the Gold Fury begins. Kaidon could be in a bit of trouble. The Wind Sprite taken to catch back up. Kaidon's got damage in their own right. Searing Pain, point blank range. Sunprod eats the double barrels and eats the death.
Jungler's Obsidian gonna go right back over towards that Gold Fury, knowing that Sunprod is dead, and with to do it in the mid lane, they might have been down, but they are not out. Gold Fury picked up, nobody here to stop it. It'll be the second one for my Jungler's Obsidian.
Sunprod probably still got burn marks on their respawn from that last Searing Pain. That was just disgusting work, but second Gold Fury in their pockets. This time my Jungler's Obsidian don't even need Witchcraft to start it up. They can bring it down themselves. It is still worth noting that Witchcraft do bear the gold lead, but as far as how it feels right now, Musy, and the feelings matter quite as much as the actual facts. Well, fact of the matter is Dudu might be in trouble too. Able to easily tiptoe between that wall though. But it just feels like Witchcraft are playing on borrowed time. Obsidian, with each fight, grow closer and closer to their mark.
It really does depend on how Witchcraft can play these fights. I mean, if we can find Betty Q, isolate them, then it's a one fight. If we can live through Scream's initiation off the ultimate, then it's a one fight. But those tools are very strong and hard to live through.
An axe right through the minions, but it's a great Aegis to immune the hail of arrows. Unfortunately, what's waiting for the other side, buddy? Is your Uber here yet? Nope. Gonna be a pickup time that's 2 minutes too long. Scream takes him down for the killing spree.
See that sentry ward right next to the left side duo lane? Boomba.
Yeah.
I mean, we have vision for my Jungler's Obsidian, but not for Witchcraft, and my Jungler's Obsidian is abusing that fact by making constant rotations over to that dual lane. They have the cornerstone on vision there. They can't, because Witchcraft can't ward that little corner. And yet, Zapman keeps walking up, and every time they do, they just end up eating a Suki ult to the face.
At this point, Witchcraft, what are you waiting for? It's for Snatty to start rotating and hope that they have the same raid boss status. And in fact, that time might have just come right now. Great wall. Mika is able to dash out and heal back up to near full. With Benny Q by your side as well, you're not really worried about anything that's not lethal damage.
Interesting note here. We were talking about Zapman. Take a look at the build, right? Boombas and Golden Blade. So we're really focusing on the procs. Chin's Blade as well. And then looks like Berserker Shield is going to be next in the market there.
Sorry, Gamma finds the stun, but doesn't find the damage thanks to that Aegis from Sunprod. The golden mark applied, and the suns drop on down. You're not going anywhere with the grayscale, pal. What a great block, and also an Apollo ult to boot. Cavalry charge to pursue Sunprod to the ends of the earth. The Ricochet gets good damage off, but can't really save your life. It's a solid mez to buy some time for the Apollo, but time that's quickly running out. Zapman barely outpaces the axe, and with that, Obsidian decide to melt back to the jungle.
Meanwhile, Snatty's been pushing this solo side all the way back towards that tier 2 tower with those minions pushed up. Witchcraft maybe wants to take a look at that Queen Naga. We actually finish it this go around. Pyromancer is up. Mid-pat's coming up in 60 seconds. We can get this Queen Naga. We can pop the ritual and go straight to that Pyromancer and burn that too. That'll be a pretty significant gold jump for Witchcraft if they can pull it off, and it looks like nobody from Obsidian is even trying to stop them.
Yeah, it's a shame considering you have Benny Q with the Searing Pain locked and ready. Maybe not aware, or maybe not a care, but nonetheless, Witchcraft uncontestedly grabbed that objective. Might come at the cost of your Ymir, but they are able to outpace Kasari Gama. Can't outpace the Piercing Moonlight. The Suns will block their path, and it's actually a great hover to stop them down. Somehow Ymir survives and hits the aura back while Kaidon takes out Scream. The Searing Pain sidestepped by the Ymir. This guy is absolutely crazy, but Vapor's Ghost quickly pays him back with a visit to the fountain. The afterlife is going to be where Deduin's waiting. Zapman takes him down with some help from the Baron, and now Benny Q and Ullr, the last ones left.
So much committed to kill one Ymir, and you don't even get him until it's far, far too late. 2 people strong in this mid lane for jungler's Obsidian, and that's not enough of a defense to stop Witchcraft from just shoving it down. This also opens up that Ritual and the Pyromancer for Witchcraft, so the snowball really starts to begin in full force. We are just... I said it once already, I'm gonna say it again, Dila. We are committing so much here and just not seeing the dividends.
I'm going to say it again. Ymir, best god in the game, baby. Baron Neri was the reason they were investing so much and still staying alive for far too long. Eats the searing pain by not even getting touched by it, and then forces further committal by Vaporish Coast. Just beautiful. Now members of Obsidian are present, 4-man strong, and Witchcraft haven't gotten to use that gold that they just earned. So that is significant. This fight is still certainly winnable for Obsidian, too.
Doing waiting for this Cabrakan ult. I mean, there's so much value that can be found, especially because there's no shells. And it doesn't even look like you'll need to use it. Witchcraft is actually giving up that ritual entirely, which is interesting. Jungler's Obsidian now going to take their, hey, we're already grouped up. Might as well go take a look at Gold Fury, right?
That was scary. Benny Q.
That was scary.
Nearly getting triple ricocheted there for a second. Got the Mark of the Crow applied, but everyone's at full health again because you have a Ra and a Guan Yu. That's the power of those 2 picks together. Ymir maybe trying to catch one out with a sneaky wall, but won't find it. Now, Witchcraft have gotten their backs off. There's a Brawler's Beat Stick there in the favor of the Baron Airy, or rather, the Bear Insanity. And now, it's Gold Fury begins to get pulled away. Can Witchcraft get their first one? Searing Pain off the mark. That might be the call. We've talked about it before when Benny Q's off the mark with that ultimate. Bad things sure to follow. Starts with the wrap it up, and now it's the life of the party. That's Bear Insanity. The Sun's ensure you stay away, but somehow Cab able to slip right through. Dowlow is sold. Could look for Kydon first. There's a shutdown courtesy of Scream. Shards of Ice charge up, and Ymir about to be brought back down. Apollo delivers himself to the back line, but maybe delivers themselves into Death's hands as the rest of the team turns their focus to Zap. They get absolutely obliterated by Jungler's Obsidian. Now can look for the third Fury, and Snatty, the raid boss, has got to turn back home.
What's insane about that fight is that Deduin's ult didn't really find too much value. Benny's Q ult missed, and yet Witchcraft still lose the fight. Unfortunate. It feels like we had such a good start there for Witchcraft. We had that crazy Ymir save, and then we just kind of threw that out the window and said, yeah, we don't need that actually. I think you wanted that. I think you wanted to win that fight really bad if you're Witchcraft, because you lose gold, and now looks like they're going to be losing their Pyromancer as well.
I mean, man, 3 pips. Extra objective damage. Why not? You might as well. Pyromancer goes, and finally, my Jungler's Obsidian can actually work up to a gold lead. 19 minutes in, it took them a while, but they're up on the kills and up on the farm, too.
Whew. My Jungler's Obsidian want to make this a 1-1 and bring us to that game 3. They've got the team to make it happen, but if you're Witchcraft, how are you turning this around, right? The theorem is there. We have a very big Baron Samedi, level 18 versus Deduin's level 15. We have a Ymir that takes so much to die, but a piece of the puzzle is missing here, and I wonder if maybe we need to find new targets to kind of lock in on. Scream has to commit so much in order to get their damage off. Yeah, let's say Sunprod is just barely not hitting these ricochets. That might just be the difference. Like, if we just hit one of those, that's an ended fight.
Wall for wall. Cabrakan going to try to take it all. Searing Pain off the mark once again, and now Scream turning their attention to Kydon, but they quickly slip out of range. That's okay. Heal back. Get those cooldowns back. We'll do it all over again.
Let's do the time warp again. By the way, we talked about how this Apollo wants to split push. Look at him over there in that left side. Zapman finds a T1 tower in the left. So at this point, all Witchcraft has to do is just make sure that my Jungler's Obsidian doesn't do fire. That will enable Zapman to just constantly push and pressure this lane and Apollo ult over when the time comes. It's the old Apollo split push special.
Who's on the way, but do they know? We know. And now you know. This could be trouble. Beads forced out in response to the hover. Once again, the Ricochet's off the mark, and the Sun not going to do too much other than block their approach temporarily. The Freeze is sidestepped, and Nika eats it instead. That's going to allow the Vaporish Coast to stay pretty healthy and happy as they continue to pursue. Tier 2 tower takes a bit of damage, but the split push was not brought to its full extreme.
I like the zig and zag here too, because Snatty's pushing up the minions on the opposite side of the map now. And it looks like Witchcraft's still seeing if
Vaporish.
they can find something.
I don't know about Vaporish sticking around for that long, buddy. You still have Sunprod lurking in the wings. You know they're on guard duty, pulling in for their friend the Euler. In the Apollo, get out. This is the question. The answer is,
Huh?
what?
Get in the car! I'm coming with you!
I guess the guy was strapped to the
turns
sunroof.
Yeah, he was holding on for dear life. That's a big kill.
That's a big searing pain. Could be trouble there for the Emir as they try to work their way out from the cab walls, but the Baron's going to be able to force them to distract themselves a little bit longer, thanks to that ultimate as well. Sunprod hovers back into range to keep the safe in cab. Locked off by the Suns. One more
many
wall
walls.
to do in his dud. Then it'll be a killing spree there for for Cincinnati. As now my Jungler's Obsidian got to try to find their way back. The Ricochet just barely off the mark. That would have resulted in one more death, but Witchcraft are happy with the 2 they got.
That's crazy sequence of events here. You know what's funny is Zapman's going up into his ultimate. In my head, I'm like, or the reason that Zapman is living through all this damage is because he actually has the Berserker shield to go with the golden blade, and it gives him a lot of survivability.
Oh!
He just went, nope. Yeah, like, I'm up in the sky where I am safe, and is that a flying Tsukiyomi just gunning straight at him? I want to see the Zapman PoE of that, because that must have looked hilarious.
Just like Tsukiyomi like in front of your face, just like POV. He's just staring at you. Goodbye. Unfortunate.
T-posing in the sky.
Right before one last slash, Kasarigama sends you plummeting to the ground. 23 minutes in. Obsidian still bear the kill lead, but have lost the gold lead once more. About 2k the way of Witchcraft, and FG still up for the mark. Pyromancer as well. Did Witchcraft decide to let it get pulled first by Obsidian? Or maybe we pull Snatty instead first. Oh, but look at that! You can still stun them through the walls, Musi. Some crazy little Baron tech for you, and now you're dead. Killing spree there for Benny Q. Solid work there by the Cap.
Very good ultimate from the Bracken there. Like, you know, hey, if somebody's really big in one side of the lane, you send 4 people over there and you kill that guy, right?
Yep.
That is the end-all, be-all. And with the man advantage, my Jungler's Obsidian can maybe look to bait out a Fire Giant fight here, or just all but burn it if they want to.
Kaidon's not present. They're too busy pushing down to tier 2 in the mid. They're going to quickly shift their attentions on over, and if they can maybe sneak behind and find some good damage, could be a chance to turn things around, but it's going to be risky. These heals are so important. Look at that. Guan Yu nearly back up to full. Cavalry charge dodged by the hover. Sunprod takes the safe way out. It's a rocket jump to ensure Ymir stays alive too. They've been pulled off the FG. That's A-OK. That's what Witchcraft want. So Snatty will be back in 4 seconds. And Obsidian can no longer reasonably take it within that time. But the question is, will Witchcraft overextend? They got to make sure to play this one safe. Play it by the book.
You have all that sustain and all that healing from Ra and Guan Yu. Maybe you settle for something like a Pyromancer instead. Honestly, I think we're still waiting for a fight here, D'Lo. We still want the brawl.
Yeah, Snatty's still not here yet. We gotta quickly make sure they arrive before too much transpires. In the meantime, axe dodge there by Sunprod. And the Ymir can do a good job at trying to keep him safe with the wall as well, or maybe just cutting off that back line once the front line decides to enter on through. That's exactly what you see right there. Nika could be in trouble. Bracken's walls rise up, but it doesn't save Nika from the stun. The Shards of Ice charged up, but the Searing Pain still goes wide, despite the immobile target. A wall cuts off Nika's escape, but they're able to dash back to safety. Obsidian have the heals. Do they have the peels, is the real question. Beads forced off there from the Sook. Piercing Moonlight just to ensure CC immunity. They do not want to go back in. Obsidian need to heal, they know it. Bracken cut off from the team, but able to rejoin.
Everybody's still alive. Witchcraft, a little bit worse for wear, though. They don't have the sustain that Obsidian does. But all the ultimates were used from my Jungler's Obsidian, so they don't have the tools to stand up to Witchcraft in this moment. Zapman's got his. But it looks like Witchcraft is still going to take the step back. Very, very interesting fight here, because it just seems that we're waiting. If one player dies here, D'Lo, by the way, one player dies, it cracks the whole thing open for either team. It's just going to be who's going to be the first one to fall. Who's going to be the inter? Who gets labeled and marked and have a Reddit post made about them, right? That is the stage of the game where we're at. But we also have to make sure that we get our backs off. We get some gold we get to spend. My Jungler's Obsidian are going to finish up this night ritual, hopefully with some pushers on the map. they can make a bigger play while applying pressure everywhere else.
Second relics being built up here by the Baron and the Emir. Curious to see what those will be, but you can see that the Sook and the Guan have invested in shells, just recognizing how much of a thorn in their side Sunprod and Barrel have been both, with the Suns and the Ice Walls both.
We're back to a moment of levity here. We could go back, if you're Witchcraft, to that strategy of split pushing. You do have that global presence of the Apollo. But if there was ever a time to pull Fire Giant, it's got to be right now, honestly. Because you can play the Fire Giant dance while these pushers are going. Zatman shows himself on the map. Yup, this is your time to rip it.
Obsidian recognize it. They'll take the opportunity. Aaron's present in the front lines. Emir takes the Wind Sprite on in, finds double freeze, but it's a Searing Pain in response, and actually some decent damage on top of Snatty as well. The Suns come down. Benny Q likes the heat. Can they stay in the kitchen? Vaporish Coast drop down mad low to do it as well. Trying to finish off Baron as they ring him around the Rosie in the fire pit. Baronary plays with fire, gets burned. Nika goes down as well in exchange for the Emir to do it. Will fall as Zatman's now arrived to the scene. The Ricochet dodge, but not for long enough. It's a triple kill from Sunprod, but Scream responds back, lays their life down in exchange for Kaidons. It's a deicide for Witchcraft.
Zatman's going to be the tank that Witchcraft needs to be able to take this Fire Giant after the fact. So Fire Giant will go the way of Witchcraft as well. Sunprod looking so good on this Ho Yi. Snatty lived forever getting jumped on by two people. It didn't even matter. And then the rotation from Zatman as well. They were over in the left side. They ult over. And unfortunately, my junglers, Obsidian, they had the chance, but they weren't able to take the fight afterwards. They got split up. Two people were so focused on killing the Baron that just refused to die. And then the Baron was able to get their value off still by just throwing out a whole bunch of abilities. Sunprod had a great rotation. It was just an unfortunate splitting of the fight there.
I mean, Musi, what did you literally just say before that transpired? One kill's gonna blow this wide open. How about 5? How does 5 sound to you?
I mean, that's pretty good. 5, it's more than 1. You know, I guess I'm supposed to be kind of a math guy, but you know, if I have to choose the math, I'll choose the simple math. I know for a fact that 5 is going to be more than 1. Oh, this was looking like a game where my jungler's Obsidian was ready to take control and walk away, but with a Fire Giant buff on 3 people, the small blessing is that Kaidon and Bayaneri don't have it, but Snatty and Sunprod do, and that is scary. Witchcraft are going to start pruning away these tier 2 towers, looking at that Ancient Gold Fury, the old classic play the map playbook. Pyro's up as well, so not going to look for anything too crazy. It's going to slow down a little bit unless my jungler's Obsidian try to force something to happen here.
I think they're content with just trying to farm up and see how they can do from there. My jungler's Obsidian, man, they have such a committal comp, Musi. What do they do on the defensive end?
You're still committing. You just got to make sure that you kill somebody for real this time.
Oh, well, I don't think it's going to be Snatty anytime soon, buddy. Full ruler combo. What does that put, a third of his health down? He's going to be back up to full in just a second. That's the Baron difference right there. But they are kind of caught by themselves. I don't know what Snatty's doing so far up, but maybe trying to just capture the thrill of the 1v4 again. I've never felt so alive. And Ancient Fury goes down for Witchcraft.
Snatty's just up there making a bunch of space so that Witchcraft can get that Ancient Gold Fury without any risk of a Ra coming up and trying to steal it there. Now we can begin this left bird siege. Zatman is going to go solo a Pyromancer or push up the mid wave. Okay, so what Witchcraft is doing here, Dilo, they're going to be kind of controlling the map here, putting pressure on this left side while slowly walking up the mid wave so that then we can split the map a bit here and try to get this mid bird too. Because this Apollo has Berserker Shield, they can sustain a bit of damage before they go down, so they can react and get back to the team if it gets too dicey.
Big ricochets, and the walls are forcing Obsidian into a corner for Witchcraft to take advantage with their AoEs. Every ricochet potentially means a death, but Sunprod eats quite a bit of damage themselves. Has the dagger in pocket, but one last CC combo like that, and the dagger might fall on deaf ears. Searing Pain does negligible damage. It's Snatty now dropped down to half. And Obsidian, of course, can do this all day. They got the sustain to play with.
You see Screams there in the mid lane to tango with Zatman. Witchcraft give up on the left. Maybe take a look over to the mid instead. Or, you know, you could also back up here and take a look at Pyro. You don't have to force anything, and if this fight goes for too long, 40 seconds is when we lose our Fire Giant. So I think we have to cut our losses. Or not cut our losses, but, like, you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, right?
Know when to walk away.
Yeah, you hit your 22 on black. You got it. You're like, sweet. You let it ride.
Let it ride!
It didn't pan out. You said, let it ride. You don't let it ride anymore. No more letting it ride. You back. You spend your gold.
Vegas.
You get your money. I hate Vegas. I hate those fish. No more letting it ride. But now that you have your backs here, I mean, some prod's gonna find their Titan's Bane. It's a pretty significant power spike, an Ob Shard here for Kaidon. Looks like they're gonna be starting their Blink as well. And that's just gonna be all kinds of a pain in the butt to deal with. Merlin blinking and then blinking again? No, thank you. And if you're my jungler's Obsidian, you're just taking this opportunity to farm whatever you can on the map, because Fire Giant's gonna be respawning soon and you gotta be there for it.
32 minutes, it's 18-19 in favor of Witchcraft, despite the close kill board. Not too close in terms of the gold dividends. 10k their way. No signs of stopping. Look at that. Double relics for Baron and Sunprod. Aegis is going to make them even more difficult to kill.
They got the Aegis, the Sunder, the beads there, especially for Sunprod, is going to be good because they started with that Aegis. So you got your classic beads Aegis combo. You'll need that if you're going to be able to live through both the jump on from the Tsukiyomi and all the CC from Coast, Nika, Duin. Just let Sunprod play a little bit more aggressively. We're running back the Apollo split push playbook as the FG respawns, and
I'm getting deja vu.
We'll see if Witchcraft gets burned for this, or if my jungler's Obsidian falls for the same trick twice.
I was about to say, they gotta know. Surely they know. He wouldn't do it twice, would he? Or would they do it twice?
No
we'll
way.
Find out. Ymir steps up. Right? Well, right now, Kambraken tries to put it all on black, but can't put the damage on Sunprod. They dash away. Good double freeze. There's Apollo in the back line. Bennyq's trying to escape, but they're rooted in place. It's a good blink. The Searing Pain finds no one, and Apollo descends under their corpse just to beat the dead horse. Now Zapman in the back line tries to find Uller, wards him, as well as the Guan Yu away, but is slowed down by the hail of arrows. Sunprod takes down to do it in the front lines, but Witchcraft are low. It doesn't seem to matter. They want the end. They cannot be defeated. They've signed that black book.
EFG has spawned
in
for
the game.
Witchcraft. In the game, baby. But my jungler's Obsidian's able to get their backs off, same as Witchcraft. So even though we lose 2 people here, it's not an immediate loss on that EFG. It takes a lot to be able to kill that enhanced Fire Giant, but the benefits are worth it, Dilo. A stronger version of that FG buff. Not only does it give you the strength, the int, the regen, it also gives you extra penetration, which is why when you get that buff, you start instantly killing things. Witchcraft has pulled it. This is the fight for the game.
Double ADCs after all. They can really burn this quite quickly, but not quickly enough to stop Scream from having a word on it. Already dropped down to a bit
4K.
lower than they want, but the freeze off the mark. That could be trouble. Cavalry charge
32.
comes through, but you can't save Scream. Already one dead. Nika dropped down to low, dropped down to 0. EFG on all 5 members. And Witchcraft, we can begin to run it down.
There is very little that my jungler Obsidian can do to slow this down. The buff is that strong. Don't get caught out. Bennyq goes for the snipe, but it's off the mark.
Oh no, this is looking to be rough. To Duin stares Entropy in the face. They looked at the abyss and they blinked. Bennyq and Vaporish Coast are here on the mark. If they can find some decent damage, maybe, just maybe, they can take down one. But a dagger in pocket for Zapman, it's not looking good. Witchcraft have no will to stop it. To Duin is going to go down first, and the Titan shortly afterwards. It's a clean sweep in favor of Witchcraft.
Zapman, in fact, did it twice and let it ride.
Yeah.
Went for the split push straight into the Alta backliner combination. And it works for Witchcraft, who remains undefeated against everybody that they have stood against.
Man, oh man. Who can stop this team? Clocked in, nowhere to be spoken of. Our friends on Smoke Break, they're out for the count. It seems that no matter who you toss at these 5 players, they find a way to pull it out of their bag of tricks. And we are going to be so enthused to see if they can keep it going. But for right now, for us, we got one more little thing, one more little break before we get to toss some more words at you and cut off for the day. So stick around. A little bit more Smite Prime action in the recap coming up after this. Hello, everyone, and welcome on back to Smite Prime, where the plays were certainly premium. D-Lo here, alongside my friend Musey in the booth. Jethin's your almighty eye in the sky. And the man behind the curtain watching as we saw Witchcraft once again do what they've done before, burn their opponents at the stake.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little closer in this game, too. My jungler's Obsidian had the tempo, but it came down to the FG fights, especially where Witchcraft pulled the old Apollo split push maneuver into JK, I'm ulting your house right now, and he swooped in there on the back line. So all in all, it was well played, but I think between the fact that Snatty was just ahead of the lobby the entire game, Zapman was able to play the map, Bayonary was able to throw out some crazy walls, Sunprod played off of that pretty well, Kaidon had giant circles that are just impossible to miss. It was all very, very well done from Witchcraft all day today.
Obsidian's at like the FG, just trying to take it down. Zapman's calling Benny Q's phone. Hey, is your fridge still running? Bam, bam, bam! Just shoots
Bam, bam, bam!
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, they was just played pitch perfectly. And Musi, we were talking about in the green room the fact that Witchcraft, again, these are players that we've, for the majority part, seen through Smite Prime for months. The new element is really Zapman and those veteran calls. Those veteran calls, Musi, maybe that's the new element. Maybe that's the secret ingredient in the sauce that allows them to not only catch up to teams like Clockton, but surpass them. You can see the bracket here. Undefeated. Witchcraft are above them all.
Didn't even take a single game in the finals either. Also, a slightly related Dilo, Sisyphus and the Glolder. I bet that's what that is. I bet that's a Globe team.
Okay, that makes a lot
Sisyphus
more sense.
and the Glolder.
And much like Sisyphus, man, they push it nearly to the top, only for the rock to get sent sailing back down, courtesy of Smoke Break. Rough.
They'll have fourth place there, but you know, we have these cool brackets, we watch these cool games, Dilo, but what even are we playing for?
I'm glad you asked, Musi. A lot of monies. That's what money. $7,000 in cash prizing for the March circuit. That's only for this circuit. It's going to happen every Saturday. You saw the first little bout going down just today, but guess what? We're back next week, and then next week, and then next week when they play for the closed bracket grand final. So right now, these teams, they're playing for their spots in that closed bracket at the very end. You're not just playing immediately for the cash prizing. It's for your chance to be in the top dog slot.
And, you know, it's more than just the money, Batman. They've got a whole bunch of other goodies that they have in the back door there for you to be able to scoop away there. But that is in the future. This was now and today. And I'm pretty sure, Dilo, that's all we got.
Indeed it is, guys. Thank you all very much for watching Smite Prime March Circuit Week 1. I've been Dilo. Joined here by Musi in the booth. We've had Tess for a little bit, temporarily, your almighty eye in the sky. Jithens took it over right after, as also your man behind the curtain. Please thank our production for all they do. We could not yell at games without them. And last, but certainly not least, thank you, loyal, obedient viewer, for your time. We hope you've enjoyed this series just as much as we have. Keep an eye to the sky for more Smite Prime content coming at you in the future, and until then, good games, and good night.